Yo, what up, guys? It's your favorite Gen Z YouTuber here, back again with another video where we okay some boomers so hard that they get clapped on. And press the like button if you okay those boomers. Real talk. Anyways, guys, it felt super weird to not do my normal intro, so I'm probably never gonna do it like that again. But real talk, what's going on? It's your boy Scrub here. Hope you guys are having a fantastic day. Today I have a story about Karens. No, it's not my neighbor Karen, but it's another Karen that I tried to help out, and this boomer backstabbed me and actually got me in trouble for trying to be nice and help her out when I was at work. So, you know how it be, whenever Karen backstabs you, you do the logical thing and push her wheelchair down the stairs. Karens are everyone's mortal enemy, alright? They basically have some type of beef with something constantly. Like, they cannot be happy. I'm telling you, there's a gene inside of Karens that makes them the most angry species on Earth. It's just one of those things, alright? And I've had to deal with tons of Karens in my experience, but this is the first experience I had that really made me realize that any boomer named Karen does not deserve human rights, alright? We gotta make sure that all Karens are single-handedly denied all rights. And this story takes place at one of my normal jobs. I've had two normal jobs in my life, but this is one of the things that inevitably got me fired from the movie theater I worked at. Like, I actually ended up getting fired because of this Karen boomer. So, big shout out to Karen for getting me fired from my job and making me have to make YouTube videos, I guess. So one day, I'm at the movie theater, right? It's a pretty dead day, and this Karen, like, probably 45, 50, walks in with a group of, like, 6, 7 kids, and they are rambunctious. They're screaming, they're running around. It looks very exhausting to deal with, all right? Like, they're being kids, but you know that look when there's 8 kids and 1 parent, and, like, the kids are being a little bit crazy, and you just kind of feel bad that they're gonna have to deal with that all day. So, she walks up to me, and she's obviously exhausted, and I feel pretty bad, and spends like $100 and is super nice to me the entire time. She has to get all the concessions for all these little kids, so she spends like $100. She's super nice to me the entire time. She's pleasant, which surprised me because I kind of expected her to be rude, you know? Like, I expected her, after dealing with these kids all day, to be a little bit rude, which is my bad, but she was super nice, right? And I appreciated it. We had a good interaction. I'm like, wow, this lady's dealing with all these kids, and she was nice, and she spent a lot of money. That's super flattering, you know, like, good for the business, good for us that this lady decided to bring her kids here, right? So she leaves and goes into the movie, and everything seems pretty normal. It's probably about 10 minutes later, she walks back out, and she walks back up to me, and she's like, hey, I forgot a drink for myself after getting them for the kids, and you know, can I get a drink? And I'm like, yeah, for sure. So I get her a drink, and she's still being incredibly nice about it. She's being polite, she's asking how my day's going, like, being way nicer than most people are. I don't know what it is about a movie theater, but for some reason, most of the people that would come and get things from concessions were just mean to me for no reason, bro. Like, listen, I'm just trying to get you popcorn and get this bread, dog. The least you could do is not be mean to me. I don't want to be here either. I don't want to deal with you. I don't want to look at your ugly mug. You don't want to look at mine. Let's just give each other popcorn and move on, you know? But most people would just be mean. They'd be like, oh, what? Are you serious? These are the prices? Yeah, me, the guy working the concession stand. I rigged the system, bro. I set up everything to be more expensive just to piss you off. Like, people were just mean to me when I was in concession, so she was being super nice, right? So I get her drink. It was a large Coke, and large Cokes are obviously pretty overpriced at the movie theater. I think it's like $8 for a large Coke. It was a bit ridiculous, I'll admit that. But she doesn't complain, and she hands me the card, and the card that she hands me gets declined. And this will happen before. Sometimes the card is just weird. If you just bought something with that card, and then you come back out and buy something a couple minutes later, your bank is like, wait, hold on, why are you buying multiple drinks? You know, so it happens. So I say, oh, okay, it happens, no big deal. And she hands me another one, and it gets declined again, right? And so she's like, oh my gosh, I'm so embarrassed. These are all the cards I have with me. I guess you can just keep the drink. And at this point, keep in mind, she's spent a lot of money here. She's been really nice to me. She's got a ton of kids. Seems like she's having a rough day, and her card just got declined after she had just spent $100, right? So, like, I know she's not, you know, weaving me some sob story about, like, oh, my cards don't work. Can I have the drink for free? Like, she didn't ask for anything. So I decide, you know what? Hey, this lady's having a bad day. Don't worry about it. Just take the drink. Don't worry about it at all. Don't sweat it. Like, you just take the drink, go back, enjoy your movie, have a good day. Don't worry about it. And what does this boomer do when I try to be nice and give her a free drink, bro? She gets mad at me. She starts yelling at me, oh, you think I'm poor, huh? You think I'm poor? You think I need a free drink? And I'm like, no, your card just declined and you can have the drink. Obviously, I know you're not poor. I did your order like 5 minutes ago and it was like $100. Obviously, you got money to spend. I'm just saying, your card's not working. If your card's not working and you can't pay for it, you either don't take it or like, what do you want me to do? Like, I don't think you're poor, but you just take the drink. Like, take it. I'm saying it's fine. I don't think you're poor, right? And so she's like, oh my God, what do you think I am? Just some peasant that needs to take freebies? And I'm like, dude, no, just take the drink. I'm trying to be nice out here. So I'm trying to say, hey, I'm sorry. I didn't mean any disrespect. Like, you don't have to take the drink. You don't have to take it. I will get rid of it. Don't worry about it. And now she's like, oh, so now you're just going to take away the free drink you just offered me? And I'm like, what do you want from me, woman? You're yelling at me for calling you poor for trying to give you the free drink. I try to give you the free, I try to not give you the free drink. And now you're mad that I'm taking away the free drink. Do you want it or not? Do you want the free Coke or do you not want the free Coke? Because I'm getting mixed signals here, woman. I don't know what you want me to do. Like, I can't just snap my fingers and fix your card. Sorry, I don't work for MasterCard or Visa. Maybe you are broke. I'm not really sure. Maybe you maxed out your credit card at the movie theaters. I'm not an expert, but all I know is you can't pay for it. Do you want the free drink or not, right? And she's just getting livid. She's like, oh, you just think that you're so much better than me. I know that you couldn't afford $100 for these kids. I'm like, yeah, obviously, I'm working at a movie theater for minimum wage, Rebecca. Like, obviously, I'm not doing too hot, okay? I'm also 17. Yeah, sick. I can't afford all the drinks you just bought. Do you want the free drink or not? And she's just freaking out on me like, what do you think I am? You think I need handouts? I mean, I'm gonna keep it 100 with you, Chief. I can afford to go to the movies now. You know, that YouTube coin be getting good. But if someone offered me a free drink, like, I'm probably gonna take it. Like, I don't think there's anything wrong with taking free stuff. That doesn't mean that you're poor. It's just called being nice. If I was at a store and somebody said, hey man, you don't worry about that, it's free, I'd go, yo, really? Thanks, and I'd take it. I wouldn't get offended and be like, oh, you think I'm a disgusting poor person, huh? And also, who cares if you're poor, bro? Do you want the, like, yeah, if you are poor, you want the free drink, and if you are rich, take the free drink. It doesn't matter. Like, you're taking this way too personally. So she's causing the scene, and obviously, my manager hears it because she's screaming at me because it's offensive that I try to give her something for free. So my manager comes over, and he's like, is there a problem here? And she starts complaining that I'm rude and how I'm basically ruined her day and, like, made her feel poor and singled her out. My manager's like, what's going on? And so she tells him this story that apparently she came out and her cards were declined, so I laughed at her and said, oh, do you need a free drink? Which is not what happened. Like, this girl made it seem like I was, you know, a dragon guarding my pile of gold. I don't even own this theater, lady. Why do I care if I give you a free drink, bro? Like, it just makes no sense, right? So she tries to make it seem like I made fun of her for being poor, and she's causing a scene, and it's demanding that I get fired, all because I tried to give her a free drink. And my managers at this point were not very nice, right? Like, they didn't like me a ton. So this lady's snapping. Apparently, I'm bullying her and calling her poor for not being able to buy a drink, which just never happened at all. Like, that's just not true, but whatever. Karens have a way of screaming. So she's screaming at my manager, and my manager's like, is this true? And at this point, I'm like, okay, if I say no and I call her a liar, this is just going to escalate things more. But at the same time, if I say yes, like, I'm probably going to get fired. So I go, no, that's not true. And of course, you're calling me a liar. And I'm like, yeah, well, I ain't calling you a truther. Shout out to Drake and Josh, man. Like, if you're not telling the truth, then yeah, I guess I'm calling you a liar because you're lying. Like, that's just not what happened. And that, of course, sets her off even more. I don't know why you think that you get to treat customers this way. I will never come back to this theater again. There are 6 kids in there. You're lucky that they're having fun. Otherwise, I would pull them out immediately. And you would be hearing from my lawyer, like, all this stuff. Oh my God, lady, I was just trying to give you a free drink. I'm gonna keep it a buck. Like, I really did not even mean to make you upset. If I realized that trying to give you free stuff was gonna make you have a mental breakdown, I would, you boomer. Like, God. So she continues her rant, and at this point, I just kind of zone out. I'm like, yeah, I'm probably in trouble. I'm probably gonna get fired, and that's just how it goes sometimes. Like, that's just life. It's gonna be okay. So she finally calms down. My manager takes her to another room where she can just, you know, vent her frustrations about me, the entitled millennial that is just trying to rob her of her enjoyment by giving her free stuff. And the worst part is, I'm Gen Z, ho. Like, you ain't even get the generation right. Way to go. So whatever, a little bit later, my manager comes down. He's like, you have to come with me. And I'm like, yeah, whatever, dude. So he takes me in the back room and he's like, what you did today is a classic display of disrespect. And I'm like, yeah, I know. I'm terrible. I'm the worst person to ever exist. I don't even know why my mom kept me. She should have just, got rid of me the first chance she got, because obviously, trying to give people free stuff is just so horrible. So I'm getting lectured for 2 hours about how basically actions like that bring the entire company down, and how I'm almost single-handedly responsible for the bad attitude of workers here. And I'm like, listen, workers got bad attitude because our managers yell at us for trying to, help people out. And look, I understand I was in the wrong by trying to give somebody something for free. I understand why my manager has to yell at me. But when you come at me like, you're the reason that working here sucks. No, you are, Derek, okay? Go home. Go home, Derek. No one wants you to work here. Leave. Regardless, I got put on a probation that basically meant if I did anything else wrong, then I got fired. And of course I did something wrong a couple days later because I just didn't care anymore. Anyways, guys, on that note, be sure to press the like button, comment down below, comment the word boomer down below if you enjoyed the video, subscribe if you're new, turn on notifications, send me a screenshot of your notifications onto my Instagram at Scrubby if you did enjoy the video. I give notifications shout out every day. Use code Scrubby at GFuel checkout and follow me on TikTok at Scrubby with 2 S's. Today's notification shout out to Cameron7386. Big shout out to you for having on notifications. Like I said, follow me on all my social media. Get some merch, use code Scrubby at checkout at gfuel.com, and I'll talk to you guys tomorrow with another video. Don't get anyone pregnant. If you do, make sure they're hot. I'm out. Peace.
What is going on, guys? It's your boy Scrubby here, back again with another video, and welcome back to Ryan's Rants, episode 2. Yeah, that's right. Last week I said the coolest comment had a bunch of swag and got to name the series. And as you can tell from all the comments I'm throwing up on screen now, it seems like that's just gonna have to be the name. I just work here, I don't make the rules, I just follow them. But yeah, with that out of the way, let's get into this week's random show of talking about crap. So the first story we have is from a company that managed to send $10.5 million to a stranger in crypto and now is having a hard time getting it back. I love how they're like, oh, they're having a hard time getting it back. You don't say. If someone sent me $10.5 million in crypto, I would be contacting a lawyer and trying to figure out how this is mine now. Especially if it was like a firm. If a person sends it to you, the nice thing to do would be to send it back. If it's some venture capital firm and they mess up and send you a bunch of money, of course you're not going to be rushing to give it back. Especially there was this case a few years ago with I think it was Wells Fargo or Chase. I can't remember. Where they sent this company $193 million on accident, and the company is still to this day having a legal battle saying they need to be able to keep it because it's their responsibility to double check where it's going, not theirs for receiving it. The headline itself reads, crypto firm fronted by Matt Damon accidentally transferred $10.5 million to a woman instead of a $100 refund, and it's struggling to get it back. They just had to throw Matt Damon in there for some extra clickbait points. I can't even be mad. I do the same thing. You gotta get paid. I get it. But it is so funny they somehow get Matt Damon involved. I hope Matt Damon is not the guy fronting the $10.5 million they just sent to someone else. Yeah, I'm actually going to be buying a 30% stake in this crypto brokerage thing. It's going to be lit. Oh, yeah, they sent all my money to some woman and we can't get it back, though. I bet you this woman has already changed her name and fled the country, bro. $10.5 million is a solid chunk of change. That's some life-changing money. That's some fake your death money if you really had to. I mean, it's not billions, sure. But you move to some place where the cost of living is lower, and that'll last a bit. How do they not double check this? I'm always shocked that there's not a process in place for them to double check transactions over a certain amount. Maybe they use an automated system, but if that's the case, why is your automated system just sending random people $10.5 million? If there's an automated system on here, what needs to happen is anything over a certain amount has to go to other people. And we officially need to start calling the AI that did it, if that's the case, Robinhood. Because for real, taking $10.5 million from the brokerage and sending it to some random person, it's going full Disney Robinhood vibes, and it's pretty entertaining. Obviously, the company's going to have to fire someone for this. I don't think that no one's going to get in trouble for messing up and getting rid of $10.5 million, especially if they don't get it back. Like I said, I'm not surprised that they're going to have a hard time getting it back. Sending someone $10.5 million probably makes them want to keep it, especially when it was just supposed to be $100. That's what's even weirder to me. Usually in this situation, it's just like an extra comma, maybe one extra decimal point, one extra number. How in the world do you mess up $100 into 10.5 million? Those aren't even close. If you typed those out, it would be very evidently different. Conspiracy theory time, no proof whatsoever. How do we know it wasn't an inside job? His plan all along was to get a job at Matt Damon's crypto firm just to be able to send $10.5 million to his mom who would flee the country. Overall, if you have a company where you're sending people millions of dollars, I would maybe have someone double checking that everything's going to the right location. But Matt Damon's crypto firm's not having a good day. I just thought that was nuts. All right, this next story is going to be a little bit more of a rant than it is like anything very, very coherent. But this has bugged me for a really long time because I'm just so over everything having to be a smart device, bro. I'm sorry. Not everything has to be Bluetooth enabled. Not everything has to be connected to the internet. Not everything has to be a touch screen. We can have some things that are dumb. That's okay. Physical buttons outperform touch screens in new cars, test finds. Wow, who would have ever thought that trying to use an iPad in a car is a little bit more complicated than buttons, especially if you're just trying to like change the air while you're driving. You want to change the song real quick. You want to, I don't know, do whatever you got to do in your car. So much easier when there's just a button assigned to only that versus having to navigate an operating system like I'm trying to play Angry Birds for some reason. I can play games on my fridge. Cool, but why would you need to do that, man? Like, I don't want a smart fridge. Keep my food cold. If you can do that, that's it. That's all I need. I don't want everything connected to the internet. Oh, I have a smart doorknob where I can open every door in my house from my phone. Okay, why? Why do you need that? I don't know, man. I just feel like there's just been this huge push towards everything has to be smart connected. Everything has to be intelligent, bro. Oh, this is my smart knife. It automatically detects what meat it's cutting through and sends my phone a guide for the best way to cook this pork or chicken. Like, goodness gracious. At this rate, we're going to start having literally everything being smart. A smart diaper for grandma and grandpa in the old folks' home, diaper full. Wow, I'm so glad this is Bluetooth enabled. My hope is from this article about, cars preferring buttons over touchscreens is that maybe we're finally going to break out of this everything has to be a smart device thing because I'm just so over it. I hope other people are going to realize that it's just not the move. Sometimes dumb devices are good. I'm not saying we should go back to dumb phones. I enjoy a smartphone. This isn't like anti-technology. I love computers. I love video games. I just don't think everything has to be smart all the time. It's just a little absurd. The way it's been going, too much. Okay, this one is definitely embarrassing for the country we're going to be talking about, but it's also a little bit more of a serious topic. It's about the Russian-Ukrainian war. At this point, Russia is starting to get desperate for military supplies. They've had a lot of embargoes placed on them. People can't really export arms easily there, and they've been at war for a long time now, so they've gotten to the point where they're in desperate need of resupplies of drones, artillery shells, all that. And they've been looking around, and I guess they've decided to start buying artillery shells from North Korea. And I just feel like once you start having North Korea as one of the only people willing to work with you, that should be a sign that you're the bad guy in the movie, all right? Russia is buying North Korean artillery, according to U.S. intelligence. Moscow's purchase of millions of shells and rockets from North Korea is a sign that global sanctions have hampered the Russian military's supply lines. Before this entire war kicked off, everybody kind of thought that Russia was this guy you didn't want to mess with, For all you knew, he was the guy at the bar who just could pick you up and throw you across the bar into the display of all the pretty bottles, shatter them on your back. Like, that was the vibe. But the fact that they haven't been able to take Ukraine and, the amount of armored vehicles they've been losing, it's almost hysterical that we were ever that afraid of them in the first place. Come on, man. This is the equivalent of us trying to invade Canada and just not being able to do it. It would be pretty embarrassing for us, especially if we got so desperate that we turned around and started trying to buy stuff from North Korea. North Korea is one of the only places that everyone just universally agrees, like, is kind of messed up in the way it's being ran. I don't know. I don't really feel like a guy who goes around telling the people that he's basically a demigod who doesn't have to poop because he works so hard is a little out there. It seems unfair to the people that are subjugated to that. I know they have a huge military stockpile, though, because when you have a government that is that nuts, the only way you make sure it continues to exist is being armed up, and the whole Korean War thing left them on edge. I bet you Kim Jong-un was hyped about this. He got a call, and he's like, wait, you guys want to buy a bunch of shells from us? Like millions and millions of dollars worth of military equipment? You know you called North Korea, right? And Putin was like, yeah, I know. And Kim Jong-un was just hyped. Yeah, of course, man, of course. We've been waiting for someone to buy all this crap we've been stockpiling. If I was Ukraine, I would feel like this was just a huge boost. Obviously, they've been doing incredible in terms of keeping Russia at bay. Nobody thought they'd be able to hold out as long as they have, and like they're launching offensives, so they're doing great. But hearing the news that Russia is having to go to North Korea to buy weapons has to give them just a little boost of confidence. Russia is buying millions of artillery shells and rockets from North Korea, according to newly declassified American intelligence, a sign that global sanctions have severely restricted supply chains and forced Moscow to turn to pariah states for military supplies. This disclosure comes days after Russia received initial shipments of Iranian-made drones, some of which American officials said had mechanical problems. And U.S. government officials said Russia's decision to turn to Iran and North Korea was a sign that sanctions and export controls imposed by the U.S. and Europe were hurting Moscow's ability to obtain supplies for its army. When the sanctions first got levied, everybody kind of thought that they would take a little bit to become effective, and sure, some of them have been more effective than others, but yeah, the fact that they're having to turn to pariah states that don't themselves have a huge reputation for super reliable modern military equipment shows that it's definitely starting to have an impact on that. And at the end of the day, if they're starting to buy things in batches of hundreds or thousands where like 20-30% of them aren't going to work, it's going to severely cut back on their military operational ability. Man, that sounded pretty strategic, didn't it? Woo! Someone throw me a brigadier general hat. Russia's just single-handedly gonna give these countries like a huge economic boom, you know? Oh, wow. How'd they make $16 billion more this year than they did last year? Selling crap to Russia. And what's even smarter, think about it. Let's say the Iranians sold them like 500 drones and 50 were broken. You start adding that up. Every 10 packages of drones they buy, they're just paying for a whole nother package because they're still buying ineffective stuff. Maybe that's their strategy. North Korea's like, if we send 10,000 artillery shells and 3,000 don't work, they're going to keep buying them, so let's just not fill 3,000 of them. Pretty ingenious. Oh, you think about it, Russia's desperate. What are they going to do? Stop buying them? It's a joke, by the way. I don't think that's ingenious. I was making a joke about how they're going to milk Russia for all their money. You know? The United States provided few details from the declassified intelligence about the exact weaponry, timing, or size of the shipment, and there is no way yet to independently verify the sale. A U.S. official said that beyond short-range rockets and artillery shells, Russia was expected to try to purchase additional North Korean equipment going forward. The Kremlin should be alarmed that it has to buy anything at all from North Korea, said Mason Clark, who leads the Russia team at the Institute for the Study of War. North Korea has a very sizable military. It's absolutely massive. It's, a military dictatorship, and part of that comes with having to have a massive army. But if I was Russia, I'd be nervous because none of their stuff's been battle-tested in quite a long time. The Korean War took place like right after World War II, so that's what, 70 years ago, where all the equipment that they were using then is probably very different from the stuff that they've made now. And beyond skirmishes with South Korea, it's not like it's been insanely battle-tested, so I don't know. I would be a little nervous. That's like buying from a company that has no experience in what they're doing. Finding a car company that's never built cars before and being the first person to buy it, that'd be a little nerve-wracking. Who knows if it's gonna break down? Who knows if they're gonna have a good warranty? You've just got no clue. And something tells me that North Korea does not have a great warranty on the arms you buy from them. I feel like once the shipment leaves and gets to you, it's your problem. Whether it works or not is not their issue. You paid for it, it's your issue. It'll be interesting to see how the equipment works, though. Like, the only war nerd in me coming out. Obviously, war is horrible. I wish it wasn't happening. But the idea that we're going to be able to see North Korean equipment being used in a modern war and just know their capabilities as well. I'm sure the military intelligence agency is foaming at the mouth like, oh, this is going to be sick. We're going to know all this stuff. And if most of it doesn't work, it's even better. Like, if this slows down Russia and lets us know that North Korea is a paper tiger as well, W's in the chat. Moscow had hoped that China would be willing to buck those export controls and continue to supply the Russian military, but in recent days, American officials have said that while China was willing to buy Russian oil at a discount, Beijing, at least so far, has respected the export controls aimed at the Moscow military and not tried to sell either military equipment or components. I feel like the Chinese government probably just did a quick little math equation and said, oh, the Americans are how much of our economy and the Russians are how much? Well, okay, we'll buy oil on the cheap, but we're not going to do anything that's going to get us embargoed and blocked from exporting as well. They're going to look at the numbers and just the reality is it's a lot more profitable to continue all the trade with America than risk all the trade for America to provide military components to a government that, you don't really know how everything's gonna pan out in this war, even if you supply them. You don't know if you're gonna burn the bridges with NATO, Europe, the US. And what if it doesn't work out? What if there is instability? You don't want to be on that end of stuff where you burn the bridge and now you're just out of luck. So I'm not surprised that they haven't been willing to cross the line and provide military support. But overall, I just think it's crazy that Russia, which we used to think was just the big, bad, scary guy on the block, is literally buying stuff from North Korea. So this next story we got is actually a Reddit post from Today I Messed Up, but it's really hilarious because he convinced his uncle of a conspiracy theory that doesn't exist. He kind of made it up on the spot. And now that I think about it, this is probably how most, dumb conspiracy theories start. Flat Earth. Okay, why would the government make up that the Earth is round? It just seems like a really weird thing to make up. So many people would have to be in on keeping it a secret. Who even came up with this idea? But if it was just some kid at Thanksgiving telling his uncle some stupid theory, not thinking he was gonna believe it, and next thing he knows, it got everywhere, that would just make a lot more sense to me. Today I messed up by telling my uncle a fake conspiracy theory about aliens. Okay, aliens definitely exist, but let's see what this theory is. My uncle, who's 52, is really into conspiracy theories, chemtrails, fake moon landing, anti-vax, and especially stuff about aliens. 2 days ago, he was over for a family dinner and of course started talking about some nonsense at the table, and after the dinner I said I wanted to have a chat with him. I told him that a friend of mine who works in the government told me something about aliens, that they're invading Earth and building bases underground. Basically, these aliens live in higher temperatures and they're heating up the Earth to slowly kill us and take over. I told him that's what climate change really is. And I was telling him and he started getting really into it, asking all sorts of questions. Eventually, he left and I laughed it off and thought he wouldn't care about it in an hour. Turns out, he's been posting all over Facebook and social media about aliens heating up the Earth and has been spreading it to everyone he knows. Says he did research and found even more information and it's been 2 days and he won't shut up about it. Guys, I did a bunch of research. Whoa, that's crazy considering that your nephew literally made it up because he was like, there's no way he's gonna believe it. That's the funniest part of this to me. Obviously, conspiracy theorists on this level that are this nuts spewing it on Facebook, they're gonna believe anything that's said to them. Not surprising, they're gonna spread it. But I love that he's like, no, I did a bunch more research. Where? None of it ever existed. The entire thing was made up. This is some next level trolling though. This is what all of us should aspire to be. Imagine being such a good troll that you get someone to just start convincing all these other conspiracy theorists that aliens have invaded the Earth and are heating up the Earth and they find all this research about it that doesn't exist. At this point, with the rate he's been spreading it, is this just going to become a thing? If in a year or two there's the alien hollow Earth theory, we can really look back to this and go, oh my goodness, all of this comes from this guy who was just trolling his uncle and trying to convince him that aliens do live in the core of the planet and are heating everything up. I feel like, yes, okay, it's definitely some good trolling, but at the same time, you would never expect anyone to actually believe this stuff. If I started telling someone that the Lord of the Rings is real and they all live in the hollow Earth, I would just assume they know that I'm telling them a story that isn't actually real. I feel like you wouldn't expect to have to go into detail and explain that no, There actually is no proof from people that work in the government that aliens live inside the Earth. And if your friend did work in the government and was giving you this information, if it was true, then you're really airing out your friend by telling it to someone that's gonna go post it on Facebook. Could you imagine it was real? They go to his friend who works at the FBI. Hey man, we gave you all this classified information and now it's all over Facebook. Anything you can say to explain that? Oh, I told one friend. I told him not to tell his Uncle Frank too. That guy cannot keep his mouth shut. Gets 40 years in prison for leaking government secrets. This uncle's really trying to get that government employee in massive amounts of trouble. If anyone gets pulled into the Earth though and gets to meet the aliens, keep me posted. I just thought this was some funny next level trolling you guys would appreciate as well. Okay, next up is something very, very important. This is probably more important than anything going on in the world. Anywhere else is irrelevant compared to what we're about to talk about. Skate 4 is coming out, ladies and gentlemen. If you've been a fan of the channel and the Storytime channel for a while, you know, Skate 3 is I'm gonna be honest, probably one of my favorite games of all time, if not my favorite game of all time. I grew up skateboarding. It's the best skating video game there is. Sorry, Tony Hawk, it's reality. Skate 3, in my opinion, has the most fun gameplay. I'm not saying it's the most, groundbreaking. Obviously, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater did a lot for skateboarding games. That being said, I'm hyped for Skate 4, especially because they're launching it free to play so everyone can play it and understand its greatness. Leaked skate footage offers closer look at Fun City map and customization. The map for Skate 4 is reported to be a lot bigger, plus on top of that, one of my favorite things when Skate 3 still had all of its online features working fully is people could make their own skate parks and stuff and then upload them, so the options were really endless. But the leaked footage does make the game look very pretty. Obviously, because Skate 3 is insanely old at this point, the graphics were going to be much improved. But as long as it's just a more polished version of Skate 3, I think it'll be goated. The customization options, I'm sure there's going to be plenty you can unlock, but I'm not going to be surprised if a lot of it ends up being microtransaction-ish. Just because they're doing free-to-play, they've got to make that money up somewhere else. And I don't know, as long as they do reasonable prices, $4 or $5 for a bunch of boards from a company or whatever, and a little bit goes to that company too, I'd pay it. I wouldn't be stoked about it, but if a game's free to play, I understand that sometimes they're gonna have to make up money in other places. And I think free-to-play is probably a better model for a game like this, because I would spend $60 on a skate game, but I don't necessarily know that, people that don't skateboard or like the skating games would do that. Free-to-play appeal means that, there's no disadvantage to just throwing it on the Xbox, PlayStation, computer, whatever it's on, and just having it and playing it every now and then. Oh, I'm so excited, bro. Just know this now. It's been a lot of War Thunder gameplay lately. It's what I'm into. When Skate 4 comes out, I wouldn't expect any other gameplay for at least a year. I'm gonna be playing the ever-living crap out of that game, and I'm not gonna apologize for it. So I don't know if I can show the gameplay, and I'm not really trying to mess around with EA, but here's a picture of it, and doesn't it just look pretty? Skate 3 is a very fun game, but it was a little bit graphically challenged, that's what I'll call it. But goodness, this game looks pretty. What I'm really hoping for, too, is that they just accept that they take forever to release these skate games, and the ones that were originals are very old, so they should just remaster those maps and release them as well. I know we're going to be able to download tons of maps from, community maps and whatnot, but those eventually do get turned off when the game gets old. So please give us, the fattest map of all time. Let us go back to all the old DLC maps, the old maps, make sure that we have the ability to always have new places to skate. Because I'm not even kidding, with Skate 3 gameplay, it got to the point where I really had nowhere to skate that I hadn't used in a video 3 or 4 times. Because it's just not a very large map when you think about the fact that it's 10 years old. It's a big map, but not with how old these games get. With the graphics like that too, it'll definitely be a pretty game, and as long as they don't drastically change the gameplay, then we should be good. I like the way Skate 3 works. Hopefully they give us a little bit more control over the modes, because it'd be nice to have a realistic mode, an arcadey mode. I know they kind of had that in Skate 3 with easy, medium, and hard, but it just wasn't the same. Overall, it's gonna be a great game, hopefully. If they ruin Skate, I'm gonna be so mad. Also, it's not Skate 4, it's just called Skate. They're dropping the number from it, it's just Skate now. Which is hilarious. They released Skate 1, 2, 3, and now just Skate. Which technically they haven't just released. Wait, is the original one just called Skate? No, this might be the second one that they've just called Skate. I don't know what's going on, bro. I just work here. I just want to play the game. Let me have it, please, please, please. And our last story comes from the Navy, and it just sounds like something straight up out of a movie. Basically, a few years ago, this guy got caught kind of bribing Navy officials and like making things in ports move and giving officials naughty things to try to get them to do things for him. Just some general run-of-the-mill corruption stuff. And the Navy does not have a lot of corruption, so when this all came out, it was a very big deal. It's literally the biggest corruption scandal in their history, because the U.S. military does not really play with corruption. Anyways, he got convicted and cut his ankle monitor and fled in a U-Haul truck. Man behind U.S. Navy's largest corruption case hires a U-Haul, cuts ankle tag, and flees. Fleeing from the United States military seems like a dumb idea, but also, how did this guy hire a U-Haul truck without anyone who's supposed to be watching him having any alarm bells start to ring? He's on house arrest. I feel like there should be a system where if someone on house arrest starts hiring a U-Haul, you at least go over and ask them what they're doing. It's not like they can move or anything. I don't know, it would just seem weird if the guy who literally can't leave his house started renting a car. I just feel like that might make me think that he's about to maybe try to leave this whole house arrest situation. His unassailable charm was said to have penetrated the U.S. Navy better than the Soviets ever could, and he gained unprecedented access to classified information through a massive bribery network. Now, Leonard Glenn Francis has pulled off yet another daring feat, successfully escaping house arrest just weeks before he's set to be sentenced for masterminding the Navy's largest ever corruption scandal. Man, I feel like you need to be paying extra bonus attention to people on house arrest when they're about to be sentenced for something that's a very big deal. Obviously, now that he's been convicted and he's going to be sentenced for the biggest bribery scandal in Navy history, he's aware that they're going to throw the book at him. Like, duh. The Navy can't really go light on a guy who just got caught with their biggest corruption scandal either. I think that might send the wrong message. Oh, whatever, this guy ran the biggest bribery scheme in our history. We're just going to give him 1 year in prison. They have to throw the book at him, and they should throw the book at him. I feel like military corruption is an absolute no-go. Like, that needs to be shut down. Look at the effects it can have. Look at Russia. We just know for a fact that a lot of their military companies, a lot of their generals were just pocketing a lot of the money. And now they've been so underfunded, everything's falling apart. Like, corruption in the military just completely destroys a country, so you can't really go light on it. But it also makes sense that if he was ever gonna cut the ankle monitor and run, it would be right now before he gets sentenced to jail for a very, very long time. He's already an old man. Chances are if he goes to jail, he's staying in jail, if you're picking up what I'm putting down. Security at Francis's house was lax. Tom Wright, the co-founder of journalism studio Project Brazen, who interviewed Francis at length last year for his podcast Fat Leonard, told Vice World News. The fact we were able to smuggle a microphone to him last year for our podcast, and right after that security on his house remained weak, is very strange. In 2020, an inspection found no one guarding the house for 3 hours when the on-duty guard was out at lunch. With the way they're making it sound, I'm kind of surprised he didn't try to make a break for it any sooner. The guards just leave for hours at a time. Oh, whatever. It's not like he's gonna cut and run. He's got nothing to lose now. He's been convicted of a very serious crime. If anything, he's got nothing to lose to try to run because he's already going to jail anyways. What are you gonna do? Make him go to jail for an extra 10 years for trying to escape on top of the 60 years he's gonna get? I think it's probably worth the risk for him, especially because the guards weren't even police officers or a federal crime unit or military police. It was a private company, but the guy they were guarding was who hired them. That kind of seems like a conflict of interest. Here this guy is being accused of bribery, paying people to do things they shouldn't do, and you're gonna let him hire the guards that are supposed to watch him. I wonder if maybe he would try to bribe the guards to look the other way while he didn't escape. We don't know that for a fact, but the fact no one thought about that this guy's definitely going to be willing to bribe the mall cop standing in front of his house. And if he's so good at bribery that he was getting naval officers to accept it, I think mall cops are going to be a bit easier. Arrested in 2013, Francis pleaded guilty 2 years later to offering $500,000 in bribes to Navy officials, though he was never sentenced. In 2018, the court allowed him to live under house arrest due to health issues, which included kidney cancer. From then, he stayed in a multi-million-dollar home nestled within a gated community in San Diego with his 3 children. The house was guarded by a private security company to ensure he didn't flee, but was paid for by Francis himself, the San Diego Tribune reported. It's unclear if his children were still staying with him when he escaped on Sunday. Man, that just seems a little weird. Convicted in 2013, not sentenced until 2018, while being allowed to be on house arrest in your multi-million-dollar mansion. Oh, and your security guards are the security guards that you're paying for. So for all we know, homie has just been living the good life with the guards saying, yeah, he never leaves. He might have just had the ankle monitor cut and sitting at home for all this time, strapped to the dog, so just that way it's moving around the house. Maybe sets up his ankle monitor on the Roomba just so that way when the police make sure it's been moving, it's all checked out. I don't know, something about this smells a little fishy. I'm not gonna accuse anyone of anything, but just how do you let a guy that's admitted to bribing officials with $500,000 stay at a mansion with a security team he's paying for and just not really even sentence him for 5 years? The entire thing just smells like a pile of fish, in my opinion. But obviously, I'll never know the details of it. Like, this is all gonna be pretty hushity handled. Now that he's escaped too, it's even more embarrassing because it's always going to be that question of, was corruption involved in this? Especially if he's already admitted and been convicted of bribing people with $500,000. If that's a bribe, then he's probably got a lot of bands stacked up somewhere else. Who knows how long he can be on the run? But as long as he's on the run, it's always going to be a question of what happened. Any little sus detail is going to be like, well, obviously they shouldn't have let him do that. I don't know. Overall, I don't think he's going to be on the run for very long. I feel like the U.S. military is one of the people that you would want to run from the absolute least. I would never want to run from any law enforcement agency. I feel like I wouldn't be on the run very long. But I especially would never want to be on the run from the FBI, CIA, or the U.S. military. They got a whole lot of budget. What is it? Like 60% of the United States budget goes to the military. They're going to be using a whole lot of resources to track you down, especially when it's something that's embarrassed them, like you being the most corrupt person they've convicted. They can't just let you bounce out and go hide off on an island somewhere. They've got to track you down. Otherwise, everybody's going to be like, did they even try to catch him? This whole situation just seems like something straight out of a movie, though. It doesn't seem like something that would actually be going down, but welcome to 2022, where we're living in a movie storyline. On that note, though, guys, I think that's going to do it for this week's Ryan Rants. It's longer than the last one. Maybe if they continue to do better, they'll get longer and longer. Thank you for helping me name the series. If you like this, please be sure to like and comment, because this channel's pretty dead. So every like and comment really does help it get further and recommended. So if you don't mind doing that, I'd appreciate it. And yeah, on that note, I'll see you guys all next week. Don't get anyone pregnant. If you do, make sure they're hot. I'm out. Peace.
Insane. Calling the real Justin Bieber on FaceTime at 3 a.m., he got mad. Really? You think calling a famous person at 3 in the morning might make them a little bit upset? I think that would make anyone upset, especially if they didn't know who you were. He was trying to get his beauty sleep in and you were just, yo, what up guys, gonna get this insane clickbait. I also love how in the title, the only thing that's like not capitalized and exciting is insane. You know, the other half of the title is calling the real Justin Bieber at FaceTime at 3 a.m. And then insane's the only reasonable part, like, and it did get a little crazy. Insane! What's going on, guys? It's your boy Scrubby here, back again with another video. I don't know about you, but I love annoying people at 3 in the morning, you know? It's the main reason I don't have a lot of friends, because every night at 3 a.m. I go through the list and just FaceTime everybody I know. It's gotten my number blocked a fair amount of times, then I realized that you can make content out of it. The other night, me and my fleems were sitting up at 3 in the morning, hanging out, looking for some content. Huh, guys?
We hate you and hope you die.
They get like that sometimes. And we stumbled upon this channel where a guy calls famous people at 3 in the morning. And I say calling loosely, clearly the videos are fake. But as a concept, I don't know who wants to watch somebody annoy famous people at 3 a.m. Like, who was really sitting there? Ugh, you know what YouTube's really missing? Calling people at 3 a.m. But regardless, the guy's doing really well for himself, has 650,000 subscribers, so I figured that we could watch this video together and understand what it's like to have enough clout to call Justin Bieber at 3 in the morning.
But not to worry, guys, everything is all ready and set. I'm actually here with my boy, Jake Duffner. Say what's up. What up? Let's get it. Yo, how long has it been?
You want to start your video like this? First things first, we got Orange Highlighter over here getting toyed around like a marionette, like literally a puppet, and the controller's having a seizure. And this is the first impression, you know, the first like 30 seconds of the video is where everybody forms their opinion of you. Are you cool? Are you chill? You got an annoying voice? Are you wearing a yellow flannel? Things like that. And instead of being normal, being like, what up guys? I called Justin Bieber at 3 a.m. Here's proof. You just open with a disco. Yo, what up guys? It's your boy Stromedy.
Jake Duffner. Say what's up.
I mean, it's interesting. I've never seen somebody open an intro dancing like this.
So you guys are probably very familiar with the dark web and all the crazy things that you can find on that website. Ranging from crazy potions to phone numbers to killers from movies.
Can you repeat that one more time?
Crazy potions to phone numbers to killers from movies.
That's a pretty odd list of things to put together. I'm sure you guys know the dark side of the internet. You can buy magic potions like Harry Potter, phone numbers, and serial killers. That's a weird list. That's like being like, ugh, I love Walmart. It's so convenient to be able to buy bleach, watermelon, and paper towels all in one place. Also, are people familiar with the dark web? I've never met somebody that's like, ugh, love buying magic potions on the dark web. Drinking weird stuff from weird people on the internet is my forte.
The dark web actually just added a new section of rituals, guys. And if executed properly, they can actually allow you to make contact with real life celebrities.
I love how he refers to the dark web as one website, and like they added a new section called rituals. Because according to him, it's just one web page. You know, you got potions, phone numbers, serial killers, and now there's a ritual section. Not to mention, there's a ritual to get celebrities' phone numbers. Like what? It's 5 guys in a robe gathered around a campfire. Their eyes are rolled back into their head, and all of a sudden Justin Bieber's phone number like poofs out of the smoke. I'm not sure how a ritual works to get somebody's phone number, but more power to you, I guess.
And get this, guys, once you actually make contact with Justin Bieber, you can have any item signed by him. Okay, guys, for me, I'm actually gonna get Justin Bieber to sign this banana. I don't know.
You want Justin Bieber to sign your banana. Usually, it can be kind of hard to find things to make fun of, but you're making this really easy. Justin Bieber's publicist calls him, Justin, listen, I know you're in the studio right now, but someone just did another ritual. Gonna have to head over to South LA and sign this guy's banana. So basically, the plan is they kind of just talk and do normal things for 10 minutes to be able to get more ad revenue. And I don't have a problem with creators stretching their video to 10 minutes. But their 10 minutes of content is them hanging out in an apartment and turning off all the lights so they can do the ritual. And there's just something slightly unsettling about two 20-year-old men with all the lights off in an apartment, huddled around a laptop, hoping that Justin Bieber calls them. It reminds me a lot of 2009 when every 14-year-old girl was obsessed with him. And those were some pretty dark times, okay? I had a bowl cut. I'm not too fond of them.
Oh my god, guys, check this out! Justin Bieber is calling us! No, wait, are you sure it's not a prank?
You know something's wrong with the most logical person in your video is this guy? I don't even know how you wear your hat like that. It is inside out and upside down. Why even have it on at that point? I love how giddy he is, dude. You see his little giggle?
Calling us!
That was adorable. That was adorable. I mean, if Justin Bieber called me, I might giggle like that too. I love me some Biebs.
Oh my god, Justin Bieber, I never thought I was gonna be able to contact you.
Never say never.
Oh my god, he said never say never.
I'm starting to think you didn't actually call Justin Bieber. That sounded a lot like his hit song, Never Say Never. I mean, if you're gonna fake it, can you at least put in a little more effort? Like, anybody could do that. Just take bits and pieces of interviews and just pretend you called him. Hey, yo, Justin, man, what are the odds of me and you hitting up a track one day and creating a #1 single?
Never say never.
Okay, I'm sorry. If this is the real Justin, then why don't you come to my house right now?
Because you're calling him at 3 in the morning. You think Justin Bieber wants to come hang out with you and your friend in your pitch black apartment at 3 a.m.? That sounds like a recipe to get robbed. So to skip ahead a little bit more, because there's more filler of them dancing in their apartment, the lights are still off, I don't know why. Someone knocks on their door and they claim it's Justin Bieber, and then this happens.
Whoa! No, dude! What the hell? What? How did he get in? How are those signed right now? Dude, I don't get it.
JB, Justin Bieber.
Whoa, let me see. Let me get a close-up. JB.
So, 2 things we learned. One, they can identify letters. That's great. We can do the other 24 letters of the alphabet too. Justin Bieber snuck into their house, like shadow stepped like a ninja, signed their banana, and left. That's a terrifying world. We're talking about a world where Justin Bieber could be behind you right now and you wouldn't know because he's a ninja. Basically, the content's just ridiculous. It's kind of cringy as a concept, and I mean, kudos for them for stretching it for 10 minutes. That's impressive. I don't know how they did it, but great for them. But it's not the only weird part of his content. Like I said, he has another series where he orders potions on the dark web and then like makes people drink them. So I figured I wanted to take a look at this. And then a really good friend of mine, Lewis, was like, I want to take a look at it. Banger video. We both get on it. Good talk. For those of you guys who don't know who Lewis is, he's a good friend of mine. He's a really great guy. You guys should go check out his channel. He's a really good dude. And I actually just got off the phone with Justin Bieber because it's 4:48 in the morning when I'm recording this. And he said if you don't subscribe to Lewis, you actually will get bullied at school, guys. I don't make the rules, but you should go subscribe to Lewis. And he also looks a lot like me. Be prepared to be weirded out a little bit. And yeah, go.
Firstly, no, I'm not Scrubby. I've been told that so many times lately that I'm starting to question my own identity. If anything, I didn't know it was possible for someone to be unfortunate enough to look like me. Also, Scrubby is younger than me, so anyone that tries to say I look like Scrubby, no, he looks like me. If you got mine and Scrubby's top lip and put it together, we still wouldn't have a top lip. Now, Scrubby's asked me to have a look at a lovely YouTuber that goes by the name Stromedy. Now, I've had one look at his channel and I understand people are going to really struggle to understand my accent, so let me spell it out for you. This guy is a cringy liar. My name is Kyle Godfrey. I'm a 19-year-old kid from Toronto, Canada, currently in Los Angeles making YouTube videos. I'm an aspiring film actor-director. Anyways, stop reading this and go check out some of my videos. Don't tell me what to do. Right, let's just have a look at his most viewed videos because I don't really know what one to check. Insane. Ordering super strength potion from the dark web at 3 AM. Alright then, Ruby Rube. You know what I love as well? I love the fact that he's put brackets insane at the start of the title just to let us know that this is a pretty intense video. Alright, let's just get into it.
Yo, Jade, you think I'll be strong enough to actually lift this car, dude?
I don't know, man.
Oh my gosh. Okay, yo, I'm gonna try this out.
All right.
Scrubby Squad, what the hell?
Yep. The typical LA YouTuber intro. You have a very dramatic start, then you have a 10-minute vlog followed by it. Oh my god, he touches children. Yo, what's up guys? Welcome back to a brand new video. It's your boy. I can't deal with this man.
Today, I got with me my boy, J-Station.
What's poppin', guys?
Oh no. He is mates with J-Station. I would rather he be friends with Harvey Weinstein. Just anyone but J-Station. Anyone, literally anyone but J-Station.
You guys know that recently I've been ordering these dark web potions and we have yet to have a potion that doesn't work. Guys, they literally have hundreds of different kinds of potions. They even have a mystery potion, guys.
To be fair, I could do with a mystery potion right now. Just anything that might help me get through this video, even if it means killing me.
But today, guys, we have, as the title says, some strength potion, guys. This is some real strength potion that I ordered off of the dark web, and this one actually comes in a yellow color. You think it's gonna work, dude?
Yeah, bro, I think it's gonna really work.
Right, I don't know how much you know about the dark web, but nothing, and I mean nothing, comes looking that luxurious. If he had actually ordered that from the dark web, he'd be lucky if it wasn't liquidized rabbits or something. Right, I've just realised something that's pretty messed up, like really messed up. His content is for kids and his audience is clearly kids. And if there's anyone, and I mean anyone that shouldn't go on the dark web, it's kids. That's how you get yourself killed. Also, if you're going to fake a video, at least make it sound convincing.
You think it's gonna work, dude?
Yeah, bro, I think it's gonna really work. Oh. Yeah, bro, I think it's gonna really work.
I've heard more convincing quotes from serial killers.
Yo, what would you rather have, speed potion or strength potion?
Strength.
Yeah?
Yeah, big time.
True. I think I'd rather have speed, dude.
I think I would rather take speed. To be fair, mate, I wouldn't be surprised if you were taking speed when you were planning this video.
Strong enough to lift a car, dude? Yo, do you want to have a sip of it?
No.
Are you sure?
Yeah, you do it.
Oh man, I'm always the dummy, guys.
To be fair, I could probably do with this strength potion because I'm losing strength to watch this video. Get it? Cause anyone? No? Alright then, I'll go, don't worry, I'll go.
I'm super strong right now, this is insane. Oh crap, yo, I just broke my lens.
You did?
Yeah. Oh my god, yo. Literally, I touched my lens, like I didn't even put any strength and I just cracked the screen.
Holy.
Oh my god. Okay guys, I gotta go get a new lens. I have a spare one upstairs. Oh my god, dude, check out me lifting this couch. Dude, this is so freaking heavy. Oh my gosh, yo.
I give up. I just love how it randomly skips to him balancing a couch on his head.
Oh my god, guys, I'm balancing a chair on my head.
I got like a metal pipe in my garage. I'm trying to bend it.
Oh my god, bending
Yeah?
metal?
Good idea.
I think I can.
Whoa.
Is it bending?
Yeah? What the hell, dude? Whoa.
I'm not sure if your average viewer has eyesight as good as Stevie Wonder, but hey, you're not fooling anyone, pal. Because you're not fooling me, and this is coming from somebody that believed the Tooth Fairy was real until I was 11. Like, coming to think about it, how weird is that? How on earth did I believe that some random old lady would come into my room and steal my teeth for money? What a creepy bastard. Try explaining that one to the police.
Yo, what else should we do?
I don't know, bro. Maybe we should like lift the car.
Okay, yeah, let's go lift my car. Okay, guys, we are going to do the unthinkable now with the strength potion. But yo, the only thing is my car is all the way at the shop, dude.
Really?
Yeah, it's getting fixed. It's got to get that new tire fixed.
Right, it's not exactly the unthinkable when you've got in the thumbnail, the title, and the start of the video. I give up, man. I've seen videos on Pornhub less predictable than this. The poor pizza guy just wanted to deliver his pizza.
Let's freaking do this. Oh my gosh, yo. Okay, I'm gonna try this out. Oh my god, dude. Oh my god.
It's just not real, is it? It's about as fake as Pamela Anderson's tits. There's more chance of Donald Trump becoming president. Oh wait, that actually happened, didn't it? The cringe in this video hit me harder than puberty did, which arguably wasn't that hard, but you just get what I mean.
Hit that subscribe button. I love you guys. I will see you in the next one for another banger. And as always, peace.
No way has he put a 2-minute outro at the end of this video just to get it to 10 minutes. There's not even any music either, it's just a blank screen with text. That's embarrassing. I'm going to pass this back over to my twin brother Scrubby. I know you don't care, but my name's Lewis Buchan, but if you do, that's my name. But nevertheless, finally for you will actually get to see something entertaining now, so I'll pass it back over to Scrubby now, so I'll see you in a bit.
So on that note, guys, go subscribe to Lewis. Great guy, 12 out of 10 content. If you've made it this far in the video, I want you to comment Supreme down below, and I will heart everyone who comments Supreme. I didn't do it last time. That's on me. If I don't do it this time, I will leak my phone number, and you guys can all call me at 3 a.m. I'm not actually going to do that, but I might, because I'm really dumb and it's late. If you guys enjoyed the video, be sure to press the like button, all that good stuff. It does help out the video an absolute ton. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram, and thank you guys all much. Thank you guys so much. I can't talk for the support. It's been an incredible ride, and we're closing in on 1 million really quick. Moral of the story: don't call people at 3 a.m. please. And if you are going to, make your videos a little bit more believable. I hope you guys all have an absolutely incredible day. I'll talk to you guys soon with another video. And remember, don't get anyone pregnant.
What's going on, guys? It's your boy Scrub here, back again with another video. Hope you guys are having a great day. I know I am, and today I've got a story time for y'all about this dude's crazy girlfriend that ended up trying to, like, you know, smash all of his video games. Yeah, I know, it's definitely a little bit out there. Regardless, I figured it would be a pretty fun video. So yeah, that's what we're gonna be doing. Without further ado, press the like button, or no joke, no scam, your video games are gonna get smashed, and let's go. Yeah, this shit, it just has begun. Hey, I'm just about to say it. My homies never gotta work 'cause I... Alright, naturally, ladies and gentlemen, I think everybody goes through a time where they get a little bit addicted to a video game. You know, I've had my fair share. There was a period of time in high school where I was coming home and just playing CSGO until like 3 in the morning for months straight. It does happen from time to time, you know? And naturally, when you become obsessed with something different than like what you were used to be obsessed with, sometimes that can rub people the wrong way and cause issues with people that used to to be getting that time and attention, you know? And I guess the guy that sent in this story was dating a girl at the time, and she ended up having to play sports for a season, so she started being incredibly busy. She started having practices after school, games every day, all that good stuff, so him and this girlfriend couldn't hang out a lot. And in response to her being busy a lot, he started getting really into the newest Call of Duty at the time. Now, Call of Duty is one of those games where, like, when you're not into it, it's not very addicting, but if you get sucked in, that game can black hole your life real hard. So whatever, he gets really into Call of Duty, and he's playing for like 8 hours a day, you know? And it's not really that big of a deal because his girlfriend was also incredibly busy all the time. It's not like he was ignoring her to play video games or whatever. And for a while, that's just the way it was. He's super into video games, she plays her sports, and that's that. But once her season ends, she starts being able to hang out after school every day. She starts being able to come over all the time. And for some reason, this guy's Call of Duty addiction doesn't really end, you know? Like, instead of being like, it's been a good run, I should go back to living my normal life now, he decides that he still wants to be playing these video games all the time. Now, when I first heard this, I was like, I've got to clown this dude real hard. He goes on to explain the reason for him doing that was he had gotten involved in this like Call of Duty team at the time, and he was making money running the team. So it had kind of become his job as well, which is why he was spending time on it. Still, I don't know, there are certain times you should probably just take a little break. But regardless, this is his job and he loves to do it, and you know, as somebody that does nothing but make YouTube videos, I'm not gonna tell anybody that they're not allowed to do what they want when they want to do it, you know, like in terms of their job or whatever. If you really want to sit inside and play Call of Duty for 18 hours, that's what makes you happier than anything else on the planet, I'm not really one to tell you not to do it. But whatever, his girlfriend obviously started to have an issue with the amount of video games he was playing, right? And usually when you have an issue with something that someone you're dating is doing, you would kind of sit him down, talk to him about it, maybe have a discussion about how it makes you feel or whatever. And you know, those are all good ways to start, but her approach was a little bit more, how would you say, not well thought out. She decides that she's just going to come at him and accuse him of being like a loser, saying that his life is going to go nowhere and video games are a ginormous waste of time, and honestly, she thinks it's pathetic how much he plays. And listen, all of these things might be true to you. You might believe all of these things are true, but still, when you're dating somebody, the very least, you kinda gotta just keep your mouth shut and support them when they're doing something that they want to do, you know? Imagine if when this girl was like playing her sports season, this guy would have been like, ooh, yeah, sports are pretty stupid. I'm gonna be honest with you, it's quite pathetic that you care that much. Yes, I understand they are different, but when you're dating somebody, the least you should do is be nice to him, bro. So obviously, when the dude gets this message, he's kind of like, well, screw you, I'm gonna keep playing video games. If that's how you want to be, if you think it's pathetic, then, you know, forget about it. So he basically replies and said, look, we're gonna talk about this tomorrow, but I'm frustrated right now and I don't want to talk. His feelings are hurt or whatever, so he puts his phone face down and just goes back to playing video games because he's upset, right? Now, I guess the girl had thought that he had just like put the phone down and was ignoring her while just sitting there doing nothing. He doesn't notice this because he's got his headphones on, but I guess the phone is just buzzing. She's calling, she's texting, she's doing everything to get in touch with him, and he's just not replying because he's playing video games, not paying attention to his phone at all. And this is where the craziness happens, right? Now, usually in this situation, you'd be frustrated, but you just kind of, whatever, I deal with it, I guess. They don't want to talk right now. Well, I guess she decides that she has had enough of these video games, so she's gonna go over to his house and just take care of this once and for all, you know? So she did live considerably far away, and neither one of them could drive at the time, so she ends up getting in this car and like stealing her parents' car basically to get over to this dude's house just to yell at him about his video games, which I'm not gonna lie is commitment at the very least, you know. I've had enough of these games, I'm stealing a car to come yell at you. You can't say she wasn't extremely upset. I don't know, trying to think of any bright side, but whatever. He's just sitting there playing video games, and all of a sudden, his girlfriend bursts into his room pissed, and he's kind of like, what are you doing here? What are you doing here? And she's yelling at him. She's like, where's the stupid game? Where's the stupid game? And he's like, what are you doing here? What are you doing? And she finally spots his Xbox, walks over to it, hits the eject button, and in it was the latest Call of Duty at the time. And she takes it and puts her hands on either side of the discs and just snaps the disc in half. And he is obviously like, what are you doing? But he's really not like incredibly pissed off. He's just kind of more confused because he doesn't know what's happening. And she's like, good luck playing your stupid video game now that you just lost all your progress. progress, like, aha, good luck now that I broke it. And he kind of is like, oh no, you broke the game! Because he realizes that she thought that all of his progress was tied to the disc itself. And that's not how online games work. As long as he, like, you know, gets another disc, all of his stuff is still gonna be there. But whatever, he's like, oh no, you broke the game. And she's like, yeah, I did. So no more wasting your time on it. Do you understand? And he's like, wait a minute. You just came to my house because you were so mad at me that you wanted to break my stuff. And you broke my stuff and you're still mad? And she's like, yeah, in fact, I'm not done yet. And obviously next to his Xbox, he had his Xbox games, because that's where you put that stuff. And she just starts opening cases and snapping discs like there's no tomorrow, bro. It was like, you know, there was a firm getting audited by the IRS and that was their paper shredder. Just snap, snap, snap. She gets through about 5 more games before he finally, like, you know, takes him away from her and is like, what are you doing? And she starts saying that, like, he needs to pick between video games and her because, you know, they're growing up now and they're getting close to adulthood and he has to do all this. They're like 14, 15, you know, like that, not at the point where he needs to be quitting video games to focus on his girlfriend, you know? So he's just kind of sitting there and he's looking at these broken games and he's looking at her and he's like, yeah, I don't think I want to do that. Alright guys, I'm gonna interrupt the video for just 1 second. On screen now is actually a PlayStation gift card. I give away a gift card in every single one of these videos as a way to just say thank you to you guys for supporting me. So if you are already subscribed with notifications on, thank you so much. And if you haven't already, I literally give away free money, so you got nothing to lose. Press that button and subscribe so you never miss another video. And on that note, I'll let you guys get back to it. Thank you for the support. And she's like stupefied at what he just said. So she asks again, she's like, well, what do you mean? He says, well, you know, if you're saying that, like, I have to grow up and start getting ready to, like, be your husband and stuff, I'm 15, lady. Like, I'm not really down with that. So, I'm good. And she's like, are you kidding me? Do you have any idea that you're throwing away your future for video games right now? Like, you're actually breaking up with a real girl for video games right now. And he's like, no, I'm not breaking up with you because of video games. I'm breaking up with you because you want me to act like a 55-year-old man and I'm like a 15-year-old. And yeah, I would rather hang out with my friends and do fun stuff right now than, like, have somebody that's gonna come into my room, break all the stuff that I like, and then get mad at me for being like, hey, that's not super cool. So yeah, you know, I would kind of rather at this moment in time just not. And the look on her face, bro, it was almost as if she didn't even expect that to be an answer, you know? It's like if you were taking a Scantron test and A, B, C, and D were the only answers and you got it back and E was the right one. You'd be like, well, what the hell, bro? That wasn't even a verifiable option. And then, man, the insults just start flying. She starts saying that he's a loser. He's going to die alone with his video game collection because he's such a loser. Keep in mind, he has like 10 games and he's 15, bro. Like, listen, I all of you guys out there, I mean this in the nicest way possible. There's a chance you might marry the girl that you're dating right now. It's possible, don't get it wrong. Chances are that's not what's going to happen. You know what I mean? So like if somebody's gonna break your stuff and make you quit all these things you like, it's probably not worth it because chances are they ain't the one anyways, dog. And if they were, they wouldn't be breaking all your stuff and making you quit things you enjoy. You know what I mean? So anyways, they end up breaking up because he just kind of, after the torrent of insults, is kind of just sitting there like, are you done? You know, like, all right, well, now that I know how you feel, I really think we should probably break up. So it's been lit, you know, high five, fam, give a little shaky bait, give me a 5-star review on Yelp or something, and deuces. And on the way out, you know, for good measure, she takes his controller that was on his bed and she throws it on the floor trying to break it. She doesn't break it, can't even break a controller. Oh my goodness, absolute bot. And, you know, she storms out of there in the stolen car, which is the funniest part of all of this. She did all of this to come over, like, give him this big ultimatum in the stolen car, and then he dumped her, bro. She stole her parents' car to get dumped. Like, that's kind of a big L if you think about it. Regardless, after that, he just kind of, just stayed out of her way. They stayed out of each other's way, didn't really interact that much, and he never did become a pro gamer or whatever, and he did naturally play less video games as he kind of got older and, like, grew up. But yeah, nah, for a couple years after that, he still had a bunch of fun playing video games and he wasn't really worried about being someone's husband. It's pretty vibey. Anyways, guys, I think that's gonna do it for the video, though. Hopefully you enjoyed. If you did, I'd appreciate you pressing the like button and commenting the word turtle down below if you enjoyed. If you're in the mood for some G Fuel, which will make you an absolutely cracked gamer, an absolute pro, use code Scrubby at the checkout. It gives you a discount, it gives me a discount. High five, everybody wins. Other than that, if you guys like the intro song, a link to it will be down in the description, along with with a link to my podcast, The Scuffed Cast. It's pretty swagtastic and you should check it out. And yeah, if you are in the mood for merch, the link to that's also down there. That's pretty cool. Subscribe, turn on notifications, all that good stuff to never miss another video. And yeah, on that note, guys, don't get anyone pregnant. If you do, make sure they're hot, and hopefully I'll see you guys next time. I'm out. Peace.
What's poppin' and oppin', guys? It's your boy Scrubby here, back again with another video. Hope you guys are all having an absolutely fantastic day. I know I am. And if you are, trust me, it's about to get even better because our favorite Wakandan king, Little Huddy, has himself in quite the pickle, alright? He's in some drama for sure, and it's definitely looking cringe out there. I'm not talking about this because I think it's interesting that, like, Lil Huddy and Charlie are having drama. I'm just talking about it because it's cringe, and Lil Huddy literally snitched on all of his bros, like broke every single piece of the bro code. I do not understand how you could break it more. He pulled the Tekashi 6ix9ine of TikTok. The only difference is Tekashi 6ix9ine, you know, was gonna face like life in prison, and Little Huddy was like maybe gonna lose 10,000 followers on TikTok, but regardless, it's been absolutely insane, and we're gonna be talking about it today. So yeah, without further ado, let's get into the video.
It's not good. Nice rack and her ass Brazilian. Just turned 21, but my bank's a million. Swear I'm a little drunk, but it's a hell of a feeling.
So I don't really know what's going on with the internet, dude, but it is drama getting out here. Everyone and their mom is in drama. Shane Dawson is canceled, Jeffree Star is canceled, and the TikTok community was like, whoa. None of us have been exposed for anything horrible in the last 24 hours. We gotta get on that. So basically, Lil Huddy, the Wakandan king himself, ended up tweeting something out about how all this drama is going on because he kissed a girl when him and Charlie were broken up or whatever. I don't really care. That's some high school drama. Basically, Chase Hudson tweeted, all of this drama is going on because I kissed Nessa when we were both single, and then Charlie quoted it and said, then you shouldn't have come to my house after without telling me. Which, I mean, fair enough, but, like, I don't really care who Lil Huddy is kissing and who he's going up to after, but because it's Charlie and Lil Huddy, all of the 13-year-olds on Twitter that, like, just made their accounts, you know, all started going in on Lil Huddy, saying that he was, like, a cheater and disgusting for doing Charlie wrong, and obviously he's kind of been in some drama now, so the internet was kind of going after him, and his response to that was to literally sell out everybody in the TikTok community for everything wrong they've ever done. He snitched on everybody, and you know, I think in his mind, he was like, yeah, I'll expose everyone and I won't get in trouble. But in reality, it just made him look like a petty little snitch because his ex was calling him out and he opped on everyone. Here's the tweet he put out. He's deleted it now, but like, he tweeted this. Since all my drama has been put on the internet for the world to judge me, let's lay out everyone else's. So right off the bat here, this is a bad statement, alright? You should not be airing out everybody else's drama because you got exposed. That's just not how it works, right? Like, I really feel like that's just being petty as hell. Well, if my career's gonna be ruined and I won't be famous for being a TikTok dancing e-boy anymore, then none of you guys get to be famous for doing TikTok dancing e-boy stuff anymore. Like, it's just weird that he was totally cool with all the stuff he's about to expose this entire time when he's been friends with them, when they're making money and getting clout. But the second they turn their back at all, he just decides to dump it all out. That's just kind of cold. Anthony got with Cynthia a week after we broke up on tour. Jaden actively tried to hook up with Dixie at our house on the 4th of July in front of me while she was dating Griffin. Griffin cheated on Dixie with Taylor's ex Kaylin and Bryce's ex's Elle. Jaden and Josh cheated endless amounts of times on Matt and Nessa for the past few months. Keo cheated on Olivia. The only person who has a right to be upset with me is Charlie, and I'm sorry I hurt her. We broke up and I messed up by kissing Nessa. I am not sorry to Josh, because we are not boys, and we have not been boys since he lied to Charlie saying I had an STD 6 months ago trying to get her to stop seeing me. I'm not going to let these hypocrites try and ruin my life without their lives being out on the internet too. And Lil Huddy, listen dude, I don't know what type of corny cringe stuff this is, but at the end being like, me and Josh are not boys. We've been straight up not boys for a while. Like, that's so corny. But really, basically what you're saying is, yes, I messed up and kissed somebody else, and now the internet is calling me a poo-poo head, but everyone else is a poo-poo head too, dude. You are that kid in class that, like, gets caught doing something wrong, you get caught cheating, and instead of just taking it on the chin, you instantly jump up and just start shouting, they helped me cheat, they have the answers too. Like, obviously what he's exposing is wrong, don't get it twisted, but really, you're only airing this because you're in hot water. It just makes you look petty. You know, if he just decided to expose this out of nowhere, that's one thing, but the fact that the entire internet was mad at him for doing basically the same thing, so he just aired out everybody else's dirty laundry is pretty ice cold. But I guess what can you really expect when you give a bunch of like 17-year-olds millions of dollars and put them in LA unsupervised and force them to hang out all the time? Like, did anybody actually expect any of this to not end in an absolute train wreck? Because I didn't. You also have to love how unself-aware these people are of themselves, dude, right? Like, they take themselves so seriously, and their twitlongers literally read like a soap opera script. Nessa and Mads have also been cheating with Josh and their ex, with also Bartholomew is in the mix with the cheating. Like, it's like, dude, how many exes and people's names were in that list? Like, are you kidding me? This literally looks like season 18 of a soap opera that's been on for way too long. And this is supposed to be like kids on TikTok. This has gone way too far. We gotta relax. I think a lot of these people gotta go back to school. Quarantine has to end because they're taking themselves way too seriously. They're out here acting like, you know, they're the most important couple in America, when in reality, y'all are just lip syncing and dancing really good. That's about it. But Charlie did respond to this tweet that's since been deleted. That's the worst part too. Lil Huddy tweeted all this. He called out all these people, exposes everybody, and then deletes the tweet, which is just super beta behavior. But regardless, Charlie did end up quoting it saying, "Stop deflecting your actions onto others because you can't take responsibility, Chase. Want me to talk about how you treated me throughout our relationship, or do you want to just continue to play the victim?" Oh my god, these guys are acting like they're committing war crimes. Why are they being so dramatic? Regardless, you know, Lil Huddy did end up deleting the tweet right after this, which is just super beta. Like, come on, you exposed all of these people. You called everybody out. And then as soon as your ex says, "I'm going to expose you," you delete the tweets. Come on. He didn't even just delete the tweets too. He deleted his entire account. He wanted all the DMs gone, all the proof gone. Like, now he just looks sketchy. And you know, I'm not for anybody getting canceled, but like, from a PR perspective, as somebody that's an internet personality, I guess, this just looks bad. He looks sketchy and shady and definitely not like a good guy. And my other question is like, what TikTokers are gonna wanna hang out with this dude? I would not wanna hang out with this guy. Anything you do at any point, if he gets in a fight with his ex-girlfriend, he's just gonna start dishing it all out on Twitter. Like, yeah, this time it was all cheating and relationships, which is fair to expose, I guess. But how do you know next time he's not gonna be like, "Yeah, you think you're cool? Well, I'll have you know that Ryan pooped in the sink." Like, I don't want people knowing that. You dared me to do it. I was just doing it on a whim, you know? So this probably is gonna really hurt his career, but you know what they say, snitches get stitches or whatever. I'm not a criminal. I wouldn't really know the sayings. Honestly, I don't know what got into the internet. The beginning of this year was super peaceful. There was really not a lot of drama, and like this last month, Gabby Hanna has gone insane, absolutely lost her mind. You know, we have like Shane Dawson getting exposed. Everybody that I thought was invincible was is getting taken down, and now all the TikTok kids want to get in on the action, and they're just doing their best to expose themselves and each other all at once. Like, maybe next all of them are just gonna tweet out all the dirt on each other, and then we'll realize that they're all horrible people. I also don't really know what people expected. Did we honestly expect a 16-year-old with millions of fans to like be a good person? You know, did we expect him not to be a little bit of a douche with an ego? Like, duh, he's 16. He doesn't know anything. He didn't even graduate high school yet, and now he's living in LA, rich, with tons of people telling him how awesome he is. Like, yeah, he's gonna get a little bit of an ego. This is probably a check for him. Hopefully he takes it. You know, Lil Huddy, if you end up watching this, now's your chance to like not be a douche. You can reinvent yourself now. Rise like a phoenix out of the ashes of Charlie just taking a dump on you on Twitter. Regardless, his lip syncing is definitely going to be affected by this for sure. It's the first time we've ever really seen like mega TikTok drama. I mean, there's been other TikTok drama for sure, but this is the first time that I think it's been like on this level and on other platforms. Like, it's on Twitter and YouTube. So yeah. That's kind of what's been popping and opping with all that stuff. He snitched on literally everybody, and then caved the second his ex said she was gonna tell everyone how he was, which just goes to show you that he definitely is a little bit of a pansy who does wrong things and does not want to get exposed for it. But that's all I can say about that. Take this chance, become a little bit less of a douche, and maybe when you come back, you'll get canceled less often. But yeah, on that note, guys, that's gonna do it for the video. Sorry for not uploading recently. I've just kind of been sad, haven't felt like it, so that I'm sorry. I'm gonna try to be uploading more, I really will. But yeah, if you guys enjoyed, I would appreciate you pressing the like button, commenting down below if you enjoyed, turning on those notifications if you're new, and if you really want to support the channel, check out some of the OG Sub Club merch down below. It is super swagalicious. New merch is going to be coming at the end of July, so be sure to keep an eye out on that. And yeah, on that note, guys, don't get anyone pregnant. If you like the intro song, a link will be down below, and hopefully I'll see you guys tomorrow with another video. Don't get anyone pregnant. If you do, make sure they're hot, and I'm out. Peace. Oh, and today's notification shout out goes to Malibu Jack 42. Big thank you for having on notifications. I appreciate it. I'm out. Peace.
What's going on, guys? It's your boy Scrub here, back again with another video. I hope you guys are having a good day. I know I am. If you are, be sure to press the like button. Otherwise, no joke, no scam. You'll never be able to eat cookies again. Yeah, that's right. This video is cursed, and unless you press the like button, well, you're never gonna enjoy a sweet snickerdoodle ever again. Anyways, guys, today I have a story of failure, a story of humility, a story of me not being at my best, aka, trying to sneak out and be all sneaky and have a good night with the boys that ended up just being a disaster, you know? Just one of those stories where you're like, hey, everything that could go wrong did go wrong. This is some real negatory area. Regardless, though, it's hilarious because, you know, me just being a failure is content. I can't even lie, you know? Like, sometimes we have to accept the truth. And me making giant mistakes is entertaining. So yeah, without further ado, let's get into the video. 3, 2, 1, let's get it. Curfews kind of blow, okay? When you want to stay out and do a bunch of hood rat stuff with your friends at 3 in the morning, it's kind of hard when one of your friends, Timmy, has like, you know, a mom who wants him to be in bed asleep by 8 p.m. It can be kind of tough. So in order to get around that, in order to get away with enough mischief to actually consider yourself somewhat successful, every now and then, you gotta take matters into your own hands and sneak out, okay? I don't recommend sneaking out. If you're watching this and you're like, man, I should sneak out of my house, don't do it, okay? Because it's dangerous, all right? Your parents don't know where you are. They know better. However, I'm just saying that sneaking out can come with some pretty entertaining stories. I had this friend named Marcos whose mom was super overprotective, like to the point where this kid was not allowed to have fun. I'm pretty sure it was against his genetic conditioning to be allowed to have fun, bro. I don't know how his mom had a radar for it, but anytime we would be doing anything dangerous or stupid at somebody's house and he was there, like clockwork, she would pull up in her minivan and be like, it's time to go, you know, because she just didn't want him getting in trouble. Obviously, okay, that's a good thing. She just really loved him, but the kid never got to be around when we did anything stupid. When we snuck into the massive neighborhood and broke that girl's window with an orange, you know, and had to run out like a bunch of ninjas, he had gone home earlier that night. The kid just always missed every adventure, okay? And I'm a firm believer in experiences are a good thing, you know? Seeing the world, doing dumb stuff, that's important in your life. If you never do anything stupid, then come on, man, how are you gonna know not to do anything that's more stupid? You see, I was really just training myself for my future. I used to be such an idiot, and now I'm only kind of an idiot. You guys get it. It works out. It's a good formula. Anyways, Marco started to get restless, all right? He was like, man, I want to do a bunch of stupid stuff with the boys. I want to be there next time you guys do something dumb. And so we decide that we're going to have a night of shenanigans. Same thing, different pronunciation. Shenanigans. We're basically just gonna go do stupid stuff that we've always wanted to do that'll probably get us in trouble, and we're gonna break Marcos out of his prison, you know, because his mom was just being a little extra. Obviously, this was not the smartest idea. Like I said, don't sneak out, alright? It's not fun. But if you're gonna sneak out, do it right. You know what I'm saying? I didn't say that. YouTube, if you're listening to this, I'm not encouraging kids to sneak out ever. Regardless, it was a fun challenge because, like I said, Marcos's mom was a little bit crazy. So, she had this security system in the house that was basically made to keep people in, not out, you know? Like, if you were a robber, it would be scarier breaking out of that house than it would be breaking in. She had, like, little chimes on every door and window if they opened that would go off in her room. They had cameras, like,
His mom basically had a fort, bro. Like I said, it was more to keep people in than keep people out. Like, getting into his house, you know, relatively easy, okay? Not that difficult, but, you know, getting out was a completely different story. His mom was a little unhinged, dude. I'm just saying, like, I don't think anyone really wants to spend that much time with your kids. Like, no one's that desperate to get into your house, okay? I really promise. Regardless, you know, we decided that we were gonna have to bust him out if we were gonna go on the night of shenanigans. So whatever, we tell Marcos, all right, we're all black, bro. We're gonna go on a ninja spree. We're gonna go egg some houses. We're gonna go TP some stuff. We're gonna go, you know, just cause some trouble and whatever. We'll stay out all night. We'll sneak you back in. But it's up to us to break him out, right? So we hop over the wall into the backyard of the house and we're like, boom, easy enough. There's no cameras in the backyard. Like I said, most of the security is in the house, which is weird, bro. That means like NSA agents really be getting a real life sitcom just watching this family, dude. I don't want cameras in my house because, I don't know. I just feel like I see some stuff that I don't want to see. Not everything that goes down in my house needs to be seen, you know? Regardless, we go up to Marcos's window and we see that there's like a buzzer thing on the window. And so we ask him how often he opened his window and he says never. So our friend takes a rock and breaks the speaker, but he doesn't like break the sensor, you know? So the sensor won't go off. It won't show as like being broken on the mom's end, like her like master control, whatever the heck. I'm not one of these security experts. I'm not out here locking down the NSA, whatever. But apparently there was a reason to only break the speaker. So we break the speaker, he busts open the window, and we go. And I look back and he had put like stuffed pillows in his bed to make it look like somebody's sleeping there. And I'm like, does she check that you're sleeping? And he says, yeah, every 2 hours, bro. And I'm like, dude, you don't have a mom, you have a drill sergeant. She's doing bunk checks to make sure that you're asleep in the middle of the night. What does she think you're gonna do? Harry Potter Alakazam yourself out? And he goes, well, I mean, I am sneaking out. And I was like, all right, you know, good point. You might have it there. So we get out, we get back over the wall, and we start heading to the park. And we open our backpacks. We're all dressed in black, you know. We're looking kind of ninja-y. We looking swag. We looking like we might be some ancient Japanese honor warriors. And we decide that we're just gonna go a little bit crazy. So we go around the neighborhood of this park and we're just egging houses and TPing with our ninja supplies. You know, we looking fresh. We darting from house to house in the shadows, looking like we got some superpowers like an X-Men, you know? You know how it is. We had that tactical loadout, okay? I'm not even capping. One of us had like a combat vest on that he was pulling eggs out of. It was pretty fresh. I didn't have a combat vest. That was a little much for me, you know? I was just wearing some black jeans and a black shirt. But, hey, do your thing, man. I ain't gonna get in the way. If you got an efficient way to egg houses, good for you. I'm not gonna mess with the system, all right? I mean, having the combat vest, a little bizarre, but, you know, we've all been there, done that, and we're having a great time. However, we're not being as ninja-like as we thought, you know? We might be wearing all black, but we're making noise like a herd of elephants because we just can't contain, like, just, you know, the giggles. You ever heard just a group of people doing something stupid and then everybody's laughing and then you're laughing because everybody's laughing? It's pretty loud, you know? It's a pretty loud thing if you've ever heard it, you know? It's pretty obnoxious. So obviously, as we get into the neighborhood, every neighborhood has the one guy that's like a try-hard for, you know, his lawn care. Like, he's just always sweating over the fact that his grass isn't green enough, you know? And he takes it very seriously. Well, I guess that dude heard us coming because we go up to his house, and the first egg hits the door, and the entire yard lights up, and the front door swings open, and it's like, stay where you are, I got you. You guys think it's funny to go around egging houses? Do you have any idea how much damage you cause? And we're like, oh, shit. So immediately we scatter in every direction because that's what you do. If the lights come on and somebody says stop, you don't stop. That's like, you know, running away 101. The only problem is Marcos is stopped. He's not running. So I run over to him and I grab him and I start pulling him like, look, we gotta go. We gotta go. Except we're behind everyone else now. We are the slowest group. And, you know, there's an old saying, if you're getting chased by a hungry bear, you don't have to be the fastest, you just can't be the slowest, you know? That's also the saying when you're running away from an angry man who is very, very upset about the state of his lawn after you guys threw some eggs at it. So he narrows in on me and Marcos, okay? And I'm trying to be a war commander out here. No hero left behind type beat, all right? Like, I don't want to, you know, get the boys in trouble, so I'm trying to get him away. So we're running. And I said, look, he's old. We have to start hopping walls and just going through backyards. And he's like, dude, I don't know if I could do it. I'm like, look, man, You could do it. You got it. You got a channel within you. So we start hopping walls, man. And I've got some experience hopping walls, all right? You know, like as a skater, every now and then you got to hop a wall to get somewhere, get over somewhere. Like, I'm pretty used to it. Marcos is a little out of practice, but he's pretty athletic, so he's keeping up. We're jumping walls, and after like 5 houses, we're good. We're clear. We're good. We're golden. We're golden. And I hear a bunch of people on the other side of the wall, and it sounds like our friends. So I don't want to yell because we're in somebody's backyard. So I'm like, all right, let's see how far this drop is. And he goes, nah, bro, I got it. And he goes to jump. The only problem is usually on the outside of a neighborhood in Vegas, there's like a taller wall that's definitely a little too far to drop from. So I say, no, wait, we have to see how far it is. But he hops the wall. I hear him hit the ground, and I hear a crack and then like a groan of agony. And I'm like, balls. So I look over, and sure enough, it's about a 15-foot drop from the wall to the other side. You know, like it's like a 5-foot wall on our side in the backyard, but it's a 15-foot drop to the ground. And I look over, and Marcos is like yelling in pain and grabbing his ankle. So I basically hang myself over and like drop myself down the slow way. I don't just decide to jump over a 15-foot wall, you know? So I land, I'm all right, I'm okay. My ankle hurts a little bit, but I'm golden. But Marcos's ankle is basically, you know, twisted in an angle that a human ankle shouldn't be, okay? It's definitely not at a good position where you would go, that looks comfortable and not painful at all. That thing is definitely broken. So here we are after running away from a crazy dude who was pissed that we were egging his house, and we're stuck with the dude with a broken ankle that we have to sneak back into a house with massive security. And by the way, he still has to figure out a way to get his mom to believe that he just randomly broke his ankle and it wasn't like, you know, us running around doing terrible stuff. So we're like, sick. This is a 0 out of 10. So, you know, Marcos looks at us. He's like, guys, I had a blast tonight, all right? This has been a great time. We ran away from a bunch of people. We did a bunch of fun stuff. I had a great time. I don't want you guys to get in trouble, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to get me back into my house, and then I'm gonna fall down the stairs. And we're like, what? He's like, look, I've done it before. I know how to fall down the stairs, make it look like I'm really hurt. My mom will believe that I broke my ankle falling down the stairs. You guys just have to get me back in. We're like, look, dude, if you want us to take the rap, we'll tell your mom how your ankle broke. I don't want you to get in trouble. He's like, no, I'll fall down the stairs. Trust me, I don't want you guys to get in trouble, bro. And it was like a moment in a war movie when he's like, go on, I'll save myself. And you realize that he's serious. You're like, he wants us to go, you know? But this kid is telling us that he's gonna get him, we're gonna get into his house, and he's gonna throw himself down the stairs and make it look like he broke his ankle that way for the boys. And that type of loyalty is enough to bring a tear to my eye. I tear up and I go, Marcos, thank you. I didn't cry, but real talk, man, that's how you know that's a real one, bro. If you're willing to throw yourself down the stairs to make the boys not look guilty, that's some next level loyalty, man. So we get up and like we basically limp him back to his house, dude. And it's probably 3 in the morning. We get him back into his window that has the broken speaker, and we're like, all right, man, good luck. He's like, all right, guys, get out of here, you know? So we get out of there, dude, and it felt like a spy movie, like we're walking away from the explosion that the person's gonna cause. We're just waiting. And sure enough, we see lights start to flick on, and we can basically hear his mom being like, oh my God, your ankle. So we all go home, bro. We get out of there, and sure enough, on Monday, on when we go to school, Marcos is there with the cast, bro. He's got his crutches. He's walking around, and he's, you know, a hero, dude. The boys treated him like a hero. He took the fall, literally, and he wasn't actually too mad, which is surprising. I feel like if I got coaxed into going somewhere and then broke my ankle, I'd be a little bit salty, you know, but maybe that's just me. I'm a salty guy. Regardless, though, it is a pretty fun time. There's just something cool about feeling like you're getting away with something, like feeling you're sneaking somebody out of Fort Knox, you know, a federal penitentiary, breaking 6ix9ine out of jail so he can balance to the rap game, you know, stuff like that just makes you feel dope. But, yeah, Marcos, you know, I'm pretty sure he watches my videos. If you're still vibing out and watching these like you said you were a little bit ago, thank you, man. I hope your ankle feels better. You got me a good story. Real talk, though, I don't advocate for sneaking out, okay? But if you're gonna do it, be safe about it, all right? Like, don't be dumb and be like, yo, let's sneak out and go to Compton, because that's not gonna end well, you know? Like, use your brain. You guys are smart. You guys know what you're doing. Be smart about it. Real talk, though, that loyalty can't be replicated. If you have friends out there that would be willing to do that for you, keep them around, man. Good friends are hard to come by. So if you got your boys, you know, if you got people that are ride or die, keep them close, bro fist them whenever you can, because trust me, good friends are not easy to come by. Like, I can promise you guys that. So keep your friends close, boys, and yeah, always be willing to throw yourself down the stairs for the boys, I guess. And on that note, that's going to do it for the video. Hopefully you enjoyed. If you did, be sure to press the like button. Check out the merch at the Teespring store down below. It helps out the channel a ton. If you're new, turn on notifications. If you turn on notifications and send a screenshot to me on Instagram, which is @Scrubby, I give a shout out every single day to somebody. And today's notification shout out goes to the awesome, fantastic Meme Zone 12345. Big thank you for having on notifications. Like I said, go to the Teespring store, check out the No Joke, No Scam merch, and yeah, on that note, have an incredible day. Don't get anyone pregnant. If you do, make sure they're hot, and I'll see you guys next time with another video. I'm out. Peace. What's going on, guys? It's your boy Scrubby here, back again with another video. Hope you guys are all having an absolutely fantastic day. I know I am, and if you are, you need to press the like button. Otherwise, no joke, no scam. You'll get kidnapped by the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and be forced to eat sewer pizza for the rest of your life. Yeah, that's right, ladies and gentlemen. It is, in fact, imperative that you press the like button unless you enjoy a good sewer pizza, which if you do, I'm not judging. Anyways, guys, what's going on? Today I have a pretty interesting story for you guys involving teachers jumping out the windows, okay? Yes, I guess some classes are actually bad enough where the teacher takes a look out the window and says, a 40-foot fall is still better than dealing with these creatures, and jumps out. You know, every now and then I guess that happens. And the subscriber who sent me this story said I could tell it, so that's what I'm going to be doing. So big shout out to you guys. And yeah, without further ado, let's get into a class so bad that teachers are literally willing to jump out the window. Let's get into it. So I had a history teacher that had just moved here from China, you know, and he was a really nice guy, but he didn't really have that focusing gene. There wasn't much inside of him that made him super adept to staying on track while teaching the class, you know. He was that teacher where you could walk in and be like, hey man, did you see the new Avengers movie? And the next thing you know, you spend the next hour learning about, you know, how Tony Stark made the ultimate sacrifice instead of what you're actually supposed to be learning about, which is really, really, really great if you're a kid who knows how to distract people and get them talking, but not very good if you're a teacher whose job relies on your performance, you know what I mean? So the class doesn't really learn much because we're always distracting him and avoiding doing work as much as humanly possible. And the guy, obviously not super used to American school systems because he had just been teaching in China for 20 years, isn't really aware of the fact that, like, you know, we're just messing with him to basically avoid learning things we're actually supposed to be learning. Because one day I walk into class and the dean is sitting there, and it was supposed to be one of those like, surprise, we're gonna pop in and watch the class to make sure that your teaching methods are going good. And I don't think that the teacher kind of realized it was coming because he is beet red and like shocked, all right? He is literally just sitting there like, oh no, out of every class the dean could come watch, it has to be this one where I have spent the last 8 months teaching these kids how to style their hair like Beethoven featuring TikToks. Anyways, the dean watches that class and leaves, you know, and we don't really think much of anything of it. We didn't change how we were behaving at Hall, so we still weren't paying much attention. We were trying to get him off track, and the poor guy is like doing his best to keep this class under control. Now, me personally, I was trying my best to stay quiet and be better, but what I'm saying when I say we were loud, like the class was loud. The class didn't change what they were doing. I tried my best to, you know, be on my best behavior because I don't want my teacher to get in trouble, especially the one that lets us do whatever we want. You know what I mean? But whatever, the dean leaves and he's pissed because his class was just like super loud and not very good in front of the dean. Like it did not make him look very good. So he was like pissed that we weren't paying attention and made him look bad in front of his boss. And he says, you know what? That's it. I want to jump out the window. Like, you guys are so disrespectful and you guys are trying to ruin my job. Like, the one time you guys could have acted like a normal class when my boss was here, you guys couldn't even do that for me. All you care about is yourselves. You guys are so selfish. And one of the kids in the class who thought he was a comedian decides to go over to this window, and it's like on like the second story of the school. I don't know why they are allowing those to open. I feel like that's a really bad idea. Letting windows be open on like the second floor of the school is probably not the best. So whatever, the kid like thinks he's being funny. He sticks one leg out the window and he goes, oh, I'm about to jump, like to try to make the class laugh. And you know, everybody's laughing and the teacher's getting more red because he now, you know, he's thinking that we're making fun of him saying that he's gonna jump out the window. So he like pulls the kid out of the window and then jumps out the window, like jumped out the window, just boom. And then the weirdest part is, when after jumping out the window, you think there would be like screaming or people freaked out, but the entire class is like dead calm, all right? This man had just calmly said, "No, child, please step away from the window. It's time for a man to do what a man has to do," and then jumped out the window. And I guess they were on the second floor, but like the reality of it was that he had stepped and basically fallen like 3 feet onto this little overhang thing that blocked the rain from getting on you. So he jumps out the window, and the entire class is just standing there looking at him, and he's just standing there. And instead of coming back in the window, he just goes, "I'm done," and like walks off and crawls down, somehow gets down from this little overhang thing and like left that day, just doesn't come back. And so the entire class is kind of in shock and not responding at all. And I think that's why the class doesn't freak out, is because you don't expect your teacher to just be like, "All right, boys, I'm out," and Tifu out the window and like just not return, just I'm leaving, I'm done. I can't believe that you guys are so disrespectful. Like I don't want to deal with this anymore. I would literally rather jump out of a window than ever deal with teaching you kids again. I think that would make me shut my mouth too. I ain't gonna lie, that's a little bit of fear put inside of my Jimmy Johns. But the weirdest part is, after jumping out the window and basically quitting his job, walking away, I walk into class the next day expecting to see a sub or, maybe the dean coming in and being like, "I'm taking over since you guys are, so far behind where you're supposed to be because your teacher has been teaching you nothing but, Marvel Cinematic Universe secrets instead of, whatever we're paying him to teach you. Like, so now I have to come save the day." I was expecting something, but nope, sure enough, sitting right there in his chair is the teacher again and acting like nothing happened. He doesn't say anything to the class. He doesn't, go, "Hey, we have to address the elephant in the room." Like, we didn't just witness this grown man jump out the window and leave the school because he was so fed up with our class. No, he's just acting like nothing ever happened. So he's just sitting there, and the entire class comes in and is shocked that the guy is here, and it gets really quiet. He says, "All right, are you ready to start the class?" And everybody, myself included, most of the good kids are like, "Yeah, all right, things have gone a little bit too far. I like to mess around as much as the next guy. All right, I really enjoy talking about Marvel movies as much as the next guy, but I don't want this poor man to like lose his job and have his life ruined because I really like talking about superheroes, okay? I'm a good enough person to do that. The only problem is not everybody in the world is a good enough person to do that. There's a lot of people out there that are like, "Man, I don't really care if this bro has to move all the way back to China. That's not even my problem, dude. My problem is I don't want to be here, so I'm gonna cause some issues." So obviously this dude is stressed out, and the two kids that caused the most problems in this class, like bless their heart, it was pretty entertaining most of the time, but the two kids that would always take it a bit too far and just make it not funny anymore, like the type of people that would walk in, see this man close to a mental breakdown, and then laugh and get ready to ruin him even more, yeah, those kids weren't there yet. So they walk in about a minute late, and the door was still open. So the teacher says, "Hey, Matthew, can you close the door?" And Matthew was with his friend Peter, and Peter was African American, and Peter, in a fit of like trying to make a joke, I really don't think he was trying to cause this dude to have a mental breakdown at all. I really don't. I think he was just trying to say a harmless joke. He goes, "Oh, can I not do it because I'm black?" And the teacher, in his infinite wisdom, snaps and goes, "Yes, it's because you're black. Now sit down." And I don't know if the teacher really meant that or what, but all I know is that someone happened to be taking a Snapchat at that time, all right? And as soon as they realized what they had just recorded, they saved that video. Not a very nice thing to do. This poor guy, dude. I wonder what he's up to these days. I hope he's sitting back in China with a class that loves and respects him and gives him foot massages on the daily, because the person who gets the video decides that they're going to report it to the dean because the teacher was being racist, which, I mean, look, it's dumb, but I really don't think that it was like that. Like, I think everybody was just making a dumb joke, except the joke happened to not be a very funny joke because it's not something funny. But you guys get the idea. So she goes to the dean and reports him for being racist. And this poor guy gets in trouble and gets suspended from teaching his class for a week. And at this point, I'm like, all right, guys, it's kind of not funny anymore. I get it. Yes, it's crazy that he jumped out the window. It's crazy that he just got suspended. But when he comes back, maybe we should just listen, let him teach his job, and, stop causing problems. Because the girl who had give the video to the deans had purposely cut the audio so you couldn't hear him laughing afterwards and being like, "Oh, yeah, I'm just kidding." Like, she had cut it off so it just sounded like, randomly he's like, "Yes, you're black." Like, out of nowhere, it snapped at it. So the context is removed, and, like, he probably should have gotten in trouble. But the girl definitely made it worse than it actually was in reality, and the kid who he said it to wasn't even that mad at all. Like, he was like, "Oh, whatever," and like went and sat down. Like, it was not that big of a deal to anyone except the girl who made it a big deal. So the guy comes in after being suspended for like a week or a couple days or whatever, obviously upset, knows that our class reported him, knows that our class got him in trouble, knows that anything he say is probably being recorded, knows like this poor guy really can't catch a break. So he starts trying to teach us, and sure enough, the kids in the back who like really don't care at all start talking and interrupting him and causing all these problems, and this grown man, guys, starts crying. He starts crying and he's like, you guys never listened to me. Back in China, my students were so much more respectful. Like, I don't know why you guys are so rude to me. I don't know what I did to you. And I feel horrible. I've been trying to behave my best ever since I realized the guy was really having a rough time. But I definitely like laughed at some of the stuff that's going on. So I feel like a terrible person because I'm just over it, you know? And the guy's like, I'm over this. Like, I can't teach in America anymore. I'm going back to China because I can't handle this pressure, grabs his stuff, walks out the door, like slams the door behind him, and we just hear him like crying walking down the hallway. And that was the last time that I ever saw my teacher. So basically, my class caused a teacher to have a mental breakdown, jump out the window, come back, try to make things normal, get in more trouble after that, came back, didn't get listened to again, had a mental breakdown, and literally moved to China. So the moral of the story is that my class was so bad I made somebody move back across the world. Yeah, not too proud of that one. Anyways, guys, that's gonna do it for the video. Hopefully you enjoyed. If you did, be sure to press the like button. Let me know in the comment section down below what you thought of the video. And today's notification shout out goes to the one, the only Luca Big Pants. Thank you for having notifications on. If you guys want a notification shout out, turn them on. Send a screenshot to my Instagram at Scrubby or my Twitter at Scrubby_69. And on that note, have yourselves a beautiful day. Cop some merch if you want. Use code Scrubby at the G Fuel checkout. And I'll see you guys next time with another video. Don't get anyone pregnant. If you do, make sure they're hot. I'm out. Peace.
What's going on, guys? It's your boy Scrubby here, back again with another video. Hope you guys are having a great day. I know I am, and if you are, be sure to press the like button. Otherwise, no joke, no scam whatsoever. You will be kidnapped and taken to an underground laboratory where they will test you like the lab rats from the Disney XD series Lab Rats, and you'll become a bionic teen who lives in a basement. If you guys can't tell, I've been spending some time on Disney Plus, but when I haven't been spending time on Disney Plus, I spent a little bit of time talking to my dad the other day, and he told me a story about how this spoiled girl he went to high school with way back in the 80s ended up totaling her brand new car because she was trying to show off in front of everybody. And yeah, you know, anytime I hear a story about spoiled people getting a comeuppance, it's a story that I'm gonna have to tell, so I'm gonna be sharing it today. So without further ado, let's get into it.
Or to celebrate. It's not good. Nice rack in her ass Brazilian. Just turned 21, but my bank's a million. Swear I'm a little drunk, but it's a hell of a feeling. Got
Alright. So I guess even back in the day, back in the Stone Age when my dad was in high school, there were still spoiled kids who were getting things that they didn't deserve. And even back then, there were people in high school who loved to flex their parents' money. And I guess there was this one girl at their school who, for the purpose of this story, I'm gonna name Rebecca. And Rebecca had a dad that owned one of the casinos down in Vegas. My dad grew up in Vegas as well, so he owned one of the casinos down in Vegas, so obviously he had a little bit of the bands because, let's be honest, gambling is fun and people love to spend money on it, and on top of that, there's a bunch of people that are addicted to it, so it's a pretty good business to be in. So he had a bunch of money. So of course, when his daughter turned 16, he bought her, at the time, I think it was like 1982, a 1982 Camaro, which was super cool at the time because it was like one of the first times that I think it might have been the first year that like the third generation Camaros existed. That's probably doesn't mean anything to a lot of you, but it was a very cool car at the time, very futuristic, high tech, and he had bought it for his daughter, and obviously everyone at school was pretty wowed by it. So the daughter, being who she is, loved the attention because she was one of the people who just adored thinking and feeling like she was better than everybody, you know? She would go out of her way to make sure that like things at the school that were named after her dad because of the money he donated were like pointed out to people while they were in class. She would always talk about how she was in charge of planning prom and how, you know, her dad was going to handle everything. Like, she just loved feeling very, very, very important. So obviously when everybody was kind of gathered around looking at her new car, because it was like one of the first times people had ever seen that type of car before, she loved the attention. And one day she's kind of flexing in front of everybody, and one of the guys who had gone to that school said something along the lines of like,
wow, that's a really beautiful car. It's a shame that you don't know how to drive it. And he wasn't saying it in like, oh, you're a girl, you don't know how to drive it way, but no 16-year-old actually knows how to handle like a performance vehicle. I don't care what your argument is, okay? I don't care how much NASCAR you've watched. Chances are you don't actually need like a muscle car as a 16-year-old. If you want it, it's cool, I guess, but you're driving 35 miles per hour to school and back, so it's not really necessary, but whatever. She's kind of like, oh, do you want to see what it can do? And the guy's like, nah, you probably couldn't handle what it could do. And so he's kind of egging her on, baiting her into trying to like rev the engine and do a bunch of dumb stuff. And obviously she's buying into it. She doesn't like looking like, you know, a little bit of a wimp. No offense. Oh my gosh, that's so offensive. She doesn't like looking like a wimp in front of everybody. So when this guy's kind of calling her out, being like, I don't think you can handle it, kind of like making her look like she can't drive, she's like, oh yeah, well, guess what? Like, I'll show you how to do it. You know, I can drive this thing. It doesn't matter. So she hops in the driver's seat as she's showing it off in the parking lot to everybody. Because, like, for whatever reason, people had gathered around her car in the morning just to look at it, which seems weird, dude. I don't know if back in the 80s before smartphones, people just had a lot more time on their hands or what, but like, I would never want to be gathered around somebody else's car just looking at it in the morning, ever. I never did that in high school. I was never like, gee willikers, let's go look at Dan's 2014 Corolla, guys. Wowee. Like, even if somebody did have a brand new muscle car, there's no way I would ever be gathered around it just like looking at it. That's a really weird thing to do. But hey, I guess back in the Stone Age, people did things a little bit differently. So whatever, she gets in the car and is like slamming on the gas, and even when she's backing up, the tires are burning out. She's obviously like a little bit flustered and nervous and embarrassed to like try to show off. So whatever, one last time somebody is kind of like, you know, you don't have to do this, and she like looks at them, everybody, and she's like, shut up, you guys know I can handle this, like whatever, your dad just like can't afford to get you a car like this, so you guys just don't know how to drive it, but I do. Like, she starts going off when everybody's saying that she doesn't have to do it because she's uncomfortable, saying how they're all poor and dumb, and like that's why they think that she can't handle it, but trust me, she can handle it. So everybody at that point is kind of like, all right, this is clearly a bad idea, but since you just want to call us dumb for not having a brand new Camaro, by all means show it off since you're such a great driver. So she like pulls off onto the street in front of the high school, and my dad said it's a pretty straight street, like it's straight, you know, there's not any turning that needs to be done whatsoever, and that's gonna be important in a bit. And sure enough, she like puts the car in park and tries to, you know, make it burn out and go really fast, and she starts to go really fast, and this is on a straight road, let me remind you that. She literally just has to keep the wheel straight, and she's gonna be okay. So she's going straight, and she's going faster and faster and faster, and as she gets past the school, for whatever reason, she starts to turn right, but she's going very fast, so when she turns right, the car goes a lot harder than what she expected. So she goes, and the front wheel like hits the curb, and the car is going fast enough that it kind of like lifts up. It doesn't flip, but it kind of like pop, the tires hit the curb, and it like flips the car slowly kind of up and then slowly on top of itself. Like, it flipped, but not in a very like Lightning McQueen-esque way. You know what I'm saying? It like hit the curb, kind of popped up, balanced on the hood for like a second. That's probably a little bit dramatic, but you get what I'm saying. Like, it just slowly kind of flipped on top of itself, and like the tires are just spinning. It's this huge dramatic sound because it's like because it still sounds insane, even if it happens slowly and doesn't seem that crazy. A car flipping is still absolutely bonkers, and the entire school is just kind of sitting there. And keep in mind, this is like the morning, so school hasn't even started yet, bruh. It's bright and early, and there's already a flipped over Camaro that everybody just witnessed crash. So a bunch of teachers that were in the parking lot, because they weren't there yet, rush over to the car, and the girl gets out, and she seems fine. Like, my dad said she had bruised, and she was pretty shaken up, but she was relatively okay, and they're like, oh my god, what happened? And she just starts screaming about how, like, everybody at this school was stupid, you know, trying to blame everybody, saying that she was pressured into doing it. Like, of course, it can't be her fault, you know. It can't be her bad that she felt this need to show off because some guy got under her skin, bro. And that's just for anybody. Never let anyone get under your skin and make you do stupid things, because if they make you do stupid things, you're the only one who's really gonna suffer. Like, the person who's baiting you into doing it doesn't really care whatsoever. But sure enough, she's freaking out. The school has to call, like, the police. They get an ambulance just because she was pretty bruised and like shaken up, and so obviously it's this big drama. Everybody all day is talking about it, but they're not talking about it in a very like, aw, you know, everybody's kind of making fun of her in a way like, oh my gosh, did you guys see what happened? Because everybody knew that she was okay. So the next day comes and this girl comes to school. Sure enough, she gets dropped off by her dad bright and early, and everybody is kind of like watching her and kind of whispering as she goes by, which sucks. That definitely sucks. But when you try to flex in front of everybody and make yourself look dumb, I don't know, play stupid games, win stupid prizes, it starts to become the rule that comes into effect. Really just gotta understand that she kind of deserved it. So she's all embarrassed, and sure enough, like, through the day, she's hearing bits and pieces of the story, and high school did what high school did and exaggerated the story, and she finally is kind of like talking to her friends and is at lunch, and as somebody walks up to her and asks if she's feeling better, and she's like, no, I'm not feeling better. I got in a car accident and crashed my brand new car trying to impress all you idiots. Like, this is the day after she's fine. Keep in mind, this person, I don't know if they were trying to be funny and be like, how are you feeling today or what? But regardless, if somebody comes up to you and is like, hey, how are you feeling after your car accident? Screaming at them being like, I crashed my car, is insane. And even beyond that, once again, that's still on you. Like, you crashed your car trying to impress everybody. I mean, that's just dumb. You just don't need to impress everybody. I'm gonna be honest. If people are like not liking you and they're gonna like you after you make car go vroom, they're probably pretty dumb anyways and not worth trying to make like you. You know what I'm saying? Like, personally, I'm just not gonna bother trying to waste my time with people that are gonna sit there and go, dude, you didn't make car go vroom, so you not cool. But sure enough, she freaks out, which doesn't make it better, because when you freak out on people trying to be nice to you, it just makes people even less nice to you. Like, people already weren't exactly on her side, and her just deciding to spurg out and fight everybody who was just trying to wish her well backfired a little bit more than she thought. Hey, who would have seen that coming? I don't know. Maybe just everybody with brain cells. But that's the best part about spoiled kids sometimes. They don't have any brain cells, and that's what we call good content. On that note, though, guys, that's going to do it for the video. Hopefully you enjoyed. If you did, be sure to subscribe, turn on notifications so you never miss a video. I upload videos like this every single day. I've been posting my story highlights of older videos on TikTok over at Scrubby Stories, so you guys should go check that out. I've been trying to grow it. No pressure, though, if you don't. Other than that, my Instagram is @Scrubby, Twitter's @Scrubby_69, and you guys should go get yourself some of the OG Sub Club merch before it's gone forever. The main channel is actually starting to grow again for once. This channel is still in repair mode, guys. I'm working on it, but it'll be there one day. So go check out the merch if you want. Christmas is coming. I'm going to take it down when the main channel hits 2 mil, but it'll be there till then. And yeah, other than that, guys, thank you so much. Go ahead and comment the word big rock down below. Comment the words big rock down below if you've made it this far into the video, just to prove that you're an absolute unit. And yeah, hopefully I'll see you guys tomorrow with another video. Don't get anyone pregnant. If you do, make sure that they are hot. And if you don't, man, then that's just kind of on you, and your kid might end up crashing their new car. I'll see you guys next time. I'm out. Peace.
What's going on, guys? It's your boy Scrubby here, back again with another video. Hope you guys are having a great day. I know I am. And if you are, be sure to press the like button. Otherwise, no joke, no scam. You're going to get someone pregnant, and they're not going to be hot. Yeah, that's right, guys. If you don't press the like button, you're going to get someone pregnant, and they're going to be straight up fugly, and you don't want to risk it. Anyways, guys, today I have a story from my time working at a grocery store. You guys really love whenever I post one of these videos talking about my time working there, and honestly, I can say that, like, as much as this job sucked, it sucking has given me so much content for this channel, so I really can't complain. But basically, this dude went off on me in the parking lot while I was getting shopping carts, and I'm still not really sure what he was mad about, to be honest. Even after all these years to process it and think about it, I'm still really not exactly sure what he wanted me to do. But regardless, crackheads going off on kids is always funny, so yeah, without further ado, let's get into it.
Last year, I was on my way down. I was stuck, yeah, I couldn't find a way out. I wear off-white.
So, working in a grocery store in Las Vegas, Nevada isn't too fun in the summer. The average temperature here, like at noon during the summer, is no joke, like I'm not kidding, about 120 degrees Fahrenheit. Let me do a conversion for all you Europeans out there real quick with the handy dandy Google. Basically, on average, like 48 degrees Celsius on any given day during the summer. And I don't know if you've ever been to an American grocery store. I don't know if it's different anywhere else, but at least here, there's like a massive parking lot in front of this department store shaped thing, and there's these corrals that have these carts in them, and throughout the day people fill them up. Obviously, like, you're probably wondering why I'm explaining the most obvious thing in the world. Everybody knows that there's shopping carts at grocery stores, but during the summer, it was my job every now and then to go outside and have to collect these carts from these corrals and bring them inside. The only problem is you're baking on a blacktop that's reflecting all of like this heat off the ground into you, and the sun's beating down on you, and it's already hot as hell. And for some reason, our uniform was black jeans. So you're sweating profusely all while having to move like hundreds of pounds of carts around a parking lot. It's just not a good time. So whenever it was summertime and you would get assigned to go out on the parking lot and like fix the shopping carts and bring them in, it was miserable, and we would all bring headphones and just like hope not to have heat stroke while pushing shopping carts. Basically, it was just all you could do is hope for the best. And I had a manager in particular that really didn't like me on one Saturday, I happened to be working with this manager, and this manager, like, whenever a manager didn't like you, they would keep you on the lot, which is what we called it, as long as humanly possible. So I had already been on the blacktop for like 3 hours, and I had just got on my break, and I only had 2 hours left until I got to go home, and like, it was a miserable summer day. So I come back from my break, and the manager is like, hey, I need you to go back on the lot because blah blah blah's hand hurts and they can't do it. And I'm like, well, I've already been out there for 3 hours, and like, I feel like I'm more sunburned than a piece of fried chicken, so can we just not right now, maybe? And the manager obviously doesn't like my answer and is like, no, you need to get out on the lot. Don't disrespect me. Like, I should send you home right now for that. And honestly, that's not a threat. Like, sending me home instead of sending me out to sweat profusely, like, I'll take those odds any days. But for whatever reason, I'm like, all right, whatever. I'll go back out on the parking lot. So I'm back out on the parking lot, and like I said, I have headphones in. And most people that would come in and park and go into the store can probably tell that I'm a 16-year-old kid sweating my balls off, taking in shopping carts in 120 degree weather. I don't want to talk to you. I have headphones in. Just leave me alone. And for the most part, people were pretty cool about it. And even when people did need to talk to me, they would usually be pretty understanding if it like took a second to get my attention. So I'm in the parking lot of this like store just getting these shopping carts. And most of the time at night, it could be kind of scary in this parking lot, but during the day, there was nothing to worry about. But I guess the crackheads on this day in particular were feeling like exceptionally brave, because I see this dude who's just talking to himself, you know, typical crackhead stuff. He's just kind of walking around, and I'm going and I'm doing the carts, and I kind of realize that he's following me. Like, he's staying an aisle or two of cars away from me, but he's staring at me, and if I move, he's moving, but staying just far enough away. So I'm kind of like, well, that's weird. I've never had a crackhead stalking me while I'm organizing shopping carts before, but I guess there's a first for everything. And I'm just still trying to do my job, and I'm listening to music, and like, I guess after a bit of noticing him following me, I just forgot that he was there, so I'm doing my job. And the only reason I know that he ended up still following me is because something like pulls on my shoulder a couple minutes later, and I turn around face to face with this very burly man that has not brushed his teeth in a long time, and I get a whiff of what smelled like diaper, you know, just straight up diaper. I don't really know what else to say that it smelled like. It smelled like he ate a diaper. Like, that's really the only way to explain it. And I'm not trying to make fun of the guy, okay, but when somebody grabs you and like spins you around to be face to face with them after creepily watching you do your job for a bit, I feel like I have some room to insult the guy, okay? Everybody in the comments, why were you making fun of a crackhead? Yeah, all right, well, you weren't the one grabbed by the crackhead, so shut up. That's all I'm saying. So like, I'm face to face with this crackhead dude, and his mouth is moving, but like, I listen to my music pretty loud. I probably have the hearing of a geriatric 65-year-old man at this point, but I'm listening to music loud, so I can see his mouth moving, and I can make out some words like over the music, you know? And I basically see like my daughter in the cart, so I take out my headphones, and I'm like, huh? And he's grabbing me, and he's like kind of shaking me, but
you know, with that crackhead strength, so it's like jarring. My brain is shaking around in my head, like, you know, I don't know, what's something that shakes around a lot? Macarena? So whatever, I take out my headphones and he's asking me what I did with his daughter in the cart, and I'm like, what are you talking about? And he looks at me, he's like, you took my daughter. And you know, I'm not saying that I have the best memory ever, okay? I definitely think that I can forget stuff sometimes. I'm a forgetful person. I've never denied that. But what I will say 100% is that I'm pretty sure I would remember stealing a child. On the list of things that I would remember, that's kind of up there near the top of the list. Like with, you know, the time that Subway sandwich ran out of bread, and Pearl Harbor, and 9/11, never forget that. But like, you guys get the idea. Basically, I didn't kidnap a kid. I'm 97% sure. At this point, though, maybe I'm questioning it. Crackhead man here is speaking with some passion, and maybe I am a kidnapper, low-key, and I just don't remember. It's my alternate personality, Stavos, who is now apparently into human trafficking while also working at a grocery store. I'm not too sure how this works. So I'm kind of like, what are you talking about? And he proceeds to tell me that he has a daughter that lives in our shopping carts, and every time we come out here on the parking lot, we take her. And it's now that I realize that there is no actual child. Thank goodness that this person is not raising anyone. Could you imagine, like, your dad is just, you know, the crackhead that lives in the parking lot of a grocery store? But the thing is, most people would be like, you don't have a kid, stop, like, why are you bugging me? But I'm not trying to make a crackhead mad, because the only thing that's scarier than a crazy crackhead is an angry crackhead. That's just some solid advice from somebody that's been around the block a couple times when it comes to dealing with crackheads. So I'm like, I didn't move your daughter. I wasn't the one out here earlier today. Like, I straight up lied to him, you know, because he's a crackhead and I don't feel bad. So whatever. And he's like, oh, okay, well, who was out here? And I'm like, okay, well, this girl was. However, she did tell me where she put the shopping cart with your daughter. And his eyes get all big and he's like, can you show me? And I'm like, yeah. So I go back to one of the like cart corral things that I had done first, and somebody had already put one cart in, and I said, see, look, we left the one just for you. And he's like, oh my God, yes, look, she's right there. Isn't she adorable? There was nothing in the cart. There was literally nothing. There was just air, but I smiled and was like, yep, she looks just like ya, because when the crackhead's happy, you just gotta let him have it, all right? You don't want to start arguing with them. So whatever, I reunited a family, you know. I'm not trying to say that I'm an American hero, but I definitely am. So whatever, I finish my carts and I look over and like homeboy is straight up talking to this empty shopping cart, and I think that's inside of it, but I go back inside, and maybe like 5 minutes later, I'm bagging groceries again, thankful to be inside, about to clock out. So like, the way it worked, we would be off at a certain time, but we had to get approval from our manager to leave, which is just like the worst thing ever. So I was supposed to be off at 9. It's like 9:15 now. I'm getting really, really annoyed because, you know, I'm just straight up not vibing with the work vibe tonight. I'm not gonna lie, I definitely was not very nice to this manager either. Like, they had reasons not to like me, but that's another story. And I'm just sitting there and I'm kind of looking at the manager and I'm like, can I go home yet? And they're like, wow, we're in a rush right now after this rush. And there was no rush. There's nobody there. And then I hear a voice from over my shoulder and it sounds kind of familiar. And I look over and it's Crackhead Guy. And he's like, are you the manager? And the manager's like, yes, because, you know, this guy looks like a crackhead. Her eyes are all wide, not really knowing what's going to happen. And he proceeds to say how, like, I was so helpful outside and helped him find his daughter and all this stuff. And she's like, oh my gosh. Yes, you know, we love Ryan around here. He's so helpful, which, you know, is ironic considering that you hated me the entire time, you stupid manager. You don't get to take credit when I'm awesome helping crackheads find their imaginary kids, okay? But on the bright side, as soon as he walked away, she let me go home because I was being nice to customers or whatever. So thank you, nice crackhead man, for coming in and telling my manager about your imaginary daughter so I got to go home. Moral of the story is, if you help crackheads find their imaginary kids, you get off work early. I'm pretty sure that's what that is. It's also stay calm because, like, high key, crackhead strength is terrifying. Like, if homeboy would have gotten mad, I definitely could have been on the news as the next guy who got his face eaten, and I'm very glad that I was not. But on that note, guys, I think that's going to do it for the video. Check out the OG Sub Club merch down below, and if you like the intro song, a link will be in the description as well. It's me and the boys SoundCloud rapping. You know how it is. Out here really on that hashtag Lil Swaggy stuff.
That was terrible. Anyways, guys, today's notification shout out goes to Ferris Morty 63. Big thank you for having on notifications. If you want notifications, shout out, turn them on, send me a screenshot to my Instagram at Scrubby. Follow me over there too. Twitter's at Scrubby_69. And yeah, on that note, don't get anyone pregnant. If you do, make sure they're hot. I'm gonna go save a crackhead's imaginary baby now, and I'll see you guys tomorrow with another video. I'm out. Peace.
What's going on, guys? It's your boy Scrub here, back again with another video. Hope you guys are having a great day. I know I am. Today I've got a story time I've been saving for a bit about a super Karen that I encountered at the very end of my days working at a grocery store. This lady ended up going crazy over something I've literally never seen anyone get upset about, literally crying over spilled milk, and ended up punching out my manager because we didn't have a store policy for what to do with like literal spilled milk on the ground to donate it. But regardless, I figured it'd be a pretty entertaining story, so without further ado, let's go. Alright, so as I said, this is my encounter with Super Karen, which was basically an amalgamation of all that is Karen, you know, just trying to cause as many problems as possible, trying to get everyone in trouble. And this entire interaction started on a pretty busy day right before Easter. You know, any holiday that we had at a grocery store, it would tend to get absolutely nuts right before the holiday. Everyone's trying to get their food, and as a result, there was a lot more spills, and I ended up getting called to a spill in the back aisle. When I get to the back aisle, my manager was kind of standing by the spill. It was my favorite manager I worked with, and you know, since it's busy, he didn't want to take a chance of someone getting hurt, so he had put down a wet floor sign, but was going to stand there while I mopped it up just to tell people to avoid it, so that way nothing happened because it was just so busy. And the spill itself was no big deal. It looked like somebody had just kind of like done gallon smashing, which for some reason was a stupid trend where people would like smash milk on the ground. I don't really understand why that was a trend, but yeah, for like, you know, a little bit of a period when I worked at this grocery store, some kids would come in, smash milk on the ground as a joke, and run out, and like, it's really not that big of a deal. It's more annoying than anything. But I'm just kind of cleaning up this milk spill while my manager is standing there, and he's just kind of telling people like, hey, watch out, there's liquid, don't fall, blah, 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 blah. And I kind of zone out and just start mopping because I know my manager's there, so I shouldn't have to talk to any customers, right? And as I'm literally spilling up spoiled milk or spilled milk, I hear an angry voice say something like, what are you doing wasting the milk? And we were near the dairy section, obviously, that's why the milk was here, so I didn't think that they were talking to me, you know, like, I'm not wasting anything, I'm cleaning something up off the floor, so I just didn't even register that, like, the person could possibly be talking to me, you know? It was kind of my job to mop up spilled things. I didn't consider it wasting to pick up stuff that had been on the floor, but that's when I hear it again, like, what are you doing? You're wasting the milk. And I look up, and it's the most Karen-looking woman I've ever seen. The haircut, the pose, the attitude, you know, just like the aura around her wanted to speak to my manager. And she's just kind of staring at me. And I look at my manager and he looks at me and we look at her and we're kind of confused. And my manager says like, oh, he's just cleaning up this spill. You know, we're not wasting anything, which was the truth. But apparently this Karen did not like that answer because she starts yelling at me and my manager about how like, there's so much food that gets wasted in America, you know, and this milk is on the floor, but it's still perfectly good for someone to drink, which it's just not, you know, the amount of shoes that walk on this floor every day, I'm telling you, you don't want to drink or eat anything off of it. But then she says something incredibly dumb, which is that we should have gotten a squeegee and like put it back into a bottle to donate to somebody. And I'm literally so flabbergasted at the stupidity of that statement that like, I can't reply. I heard stupid stuff all the time in this store, you know, but the idea that we were going to squeegee literal spilled milk into a bottle and then give it to someone was weird. Who was gonna take that, you know? Like, hey man, do you want this floor milk that we managed to wring out the mop into a bottle for you? Like, no one's gonna want that, and on top of it, I'm not spending my time squeegeeing loose liquid back into a bottle. I've got better stuff to do. Like, imagine trying to scrape liquid off the floor into a bottle and then taking the time to turn around and donate it. Literally no one's gonna take it, like I said. Like, even if you tried to give it to somebody, they'd be like, I don't want floor milk. And it's disgusting. Like, you're probably gonna get someone sick and get sued if you try to scrape milk off the floor and then give it to them. But the sheer stupidity of the statement leaves me speechless, and I just don't even reply to the Karen because I'm so shocked about how dumb it is. And my manager is more confused than me, but you know, he's the manager, so he has to do the talking, and he says something along the lines of, well, we don't donate damaged items, and the milk is on the floor, so it's contaminated now, so we can't donate it. And like, he kind of said it like that that, so it kind of sounded mean, but he wasn't trying to be mean. I think he was just genuinely confused on what she was asking. Like, he's trying to be nice, but how can you politely tell someone that they're a moron for trying to drink milk off the floor? You would think at that point, though, the Karen might have had like a light bulb moment and been like, oh yeah, I guess it would be pretty weird if you pulled milk off the floor, put it back in a bottle, and then gave it to somebody. But instead of having a light bulb moment and being like, oh yeah, that was dumb, she kind of starts going off even more and arguing with my manager, saying that like, we need to donate to the less fortunate, you know, and the fact that we were just willing to mop up milk and waste food products showed that we didn't care about people. Which, listen lady, it's my job at a grocery store, I'm not here to care about people. But on top of it, completely unrelated, the company did donate a ton of the food. Like, the corporation that I worked for worked with local charities to donate stuff that was about to go bad. I didn't have anything to do with it directly, you know, it wasn't my organization. But the idea that like we didn't donate any of our food to anyone was kind of ridiculous. And he says something along the lines of like, well, we have a corporate policy for donating food, but we don't do spilled milk or spilled product or damaged product because it's a health hazard. And this Karen is just not letting it go, bro. You think at this point she'd realize she's not gonna win and move on to her grocery shopping. Like, don't you have Easter to shop for? But no, she just keeps lamenting us for wasting perfectly good dairy product, which, keep in mind, is milk on the floor. And finally, my manager is just kind of getting irritated and tells her like, well, you don't have to like the store policy for it to be the store policy. There's nothing I can do. You know, you can continue with your grocery shopping. We're just cleaning up this mess. Which, you know, he wasn't trying to be mean, but like, this lady had been sitting here arguing with us for minutes now. I'm almost cleaned up with the mess. I don't know what she wanted us to do. But whatever, my manager's kind of like, we're just cleaning this up, you know, it's not a big deal. And she storms off pissed. And I finish cleaning up the milk. I take the mop bucket back. I drain it. You know, I poured all the milk from the mop down the drain. Sorry, lady. I know I could have given it to somebody, but alas, I didn't think anyone wanted mop bucket milk. And I go back up to bag groceries. You know, I was kind of the person where like, there's a spill, I go clean the spill, I go back to my normal job. And it was a pretty busy day, as I said. So after 2 hours, I had kind of forgotten about the Karen encounter. I had just like had to get to work. So I ended up going on my break 2 hours later. And as I'm walking from the front of the store to the bake room, which is in the very back of the building, I see the manager from earlier, and he's kind of by the milk. So I decide to make a joke to him about the Karen from earlier. It's been hours, she shouldn't be in the store. And so I see him and I say, oh, what are you gonna do? Spill some milk so we can squeegee it and donate it? And it's just not a very funny joke, right? Like, it's not a big deal. I was just literally making a reference to what had happened earlier. It had just popped back into my mind and it had been hours, so I thought it was good. And my manager looks up and he smiles and he goes, yeah, that was pretty crazy, huh? I can't believe that lady wanted us to donate milk from the floor. He doesn't call her crazy, he just says the situation was crazy. But as the words, you know, that situation was crazy comes out of his mouth, I hear possibly the worst thing I could have heard in this moment, you know? And it's the Karen's voice screaming, I knew I would catch you talking about me. And like, I want to think it's a different Karen. In my head, I'm literally thinking, there's no way this lady is still here. The entire interaction was hours ago. Unless she was literally trying to stay in the store and take as long as humanly possible, there's no way that this same Karen is still here. But I have my back to the noise, and I look at my manager, and I see that he's turning like ghost white. And sure enough, I slowly turn around, and it feels like something out of a horror movie, because as I turn around, I realize it's the same Karen. I don't know why she was still in the store, but she had stayed in the store for 2 hours, and I don't know how she knew where I was or that I was going to say something, but yeah, she had somehow managed to be right there when I started talking trash about how crazy she was. And listen, I was just trying to make a joke. You know, we didn't talk about customers a lot. It was just such a weird experience, and me and this manager got along, so I was just trying to make a joke. And I have this thing that's like a personal thing. Not a lot of people have this problem, I hope. If you do, then you'll understand. Which is, when I'm uncomfortable and like the situation's awkward, I just start laughing. There's nothing I can do. I just start giggling. And I obviously start laughing because the situation is weird, that this lady was here for 2 hours to hear me talk trash. So I'm just giggling at the situation. I haven't even said anything yet. And obviously, me laughing at the situation doesn't do a ton to calm the Karen down. I wasn't trying to be rude. It was just so uncomfortable that I'm like giggling just out of like, this is so awkward. And so, you know, she starts yelling at me that like, she's gonna have my job if I think I can walk around here and insult customers. And the fact that I think it's funny I got caught shows how immature I am. And I'm definitely laughing. And I'm not trying to be immature. Just like, it was so uncomfortable in that moment and so awkward
that I just couldn't help it. And I'm still laughing as she's yelling at me, saying she's gonna have my job and da-da-da-da-da. And I start trying to apologize, but I'm laughing. And so it doesn't come off as genuine, you know, and to be honest, I really wasn't that sorry because like the entire situation was crazy, but I'm trying to apologize and it's just coming out really bad because I'm like, I'm so sorry. And she's like, are you? And I'm like, yeah, I'm so sorry. And she starts screaming that clearly I'm not sorry because I'm laughing at her. And I mean, to be fair, if I was pissed off and somebody was laughing, I probably wouldn't think they were sorry either. So I just look at my manager like, please help me, man. I have no clue what to say in this situation. I'm screwed. There's literally like tears starting to be in my eyes because I'm just laughing. And my manager looks at me and then looks at the lady and he decides to go with a very hard sell. And he says, we weren't talking about you. Which, you know, bless his heart, it's obviously a very awkward situation. You don't really know what to say. However, you know, what other milk lady are we possibly making fun of? You know, it's not like this happened on the regular. But he sticks with it. She's like, oh, you weren't talking about me? And he goes, no, man, we were talking about a different customer, actually. And she's not buying it because it's a really, really hard thing to buy. Obviously, we were, but in that moment, I can't blame him. That's basically a pure panic decision right there. You know, it's not like he's thinking through how stupid this sounds. He's just like, oh crap, we were talking about a customer. The customer's right there, and this is awkward. I mean, imagine calling a customer from a few hours ago crazy just to find out that they had stayed inside the store and followed you around just to get pissed. You're gonna have to do everything you can to get out of this because clearly that person is crazy. Doubling down and calling them more crazy isn't gonna fix anything because, I mean, they've clearly got nothing better to do other than just walk around a grocery store and just wait to fight with the workers, you know. But my manager tries to do the whole we're not talking about you thing and she's just not having it. Karen is, you know, dumb enough to think that we should donate floor milk for some reason, but not dumb enough to think we weren't talking about her. And so she starts going off to my manager about how, you know, in all of her years, she has never had an experience with a manager like him who would dare to badmouth a customer, blah, blah, blah. And listen, dude, here's the reality of working retail, okay? If you've ever been annoying in a store, chances are the people talk trash about you after you leave. It's not saying it's like the best thing in the world, but yeah, if you come into a store and start screaming at people, they're gonna be like, oh, that lady was crazy, huh? And what made it really uncomfortable is my manager isn't a horrible guy. Like, this is the only time I've literally ever seen him say anything about a customer. And of course, it's when he like is right next to her. So, you know, he doubles down and he's like, we weren't talking about you. This is a big misunderstanding, but I'll give you 10% off your entire order. You know, like, here's a coupon. I'm sorry for the misunderstanding and I'm sorry for upsetting you, which I think is a pretty fair offer. You know, there's literally no way this lady is going to think that we're not talking about her, but clearly she had hung out in the store for the last 2 hours to follow us around, wait for us to say something. And so giving her 10% off is probably like, you know, the least you could do for her trouble. I know that sounds stupid, but hey, if you want to sit around the store for 2 hours and start freaking out about stuff, you can have 10% off, you know, as long as you leave. But she says that that's not good enough. That 10% offer, no. She needs free food. And my manager at this point looks at me and I'm looking at him and I'm like, this is all you, bro. And he starts telling her like, I can't offer you free food. That's literally not something I can do. Like, I do not have the power to just let you walk out of here with your groceries for free. And she starts screaming about how, like, you know, well, apparently you and your employees can talk trash about me, but you can't give me free groceries, which is kind of funny because it's like, I mean, yeah, like that, sort of. And at that point, I'm still laughing and I knew we're in trouble anyways, so I confirmed that to her. So you can talk trash about me, but not give me groceries? And this was stupid to say and I shouldn't have said it, but I said, yeah, kind of. And at that point, you know, I knew it was stupid, so I look down and just get ready to get yelled at, and she starts going off. Did you hear what that young man just said? He just said that that's basically what you guys do here. This is why I deserve free food. I can't believe you would let him talk to a customer that way. And my manager looks at me and says, go to the break room. And I know I'm in trouble. I know I'm going to get yelled at. I'm like, all right, I'm out of here. You know, I don't need to be told twice to get out of this situation. And I start to walk away. But as I'm walking away towards the break room, which I'm close to, I like feel movement, you know? And I hear the Karen say something about like, oh, no, you don't. You're not going anywhere. And I kind of put 2 and 2 together and realize that like, well, if I'm hearing movement and Karen says I'm not going anywhere, she's probably coming at me right now. So I just take a few more steps forward, right? And as I'm like taking the steps forward a little faster, I feel something
grab onto my shirt, but doesn't get like a hold of it, but something grabs onto the vest that I have over my shirt. And I turn around and Karen is standing there like grabbing my vest thing. And I'm like, ah, man, this isn't good. I'm under attack. I'm not really like afraid of the situation, but obviously it's not too great that I'm on my way to the break room and Karen's grabbing onto my shirt and I just don't know what she's gonna do. And at that point, my manager is like getting really annoyed and he yells at the Karen. He's like, let go of him now. Which, to be fair, the Karen does let go. You know, she lets go of me and I kind of take some steps away just because I don't know what this lady's about to do. But she turns away from me and turns to my manager and she goes, are you gonna defend that worker? And he goes, I'm not saying what he said was right, but you can't grab him. Which, you know, that's his job as the manager, is to protect his employees. And her response to that is to literally swing on my manager instead. Now, I'm not saying that Karen is out here like Mike Tyson, you know, I'm not saying that she absolutely laid him out, but I will say she definitely had some speed to her punches, because she connects the first punch, then another fist comes in, and then back to the original fist, and she gets 3 punches in about 5 seconds. And they're not enough to like knock my manager out, but it's definitely enough to like discombobulate him a little bit, and he kind of like shakes his head and just looks at her and goes, did you just hit me? Like he literally can't believe what just happened. And Karen says, yeah, and I'll do it again. And at that point, you know, I kind of start to get between them. He's backing up. Random people from the store start to get between us and are like, whoa, you're way out of line, you know? And they start telling her, like, who do you think you are to be smacking people? And she starts explaining that we had been talking trash or whatever, and like none of the other customers around are understanding. Because yeah, even if they are, it's not a sense that you can like just smack a random dude in the face. And she, instead of like, you know, apologizing or leaving at that point, tries to double down even though everyone's telling her she was out of line. And she's like, well, I wouldn't have hit you if you would have donated the milk. And I'm like, we're back to the milk, you know? I thought we were on the fact that we were making fun of you thing, but she's still upset about the fact that we didn't donate this damn floor milk. And my manager at that point has just had enough. And he looks at the lady and he goes, look, you need to get out of here because I am calling the cops. And at that point, she doesn't need to be told more, you know? I don't know if the cops knew who she was, if she didn't want to like see her old friends or whatever, but she doesn't need a warning other than that. As soon as my manager is like, you gotta go because you just hit me, you know, she's out. And she literally starts like sprinting out of the store. She leaves her cart there, you know, the cart that had apparently been rolling around the store for 2 hours, and she just dips out of there, which, you know, I will say, pretty quick to abandon the cart considering how much work went into it. This was like the longest grocery shopping trip I had literally ever seen a customer do, just hours of walking around. The cart itself, there was frozen items from when she had first come in the store. The frozen items had literally like stopped being frozen. That's how long she was just walking around the store. And at that point, she's gone, and I go up to my manager, and I'm like, are you okay, man? What was that? And he's like, I'm fine. Are you okay? And I'm like, yeah, she didn't hit me. She just grabbed my vest. So, like, are you okay? And he says, yeah, but we're going to have to go talk to the store manager. And the store manager was the guy, like, in charge of the whole store. This was just the front, like, floor manager guy. I don't know if that makes sense. If you've ever worked in a grocery store, you know there's, like, levels to managers. There's manager above a manager above a manager. But, you know, we go in and we tell him what happened. And, of course, the store manager is giving me crap for saying the comment and da-da-da-da-da. And I'm the first to admit, you know, I shouldn't have done it. I should have just kept my mouth shut, you know. I'm not going to sit here and defend what I said. But at the same time, I didn't think that she was going to play Mike Tyson Punch-Out with my manager. You know, I thought I might just get written up and that's going to be the end of it. Regardless, the store manager starts like going over the security footage so he can kind of see what happened, and he starts looking in so he can make a report about it. And sure enough, we're watching this lady just kind of walk around the store for 2 hours after the milk incident. And this lady is basically stalking my manager. Like, she's staying just far enough back where she can see him and hear him, but like is trying to not, you know, attract attention to herself. And she's like looking at stuff on the shelves and putting it back, like just literally staying in the store trying to listen to him. And listen, I get that we shouldn't have talked trash about the customer, yeah, whatever. But who has that much time, bro? Like, she literally is just standing around a grocery store following my manager around, waiting for him to say something about her crazy behavior about the milk, just so she can be like, you should donate the milk. No, even if we shouldn't have talked about the customer, you know, donating the floor milk, still a stupid idea. I will stand by that till the end of time. I'm not squeegeeing liquid back into a bottle and donating it to anyone. And it's so ridiculous watching this all go down that even our manager starts to make fun of it a little bit, you know. He's still angry at us because you're not supposed to talk about customers, especially on the floor, but he's like, okay, yeah, clearly neither of you thought she was going to be in the store, and clearly neither of you thought she was gonna start throwing hands at people, you know? I did get in a little bit more trouble than my manager because he literally did nothing wrong, but like even our store manager is looking at this situation like this is wild. So he watches the fight go down, and at that point he's like, all right, we're gonna ban her from the store. They didn't have an incredible picture of her, you know, security cameras for whatever reason are still in like 360p, dude, you know? Sure, my iPhone can shoot a 4K video, but hey, security cameras, 360p is apparently all you need. And he prints out a picture and hands it to security and says that, like, you know, if this lady comes back, she's to be removed, blah, 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 blah. She attacked a manager, be on the lookout, yada, yada, yada. And honestly, that should have been the end of it, right? Because, like, whatever, you're just kind of banned from the store. But about a week later, I come into work and I see my favorite manager, the one I'd been punched in the face, and he goes, Ryan, she came back. And I'm instantly like, no way, no, she did not. I literally could not believe it. And listen, the way that being banned from the store works, like, yeah, okay, technically you're banned, but for the most part, we're not walking around like checking IDs and making sure. If you come back into the store and you calmly shop and no one sees you, you're pretty okay. Even if we see you, if you're calm and you're not freaking out, we're probably not gonna say anything. But apparently she had come in wearing sunglasses and a hat trying to hide her identity, which, you know, we're not the FBI. Like I said, if you come in and don't cause a scene, no one's gonna notice. But she comes in, you know, all incognito mode. She's got sunglasses, she's got the hat, keeping it low key, and she sees my manager. And you would think she would be like, the last thing I should do is go talk to the guy that I punched because he'll definitely recognize me. And especially in combination with the hat and sunglasses, it looked like she was supposed to have been laying low, or that's what he told me anyways. Like, if you wanted to lay low, you just wouldn't say anything. But I guess she couldn't help herself because she ends up walking up to my manager and starts yelling at him, asking if he had made a new policy for donating damaged goods. And my manager is like, wait, are you the lady complaining about the spilled milk? Which is hilarious, you know, never cry over spilled milk or whatever, and here she was crying about it. And she confirms it. She's like, yeah, I'm back. Did you think that you were never gonna see me again? Well, think again. Da-da-da-da-da, I'm here until you change your policy. And as she's going off about how she's back and he's never gonna get rid of her, my manager literally just gets on the intercom and goes, security. And security comes over and he's like, yeah, this lady's banned from the store. And she's like, I'm banned from the store? And he goes, yeah, you know you're banned from the store. And has security escort her out, which is especially funny because that literally like never happened, bro. Like I said, for the most part, if we ban someone, nobody knows who you are, right? The literally only way you have to get kicked out and embarrassed by the security and thrown out in front of everyone was to go up to the manager and try to fight him again. And listen, it's just not that deep, dude. We can't give milk from the floor to people. Even if we could, I don't think we would because it's just kind of like not cool to be feeding people floor milk. I really do not understand her obsession with this, bro. I really do not. Either way, Super Karen ended up getting removed from the store. That was the last time we ended up seeing her. I don't know if she did come back and like not fight anyone or what. I'm gonna assume after she got removed by security, she just found a different store to shop at. But all of this could have been avoided by, you know, A, not caring about the fact that I was mopping up spilled milk, or B, just not attacking the manager. And listen, like I said, I shouldn't have said anything, I was just trying to make a stupid joke to my manager about the situation from earlier. But yeah, either way, I hope wherever that Karen is, she ended up figuring it out, you know? Maybe for all I know, she opened the world's first ever milk charity that takes milk from the floor and gives it to hungry people. If that is the case, I would love to see some scientific data on how sick everyone who drinks the milk gets. But hey, whatever floats your boat, Karen, I just hope you're happier out there, and I really hope that you haven't decided to take your combat skills on any more managers since then. Regardless, guys, I think that's gonna do it for the video. Hopefully you enjoyed. I just thought this would be right up your alley and something you guys would enjoy. So if you did, you should press the like button. Seriously, it helps the video do better. So go press the like button right now. I'll count to 3. And while you're down there, you might as well comment and subscribe and turn on notifications. I post videos like this pretty often, so if you don't want to miss out, subscribe. And if you really want to listen to these offline without gameplay, whatever floats your boat, I do post them on Spotify. That link will be down in the description down below. So if you want to check that out, listen offline without gameplay, like I said, that's an option. But yeah, on that note, guys, I think that'll really do it for the video. Don't get anyone pregnant. If you do, make sure they're hot. I'm gonna go squeegee some milk into a bottle and donate it to a charity now. I'll see you guys next time. I'm out. Peace. Alright, what's going on, guys? It's your boy Scrubby here, back again with another video. Today I've got a story time for y'all from a time I was at the skate park and witnessed one of the weirdest things I've ever seen between this goth kid and his mom. So yeah, without further ado, let's get into it. It should be a good one.
I'm getting quiet now. Laying low when you reach zone, wiping down, making out, stack the brain.
Alright, so like I said already a little bit, today's story time takes place at the skate park that I would hang out most often after school, where, you know, me and my friends were kind of what you would call the regulars of the park, and I don't mean that in a way that, like, we had any special privileges or anything. There was just a group of people that would be there, you know, once, twice a week, people that you just kind of knew that there was the possibility of being there. We would go after school and just kind of hang out, do our thing, and I'm not trying to make it sound like I was Tony Hawk or anything. I was never insanely good at skateboarding, but I just kind of liked hanging out at the skate park. I liked to skate, so it was something that we would just go do after school. And every now and then somebody would pull up that wasn't a regular, and like I said, it wasn't a bad thing. We wouldn't say anything. We wouldn't treat them differently. You just were kind of like, oh, you're not usually here after school, you know, because there was a group of people that were always there. And on this particular day, it was me and all my friends from school and a couple of kids from the other school that were usually there, and all of the sudden this group of people pulled up, and I could only describe them as like hot topic goth kids. And listen, there's nothing wrong with that. To each their own. You know, if you want to dress like a hot topic goth kid, by all means go for it. I had a little bit of an emo phase I'm embarrassed of too. That being said, it was just kind of evident from like the second that they stepped into the skate park that they were a little bit more focused on fashion and just kind of looking like skaters than like actually riding the skateboards. You know, and it became obvious to me that that was the case when I overheard them saying that like they would try to learn how to ollie and kickflip, but they had looked it up and realized that if you learn how to ollie and kickflip on a skateboard, that you were going to scuff their Vans, and they didn't want them to get scuffed at all. Which, listen, man, if you're afraid of messing up your shoes, skateboarding's just really not the hobby for you. There's nothing you can do about it. Like, if you're going to do anything on a skateboard, your shoes are just going to get messed up in one way or another. So that was kind of the vibe right away, and they were just kind of standing in the way of stuff we were trying to skate. You know, they weren't too familiar with the rules of the skate park, and we weren't trying to have any beef. We were just kind of dealing with it. No one was saying anything because obviously it's a skate park. It's not our skate park. We have no right to like tell anyone they're in our way or anything because we don't own it. But regardless, one of these times one of my friend went to do a trick and like accidentally went near one of them and said, "Oh, I'm sorry." And the response to "Oh, I'm sorry" wasn't like, "Hey, it's cool." They hissed at him instead, literally like a And listen, man, like I said, we weren't trying to have any beef. We weren't trying to fight anyone. They were just being really weird about like having us be at the skate park, even though, you know, we were just trying to use it the same way they were. And, you know, they just kind of had this energy about them of like, stay away from us, you know, or we'll hurt you. Like, they're literally hissing at my friend for accidentally getting near them and then being like, "Oh, I'm so sorry." Like, we really were not trying to have any issues. And on top of them looking tough, like trying to look tough, we were really confused why they were trying to do that because they had brought their moms with them. Yeah, that's right. You know, Hot Topic crew and the gang had literally brought their moms to the skate park to like watch them skate, which, listen, there is absolutely nothing wrong with that, man. I love my mom. But here's the thing. You can't be like rolling around the skate park acting like you own the place, you know, hissing at people, like just having an attitude about it if your mom is also sitting right outside of the skate park watching you, man. Like, listen, you're just not doing anything to make yourself look more intimidating. Like, I understand the situation. Maybe your mom said you can only go to the skate park if I come. That's all right. Everybody's been in a situation where they're a little embarrassed, bro, but you can't be acting like a tough guy hissing at everybody while, you know, mom and the gang sitting right outside with juice boxes and orange slices. Regardless, the emo kid that had hissed at my friend was like over and over again trying to land this ollie down this two-stair in the park. It was a pretty wide two-stair, but he just couldn't get it. And so my friend's kind of watching this, and he was annoyed that he had gotten hissed at because, you know, he had been trying to be nice, and now he had decided to be petty. And I'm not saying that I supported his decision to be petty. I told him it was a stupid idea, but he was kind of like, all right, next time he messes up, I'm just gonna go ollie down the two-stair. So he watches him do it, he messes up, and my friend just goes and does it first try, which I will be completely honest, you know, I'm not gonna defend my friend. That's just kind of a douche move. Like, listen, so is hissing at somebody when they try to be nice and apologize, but overall, there's just kind of this etiquette at a skate park that, like, if you see someone trying a trick over and over and over again and you can nail it first try, you just shouldn't. It's not like it's against
against the rules or anything. Like, it's not like it's written down, oh, you can't do a trick if somebody else is trying to do it. But, you know, it's just kind of rude because if he's been trying it for 20 minutes and you go up and do it and make it look easy, you're basically saying he sucks, right? But whatever, my friend goes and he ollies down the stairs right after he messes up. And he's just trying to get back at him for hissing. I don't agree that was the right move. But the emo kid gets really, really mad about the fact that my friend just did that. And instead of hissing at him again like he's in the Cats musical or something, he decides this time to just throw his skateboard at him. And obviously my friend had known that what he was doing was like probably gonna cause a problem, so he had been waiting for the guy to say something or do something. So he was ready for it and thankfully jumps out of the way. But at that point they're like, oh yeah, you want to fight, bro? You want to fight? What's wrong with you, man? Or, you know, my friend at least thought it was about to be a fight, because as my friend is going over to like fight the kid who threw the skateboard at him, he gets pushed out of the way by the kid's mom. The moms had been outside. Obviously she wasn't just gonna watch all this go down. And at that point my friend and everybody else in the skate park was like, ah, great, my friend's about to get yelled at and he deserves it, you know, like he did kind of start this. We're gonna have to go diffuse this situation. Goodness gracious, you know, we all expected her to just start reaming into my friend for like going and doing the trick and causing all this. But instead she just kind of like pushes my friend out of the way and goes up to our son instead. And she's like, why are you throwing the skateboard at people? What's wrong with you? You know, like, are you serious? That's it. We're going home, young man. I'm not gonna sit here and watch you throw things at strangers. And she's just kind of tearing into him about how like inappropriate that was and how she's gonna take him home. And listen, obviously, you know, throwing your skateboard at somebody's not very nice. Was it the most extreme possible reaction to what my friend did? Yeah, but like, you know, my friend did still kind of do something a little douchey. Sure, is it ever okay to like punch someone in the head if they steal your parking spot? Absolutely not. 100% no. But you could probably be a little upset. Obviously though, like when she's screaming at him, we're all laughing because how could you not? These kids have been acting all tough, hissing at us, you know, threw a skateboard at my friend and his mom won't let him fight. She like pushed my friend out of the way to come yell at him. And on top of it, it's even funnier because we all know that like my friend didn't start it, but like definitely did not help by doing the trick right in front of him. But of course, the goth kid is kind of like in the middle of getting yelled at and he hears us laughing and he decides that he doesn't want to just like look like a baby and not be tough. So he decides to, you know, threaten his mom, which I'm not understanding. That doesn't make anyone look tough. But he's like, Mom, if you don't get out of my face right now, then I'm going to knock you out. Like, I'm not playing. You're not going to embarrass me in front of all these people after they just did what they did. Like, get out of my face or I swear I'm going to knock you out, Mom. And at that point, all of us are watching and all of us are like, whoa, relax, bro. And we start kind of going over there to push them apart. You know, we don't want to watch anybody like punch their mom in the face. That's not what any of us are here to do. We're just here to skate. Like, listen, you want to fight my friend, whatever. Like, until it's really bad, I'm not getting involved. But, like, I'm not gonna let you just knock out your mom. And especially because you just shouldn't fight your mom. Especially if you're just doing it to like prove that you're tough to us. Like, what's wrong with you, man? Listen, I think everybody could agree that like at some point in your life, your mom has made you insanely angry, okay? But never once in my life has my mom pissed me off and I've been like, hey, maybe the good old 1-2 combo would be very good, you know, Mike Tyson punch out. Like, I've never had that approach to my parents making me angry, you know, especially if it's like Mother's Day or something. I'm not like, here, Mom, I brought you a knuckle sandwich from Subway. Like, I just feel like certain things are just supposed to be off limits. Fighting your mom is one of them. Regardless, we're all telling him to relax and we start going over there to try to be like, hey, bro, there's no reason to do this. And as we're walking over there, his mom kind of like puts her arms out in a way that's just like, stop, you know? And so we just kind of stop in our tracks because we didn't know what to expect. We didn't know that like she was gonna stop us and tell us she didn't need help or anything. We thought she'd be at least a little bit scared, you know, or at least like want him to get away from us. But she looks at her son after he says this and tells us to stop and says, all right, you know what? You want to be so tough and threaten to hit your mom? Go ahead and do it. But if you punch like you threw that skateboard, then I'm not scared at all. And obviously we're all like, oh, that was not what we were expecting her to say. And the kid's response to that is to kind of ball up his fist and go to swing on his mom. But as he's swinging, his mom like grabs his arm and pulls it back down and is like, oh, that was a big mistake, young man. And like his fist is now down by his side again. And she takes her other hand and she grabs his ear and drags him by his ear. Not like literally, like he's walking with her. You know, when someone's like, ow, ow, pulling on the ear, drags him over to his skateboard and picks it up and then just starts pulling him out of the park. And we're all standing there watching this like, what is going on, dude? His mom had just gone full Keanu Keanu Reeves from The Matrix, predicted the next attack move like an anime character and then deflected it like a Pokemon using Protect, dude. Like, literally, I'm gonna hit you. You can't hit me. You hit like you throw a skateboard, then you suck. He goes for it, just grabs the fist. Big mistake, pal. You know, I don't know if his mom was literally like just some kung fu master or whatever. Haha, you tried to defeat my shield. At your power level, you forgot that my mom training makes me impervious to people weak in the martial arts field. And then she like just Doctor Strange disembodies him to the shadow realm, you know, where'd he go? Nobody knows. Either way, we're all just kind of standing there not believing that we just witnessed this lady block a punch with the ease of like spelling your name in cursive once you've learned it, you know, and she's just dragging him out of the skate park with her skateboard in one hand, or his skateboard in one hand and his ear in her other hand. And as she's kind of going out to the car, she's talking to the other moms about how like kids will be kids sometimes and she's got to take care of this, so you know she'll have to talk to them later. And oh, his dad's not going to be happy when we get home. She's just talking about it like it's a relatively normal situation, you know. You'd think there'd be like some embarrassment, like, oh man, wow, I can't believe my kid just did that. I'm so sorry. I'm out of here. Nah, it was just like, hey, Tuesdays, am I right, Jimmy? And what really confused me too is that none of the other moms seemed shocked or surprised at all. They were just kind of talking back like it's a normal Tuesday as well. Like, oh, okay, well, you know, I guess we'll see you later. These things happen. Let us know how it goes. Send a message to the group text later. Oh, when your kid tried to swing on you, what happened? Gee willikers, see you next week on Dragon Ball Z. Just like it was completely normal, which was very confusing to me because I did not realize that this was something that most people were out there doing. The son mom like boxing arena league, whatever. Like I didn't know that was a thing, and it probably should not be. I don't know what type of secret crime fighting club these ladies were a part of, but clearly they were tougher than everybody that was currently at the skate park, bro. They probably could have taken a 1v20 of a battalion of angry soldiers with just like how laid back they seemed about everything that had just gone down. But whatever, you know, it was very bizarre, but they end up into their car and they end up leaving, and we're like, all right, well, I guess they're gone. The kid's not here to fight with us or hiss at us anymore, so I guess we're cool. Anyways, me and all my friends are just standing in the skate park like, what just happened, you know, because obviously it's not something that we witness every day, and the rest of the moms start like gathering up the rest of this little emo group, and they all get ready to leave too, and not like quickly after all this has gone down, we are now the only people left in the skate park, dude. It was as if they had come here to stage that little performance of whatever that was and dip. And so they're all leaving and everyone's just still kind of standing there processing what happens. But now that they're not around to hear anything, we start making jokes about it and are like shocked about what's going on, you know, and we're all having a great time. Like, oh my gosh, dude, we just fought a vampire cult from Twilight. Like, what just happened? Like, did anyone record that? You know, everyone's just kind of memeing around. And as we're laughing and joking about it, one of my friends goes, hey, shut up. And he points at the parking lot. And obviously, you know, when someone says shut up and points at something, you're gonna take a look over. So I turn that direction looking in the parking lot, and I'm gobsmacked because I'm like 80% sure that the car that the goth kid that had tried to fight his mom and his mom had gotten into and driven away was back, you know. Obviously, like, different cars can exist that like look the same, but we were pretty sure it was them, and we're kind of like, why are they here? You know, are they coming back to fight us with a crowbar or something? Like, what is happening? And it's just kind of parked in the parking lot for a bit, and you know, the longer it's there, we're either thinking they're either really pissed off or it's a different car. And finally, after staring at it for a bit, the passenger door opens and the goth kid gets out and starts walking over to us looking embarrassed. You know when someone's just kind of like walking like they're not happy, you know, like with whatever they're about to do, they're just not too thrilled with it. That's just the vibe that he is very, very strongly giving off. Almost as if he's being forced, you know, his mom's told him that he needs to come back here and talk to us or something, and he just was like, please don't make me do this. But regardless, he's kind of walking up, head down, and he stops about 25 feet away from the park entrance, and he's just kind of standing there looking at us, and we're looking at him, obviously. And then we hear like the car window rolling down, and his mom yells out the driver's window. She's like, you better go over there or you're going to be in big trouble. You know what happens if you don't go over there and apologize now. And you know, you can kind of see him thinking about it for a second, almost weighing the options between just running as far as he can and changing his name, or like going in and just dealing with it. And he reluctantly walks into the skate park, and he walks right up to my friend that he had thrown the skateboard at, hissed at, you know, the one that they had been kind of beefing with each other. And he says, hey man, I'm really sorry about throwing the skateboard. I'm having a rough day, and I'm sorry I took it out on you. But he's not saying it like, listen, it could have been a genuine apology. You know when it sounds like someone's reading a script, though, that like someone told them to say, hey man, I am really sorry for throwing the skateboard. It will not happen. I had a bad day. And so my friend's like, okay, obviously his mom's kind of putting them up to this. So he goes, it's okay, man. You know, I kind of knew that you weren't going to be happy when I did the trick right in front of you. And the emo kid's like, yeah, well, you know, my mom said if I didn't come apologize that I was going to be grounded for 3 months, so I guess I've apologized. And my friend looks at him and like, obviously, you know, these two guys don't love each other. He goes, well, you probably shouldn't have tried to swing on your mom. And the emo kid doesn't even deny it. He's just like, yeah. And then he just stands there, dude. And when I say he just stands there, I mean like he's just kind of looking at us, and we're all looking at each other and looking at him. And you know when something's just so awkward and silent that like you can hear your breathing, you know, you're hearing people's clothes moving. If you listen too carefully, you can hear like your blood flowing through your head. It's just that silent, and everyone's just kind of standing there for what should have been the most awkward minute ever. And then he just kind of turned and walked away. And as he's walking out, he gets to like the gate, right? And he turns around, and obviously we're all looking at him, and he's like, can I say one more thing? And we're like, yeah, man, go for it. You know, at that point, you've already said enough weird stuff. This can't get any weirder, so whatever. Say whatever you gotta say, get it off your chest. Sorry, dog, go bark. And so then he kind of puffs up his chest a bit, and he looks like he's about to say something really, really serious, deep, you know, just the most intense thing ever. And he's like, you are lucky that my mom was here. Otherwise, I would have destroyed you like I have the enemies of my past lives. I'll have you know that I was in charge of an army at one point in many lifetimes ago, and you're lucky that she was here to save you. Otherwise, you would have felt the wrath of all of the training that I've received throughout all variations of my past lives. Do you understand that my mom is the only reason you are not facing me in combat right now? And everyone's just kind of standing there like, what in the world is he talking about? And we don't know what to say, so we're just kind of like, okay, all right, man. How do you even respond to that? Like, obviously, we wanted to be like, hey, dude, you've kind of gone crazy, but, you know, how do you reply to, like, you're lucky my mom was here, otherwise I'm an interdimensional multiple lifetime wizard that would have destroyed you? Like, oh, thank you for not destroying me? Like, I don't know, man, you're still threatening to destroy me. It's not like you're saying you didn't wish to destroy me, you know? If you are some interdimensional multiple lifetime wizard, then, like, you're insanely mad over literally nothing. But, of course, after he says that, he just turns and literally sprints as fast as he can over to his mom's car and hops in. And I mean literally sprinted, didn't even like lightly jog, which to me was weird, you know, because if someone's had multiple lifetimes of combat experience and led an army, I don't know why they would be like sprinting away from a bunch of kids that didn't want to fight and don't know how to fight. Even if we all wanted to jump in, bro, it would have been like the Wiggles trying to beat somebody up. It just wasn't going to go very well. I don't know about the Wiggles fighting people. Maybe it would go crazy. Like, we did not want any beef in the first place. We were all cool until you started hissing at us, and even then only one of us decided to be petty. It wasn't like the whole group wanted any problems. Not to mention, dude, it's kind of cringe to go off about how tough you are, you know, and how you've had multiple lifetimes of army experience when you are also literally being brought back to the skate park by your mom that you tried to swing on and she blocked you, which, you know, super cringe for like someone that's apparently an immortal soldier. And on top of that, dude, like you got brought back by her to apologize. I don't know, man. I don't know many interdimensional multiple lifetime soldiers that also apologize for like getting angry. You'd think they would just be like, haha, you silly human, you do not understand which of that I know. Anyways, the car leaves at that point because he had sprinted over there, and we're all standing there again, and my friend, who had kind of got the skateboard thrown at him, like the guy who was really involved in this, looks at us and he goes, I'm not having a fever dream, right? Like, that all actually happened? And everybody's just like, yeah, dude, I don't know what that was, but that was weird. Everybody was really confused too, because we had never like seen any of these kids before. Not that we knew everybody that lived in our town, dude. Our town's a pretty big town, but like, you know, we had kids from multiple schools there. Nobody said they looked familiar. Nobody knew who they were. All of a sudden, this group of kids pulls up and they're like vampires. They come back. Apparently, they've been to multiple dimensions, dude, and nobody had ever like even heard of this before. Like, it was just all a very confusing situation. And to make it weirder, we were like, all right, well, maybe they just moved here or something. Like, if none of us know what school they go to or who they are, then like they must be new in town, you know? And obviously, we were like, in that case, then we've just got to be prepared for them to be seen more often. But I'm telling you, dude, I never saw this group of people ever again. I went to that skate park pretty often often, like I said, like not every day, but I was there often enough that like if they had moved to the area and were super into skating, I would have seen them at some point. And you know, I went to other skate parks too. Like I never saw it again. A group of emo kids all skating with their moms there to chaperone, and it never was I bearing witness to. So that makes me think it's possible that it was just some type of like a super deep cover alien interaction. They were testing their deep cover human suits, you know? Because if you think about it, that would be the only thing that would explain it being so weird, is if it was just like a bunch of aliens that had come down to try to understand our culture. For some reason, they had got something confused and they thought that like hissing at each other was a way to try to be friendly, you know, and make friends. Meanwhile, we just thought it was weird, and that's why like all this broke down, you know, their translator was broken. He meant to say, hello, how are you? But it came out like... And the reason the kid got in so much trouble for throwing the skateboard was because, you know, like on their planet, throwing a skateboard is basically a challenge to the duel for the death, and they were supposed to be undercover. So high key, my friend got lucky that he didn't pull out his vaporizer ray. You know what I'm saying? All jokes aside, I'm about like 85% sure that they weren't aliens. I do realize that that leaves 15% because you just never know. You know, I've seen X-Files. It's out there. You never know what's out there. It could have been aliens for all you know. Technically, you can't confirm it wasn't. So 15%, that's what we're floating with. I would just recommend, though, if you weren't aliens and you're trying to act all intimidating and start fights, that you don't have your mom with you, because it's just not very intimidating, you know. That being said, I just don't really think there's a reason to be going to the skate park to start fights. It's just not what people are there to do, bro. I know it gets a weird reputation, but like people are just there to skate and have a good time, you know. No one's actually wanting to throw hands there. And at the same time, I would also recommend not wanting to challenge people that think that they've lived past lives and commanded many, many, many armies in those lives to destroy things to a fight, just because we agree that, you know, the odds of them being Genghis Khan in their past life are slim to none. But if they think they are, it's just probably not worth arguing with them, because they're, you know, convinced that they're Genghis Khan in the first place. But, yeah, anyways, guys, I think that'll do it for the video. Hopefully you enjoyed. If you did, I would appreciate you being sure to press the like button and comment down below. Subscribe if you're new, turn on notifications. If you made it this far into the video, I'd really appreciate you going ahead and commenting the word aliens down below. It just helps the video do better, and I'd really appreciate it. Beyond that, there's going to be a link to the intro song down below, along with a link to my podcast, The Scuffed Cast, or of course you could use code Scrubby at the G Fuel checkout. The last two things that I'm gonna plug, I do put my story times up on Spotify a little bit after they're uploaded here, so if you want to listen offline or without gameplay, that's an option. I'll put that link in the top of the description. Be sure to check it out. And of course, we've got the merch. It is the coolest merch to ever exist, and it can be yours by checking out the last link down there, so be sure to go give it a click and get one. But yeah, anyways guys, that'll do it. Don't get anyone pregnant. If you do, make sure they're hot, and hopefully I'll see you guys all next time with another video. Like I said, like, comment, subscribe. I'm out. Peace. What's going on, guys? It's your boy Scrubby here, back again with another video. Hope you guys are having a great day. I know I am. And today I've got a story time for y'all about this time I was playing Xbox and witnessed this kid's mom hop on the mic to try to defend him, and it went about as well as you would expect. Regardless, if you guys think you're going to enjoy the video, be sure to press the like button, or no joke, no scam, your mom's going to hop on the mic next time you're arguing with somebody. And you don't want that, and let's go.
Nice rack and her ass Brazilian. Just turned 21, but my bank's a million.
So this story takes place way back in the day in like 2013, 2014 when I was playing COD. COD at the time was like the game, you know, at least to me. I really, really loved it. I would come home, hop into Call of Duty, and try to hit trick shots like all day after school. And, you know, back in the day, people didn't really hang out in party chats or Discord calls that much. Game chat was way more common, and there was a particular playlist called Free For All where you had to be in game chat. You didn't have the option of being in party chat, you know, it was just one of the weird things that they did, and because of that, you would, like, talk to people in your free-for-all lobby, you know, you would make friends, sometimes you talk trash, but the one thing that really sucked is because everyone was forced into game chat, it made it where if somebody had a really bad mic or, like, people were really loud in the background, there's nothing you could do about it. You could mute them, obviously, but, like, you know, if someone's blasting music, until you mute them, you're getting a second-hand concert of Skrillex through, like, a microphone. And in this particular lobby, there was this younger kid, you could call him a squeaker, who had a Kinect mic. And if you never played Xbox 360 and don't know how garbage a Kinect mic is, well, good for you, but it sounds atrocious, man. Like, it's just loud. It picks up every noise in the room, and it sounds like you're in a tin can. And I don't want to make fun of the kid for being young. I played video games when I was young, got made fun of my voice all the time, so I'm not making fun of him, but, like, we're hearing everything. Anytime he dies, he just starts screaming about how like, oh, that's bullcrap. And I don't think he realized his mic's on, so I'm not saying anything, but somebody else in our free-for-all lobby yells like, dude, shut up. And with a Connect mic, it didn't do a very good job of like muting TV audio. So when this guy yells, dude, shut up, you hear, dude, shut up, back through the Connect mic, right? And everyone's like, oh, garbage mic. And so the kid at that point realizes people can hear him and they're talking to him. And he's like, no, you guys shut up. And obviously they just kind of start to go back and forth, as you do in an online lobby when someone says shut up. You just kind of start to argue back and forth. And pretty quickly, this like, you shut up, no, you shut up, over this microphone turns into a COD lobby fight, which is not a good thing. Like, COD fights are known for being toxic for a reason. This kid is swearing and screaming at this guy, and this guy's like swearing and screaming back at the kid. Everybody's freaking out. Everyone's oohing and ohing. I'm sure a couple people were like recording. That just used to be the vibe back in the day. And obviously, everybody starts to like insult each other. And at least back in the day in COD lobbies, I don't know if it's still this way, but like if you insulted somebody, then they would like try to one-up you back. And so pretty quickly, it just turns into them screaming just horrible stuff at each other. Just the worst things you could imagine, back and forth. And, you know, we hear footsteps coming through the Connect mic. And this is them, like, screaming for about a minute, right? Probably about a minute straight of screaming at each other before we start to hear footsteps. And as soon as we start to hear footsteps, the kid just goes silent again and, like, mutes his mic. He probably should have done that from the start, considering he had a Garbo Connect mic, but whatever. We hear it mute, and then for some reason it unmutes. He must have not unmuted it on purpose, because when he unmutes, we hear the room again, like all the noises. But this time, we hear his mom talking on the microphone, which, you know, is very easy to hear because, like I said, Connect mics picked up like basically every noise known to man. And it's his mom and him arguing about like him playing this game, you know, and every time that he's playing it, she has to hear naughty words down in the kitchen because he's playing with people that use bad language. And the kid is like, Mom, come on. Like, it's not that deep. One guy was swearing at me, but, like, it's not that big of a deal. Don't make me get off Call of Duty. I don't want to. And his mom and him are arguing, and she's like, well, fine. If you're going to keep playing this game, then you need to tell me who's using that language, because it's inappropriate, and I need to have a talk with him about why he thinks it's okay to swear while playing this game. And when she starts doing that, obviously we can hear her, and the guy that he was arguing with is like, hey, F you, lady, you know what I mean? Like, you're not going to tell me not to swear. Who do you think you are to tell me how to talk on this Xbox game? And of course, it comes out the TV, so she hears it, and she says back, she's like, oh, you're the guy who's been swearing while playing this game. Do you have any idea that this is a video game? Like, kids play video games. You know that, right? And so this guy just kind of starts to go back and forth with his mom, and they're arguing about whether or not adults should play video games, which, you know, is in and of itself a stupid discussion. It doesn't really matter, right? But finally, after going back and forth for a bit, she starts to be like, okay, so were you the guy that was screaming all those swear words? And he's like, yeah, I was. What about it? Like, what are you going to do about it, you know? And she starts to give him this lecture about how you shouldn't be saying swear words at all, especially in a video game, because you know kids play video games and they're going to hear you and blah, 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 blah. And listen, I agree with her. Like, you shouldn't go to a park where there's a bunch of 5-year-olds and just start screaming swear words. If you do that, you're just a weird person, you know? Like, that's not normal. That being said, people are going to swear in a Call of Duty game, dude. I don't know what to tell you. The game isn't even made for kids. Like, if your kid is under 18, they shouldn't technically be playing it in the first place. It's literally an M-rated game for a reason, dude. You're not supposed to be playing it when you're a kid. So if you don't want your kid listening to adults talk, then maybe don't let them play the adult game. I would agree that, you know, the guy didn't really have to argue with them, but they're arguing back and forth. It's just like Call of Duty culture is arguing with people in multiplayer. And I don't know, it was just kind of dumb to be like, don't say naughty words in a video game when the video game isn't supposed to have kids in the first place. You know what I mean? And so he tells her to shut up, that it's an M-rated video game and he can say whatever he wants. And the lobby's kind of laughing at this point because they're going back and forth. And then she does what I can only call the ultimate gamer move. She says, well, guess what? You just earned yourself, like, getting reported to Microsoft. I'm going to report you to Microsoft for swearing, and they're going to delete your account. And now the lobby is, like, laughing at her. And everyone's like, you think they're going to ban him for swearing? You're going to report him for swearing? Really? Like, you're going to call Xbox and say that this guy said naughty words in Call of Duty multiplayer chat, and so he needs to be banned? And she does, like, the 12-year-old move. You know when 12-year-olds are like, my dad works for Xbox. She goes, well, my husband worked for Microsoft, and, you know, I have connections, so I'd just be careful. Your account's gonna be down by the end of the day, trust me. And at that point, everyone's giggling, bro. It's just turned into like one of those YouTube videos where people are trolling in chat, getting people's parents on the mic, right? And so the lobby just kind of starts to mock her and be like, I'm gonna report you to my husband who works at Microsoft, rah. And she starts to argue even more and be like, well, if you guys think it's funny, then I'll just report all of you to Microsoft. Like, if the entire lobby's gonna turn against me, then guess what? You're all gonna get in trouble. I can write down all your accounts and get you all banned if that's really what you want. You guys think you're tough right now, but when you try to log in tomorrow and play Call of Duty and can't, you won't be feeling so tough. And everybody just starts laughing even more because how could you not, dude? Like, come on, I don't know how you expect anyone to react in that situation. I'm gonna write down all your names, and for laughing at me arguing with someone in Call of Duty, I'm gonna get your account banned. Alright guys, I'm going to interrupt the video for just 1 second. If you take a look at your screen now, you'll see a PlayStation gift card. For those of you that don't know, I give away a gift card code in every video I post here as a way to say thank you to y'all for subscribing and turning on notifications. So if you haven't already, you should, and while you're at it, press the like button, comment the word Xbox down below if you want to help the video do better, and yeah, I'll shut up and get back to the video now. Thanks, I appreciate ya. And anyways, everyone's kind of making fun of her, but she starts to like make good on her threat. She says she'll be right back, and we hear her leave the room like on the Connect mic, right? And everyone's like, all right, where is she going? And then she comes back probably 20 seconds later and says, all right, I got a pen and paper, and tells her son to pull up the scoreboard, right? And so if you hold the like select button in a Call of Duty lobby, the scoreboard pops up, you can see everything. And sure enough, dude, she literally starts like reading everybody's names off and saying that she's writing them down. She had gone and gotten a notebook to write down our gamer tags so that way she could tell her husband or Microsoft to ban us, and that way every name in this lobby was on the list. And keep in mind, I'm not trash talking. I'm not saying anything. I literally have not said a word, and she's like writing down my gamer tag to try to get me banned. And obviously, no one's gonna get banned for this. Like, I'm sure on a daily basis, somebody calls Microsoft and goes, people were being really mean to me in game chat, and they don't really do anything about it, but I'm starting to get annoyed because I'm like, dude, come on. Like, not everyone in the lobby is fighting with you. You don't need to be writing down everybody's names, and like, even if you are gonna be writing down everybody's names, it's not gonna make the situation even better. Honestly, the best situation to do if people are messing with you online or trolling with you or arguing with you is to either like leave or win the argument. Like, you got those two, but the second you start saying you're gonna report them to Microsoft, you lose by default. It's nothing personal, it just is what it is. I can't like personally say that I think you win the fight if you also then snitch on them for like being too mean in game chat. Anyways, the game is coming to an end and there's all this arguing. And like I said, when you get to the end of a free-for-all game, at the time, if you had like 29 kills, you would try to hit a trick shot so that way the last kill of the game in the kill cam is a trick shot. And one of the people that's arguing with this lady is like on his last kill and he's trying to hit a trick shot. And out of everyone in the lobby that he could nail with a trick shot, he hits her son. And so he just starts screaming about like, oh, your kid got trick shotted. Your kid got bill cammed. Oh my God, dude, your son just got domed. Oh, and it's the final kill cam and he hits a trick shot. And it was a all right one. Like, it's not the craziest thing I've ever seen, but it was good. And he's just like, I'm recording. Your son's gonna go viral. At the time, trickshotting was like a pretty big deal. You know, FaZe Clan kind of got its start there. So like if you got a good trick shot, it could get a lot of views and go viral, right? And she does not like the idea of this trick shot being on the internet, dude. Obviously, there's really like 0% chance that this kid's clip is gonna go viral. And even if it did, no one's gonna add the kid that he hit the trick shot on and like fight him. But this doesn't stop this mom, who's still in the room on the Connect mic listening to this, being like, if you post that anywhere, I'm gonna sue you. You do not have rights to use this footage anywhere. Trick-shotting my son is not something I want online, and if you post it, then there's gonna be legal repercussions, so you better tell me your YouTube channel right now so I can keep an eye on it. Cause I swear, if you post this trick shot that you hit, then like, we're gonna have problems. Like I said, you do not have rights to use footage of this gameplay of my son. And the guy's just laughing and he's like, all right, do you want to know my YouTube name? You really want to know my YouTube name? And she's like, yeah, you need to tell me now so I can keep an eye on your channel. And the guy goes, all right, it's PewDiePie. It's PewDiePie. And obviously, like I said, this is 2013, 2014. PewDiePie doesn't have 100 million subscribers. He's famous to like teenagers and YouTube people. Parents did not know who PewDiePie was at the time. And she's like, oh, PewDiePie? What does that mean? And he's like, I don't know. I just thought it sounded cool. And she starts saying that his name sounds stupid. That's not his name on YouTube, but whatever. The game ends. We get back into the lobby and they just all start screaming more. Like the argument isn't yelling. At that point, your best bet is to just leave the lobby, go get a different one, but they're still arguing with each other. And it was entertaining, but like I said, at that point, it was just getting a little old. My ears were starting to hurt. I was starting to get a headache just from the amount of screaming going on. Like 15 people arguing over Xbox headsets sounds awful. And like I said, his Connect mic was bad, so it's all echoing, so I have to listen to everything twice. So I decide to leave. I wasn't really involved in the first place. I didn't say anything, so I dip out. I go about my business. I play in a couple different lobbies, you know, I'm doing my thing. And probably like an hour later, 45 minutes later, somewhere around then, I'm minding my business in the game and I see the message notification pop up in the right-hand corner. And I'm like, dang, you know, if I didn't know any better, that looks like the gamer tag of the kid whose mom hopped on the mic. So I go, and it's a voice message. So I press play, and sure enough, it's the Connect mic, dude. I can tell instantly, like, the ring of the entire room, like, all the noise. You can hear everything in the background. The kid's voice does not sound good on the mic. It sounds like a tin can. And back in the day on Xbox, you would send this like message out and you would say message to all friends and recent players, and you would literally send it to everyone on your friends list and everyone you've played with. And it opens up with, all right, message to all friends and recent players. I'm not going to be on for a while because I'm grounded, but my mom is nuts. I'm sorry for her threatening to get everybody banned from Xbox. You know, if you were in that game, I don't really know what was wrong. I'm sorry. And he's like apologizing for everything that just went down. And he's sending a message to just everybody, you know. So I don't know how long his mom was in there arguing with everybody, if it was more than one game. But this dude sent this message to like literally hundreds of people, which to me is hilarious. And I just gotta know like what the mom was thinking, right? Because in my honest opinion, I don't understand how you would assume that like hopping on the mic and trying to defend your son was ever gonna make things better. Has there ever been a time where someone's been like picking on somebody and their mom comes to defend them and it ends for a good, like in a good way? If anything, dude, if your son's getting bullied for having a bad mic and you hop on and start being like, don't do that, it's just gonna get worse. I'm not saying it's a good thing. I wasn't involved at all. I don't think you should pick on anybody for like their voice being high or like anything like that. I think it's stupid. I do. That being said, if your mom hops on the mic to defend you, bro, like the lobby is gonna turn on you. It just is what it is. And you gotta remember, dude, there was also like a COD lobbies in 2013, which is one of the meanest places to ever exist on the internet. Like, you know, now if someone's mom hopped on the Valorant mic, I don't know how people would react. Maybe people would chill out. But back in the day, COD lobbies were mean. I'm not saying I miss them, okay? But I do believe that people would have a hard time existing in COD lobbies today. They were so mean for no reason. Like, look at this. Why did they all decide to fight his mom? Who knows? It was just Call of Duty. Things have definitely changed, though. Regardless, I figured this story time would be one you enjoyed. So if you did enjoy it, I would really appreciate you taking a second to press the like button. Let me know in the comments section down below what you thought of the video. And of course, subscribe and turn on those notifications. If you really want to help me out, you can check out the intro song linked down below, along with a link to my podcast, The Scuffed Cast. Or if you're in the market for G Fuel, the best energy drink for gamers by gamers, you can get yourself some and use code Scrubby at the checkout to get a discount. Helps you out, helps me out, everyone's a winner. And last but certainly not least, I did go ahead and put some of my story times up on Spotify, so that way you guys can listen to them offline, you know, or whenever you're traveling, whatever. So I'll put that link at the top of the description. Feel free to go check that out, no pressure. But, you know, I would appreciate it. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. But that's literally all I've got to plug at this point, so thank you again. And yeah, on that note, guys, that'll do it for the video. Don't get anyone pregnant. If you do, make sure they're hot, and hopefully I will see each and every single one of you guys tomorrow with another video. If you've been appreciating the longer videos, a like and comment goes a long way. And yeah, on that note, I'm out. Peace.
What's going on, guys? It's your boy Scrubby here, back again with another video. Today we've got a story about an insane neighbor that actually thinks he's a werewolf. It was sent in to me. Regardless, insane neighbor stories are a classic here. We haven't done one in a little bit, so I figured I would tell it to y'all. So yeah, without further ado, let's get into it. And you know, always be on the lookout. You never know when your neighbor's gonna turn into Jacob from Twilight.
Get quiet now, lay low when you reach some
Alright, so obviously somebody sent this in to me, and the person who did lives in an area where, you know, you can see your neighbor's house, but you can't exactly make out a bunch of details of what's going on. They have a little bit of space between the houses. Regardless, the house that was next door to them ended up going for sale, and, you know, it ended up selling pretty quickly, and a single dude in his 40s ended up moving in, and he seemed nice enough. He came over and introduced himself and was like, hey, I'm new to the neighborhood, you know, I just moved in next door. And honestly, the person who sent this to me just thought it was going to be like any other neighbor you have, which is essentially you basically forget they exist unless you're looking at them or like talking to them, and you don't need to remember that they're there. In my opinion, that's the ultimate good type of neighbor. You guys get along, but it's not like you feel some weird obligation to be checking in all the time. You know, if somebody were to break into your house, they'd call the cops, but you're also not going to pretend that you want to go hang out with them on Friday night. Let's be realistic here. If you're really aware that your neighbors exist, either they're your friends or they're horrible neighbors. I feel like the best type of neighbor is like a good waiter. They always keep your water glass full, but they're not standing over your shoulder the entire meal making sure that you eat it all. You know, you basically, for the most part, should have a great time interacting with them when you interact, but other than that, whatever, you should just live your life and do your thing, you know? Regardless, the subscriber instantly knew something was going to be weird, not from the second he introduced himself, but from like a couple nights after he moved in. He had just so happened to be in his backyard shooting this airsoft gun that he had just got in, and it was late at night, probably like midnight or so, and all of a sudden he hears from his neighbor's property where the guy had just moved in a bunch of howling. But, you know, he can't really, like, distinguish what type of howling it is, which, if you've lived somewhere your entire life, is pretty easy to do. Like, you know, if you've lived in one area your entire life, you just kind of become familiar with what sounds are normal and which ones aren't. He knew what a coyote howling sounded like. He knew what a wolf sounding howled like, or a wolf howling sounded like. I flipped that around, sorry. Regardless, though, he's really confused by this howling, because it sounds like it's, you know, just some different type of animal trying to howl, like almost as if a bear had been listening to some coyotes talking and was like, hey, I'm gonna go try to pick up on that language, you know, the Chicago Bears are becoming bilingual. Regardless, you know, he's hearing this weird howl, he thinks it's a bear howling, and decides that it's his best interest to go figure out what it is. Now at this point, you know, I'm not agreeing with this action, you know, call me crazy, but if I was there and I started hearing a howl that sounded like a bear trying to imitate a coyote, I would simply go the other direction, back inside to the very, very safe indoors. But the person who sent this to me is obviously different because they went to investigate. You know, and investigating weird noises in the woods always seems like a recipe for disaster. But I especially want to point out that it's stupid because he thought it was a bear and he only had an airsoft gun. Like what, dude? If you go out there and it is a bear, what are you gonna do? Shoot it with the airsoft gun? All that's gonna do is piss it off. Then it's gonna enjoy eating you more than it already would have, and it's angry, you know? I'm just saying, if you're gonna go exploring for the bear, you might want to have something a little bit better than an airsoft gun to protect yourself. Regardless, he starts moving towards the howling, and he gets near the property line between him and his neighbor, and there was a couple trees, so he's looking through the trees, and he sees this small fire in his neighbor's backyard. Which, you know, isn't really that weird. People have fires in their backyard all the time in this area. It's not like it's a super bizarre sight. But what is really weird to the person who sent this to me is what the neighbor is doing around the fire. You know, instead of just sitting there in a chair, sitting back, relaxing, he's like running around the fire, doing a dance, howling. Obviously, he couldn't make out every detail because he was a little bit away. It's literally by the firelight, you know, and he's looking through some trees. But that being said, he's like 95% sure that his neighbor is in a loincloth with like a wolf's head on, like a hat type of thing, literally running around, howling around the fire and like doing a dance. And he's just kind of looking at it, processing it for quite a long time, because obviously you're just kind of like, what? His first thought is WTF, because, you know, it's not every day that your new neighbor ends up like trying to do some secret wolf ritual to become the ultimate alpha male of the pack. You know, you never expect to see a dude outside
outside in a loincloth with a wolf's head on, chanting, going like, I am the werewolf. Regardless, he just kind of takes it in for a bit, as you would, you know, definitely not what he was expecting. And he's like, wow, this neighbor seemed like normal. You know, I had gotten kind of a weird vibe, but I never expected this. And so he's watching his neighbor dance and howl around the fire for a bit, but then something happens that took it from just like something weird to something that almost made him crap himself. Out of nowhere, his neighbor like stops his dance and his chanting routine, drops onto all fours, almost like he's gonna bear crawl, right? Which, you know, is very similar to a dog pose, and overall he's like, what's happening, dude? Why is this guy dropping into a bear crawl stance? Why is he chanting around the fire? So many questions. But the real terrifying part is this guy drops into this like bear crawl pose and then starts to go the opposite direction of the person, like towards the other end of his property away from the subscriber, right? But when he starts to bear crawl away, you know, there's a certain speed you expect a person to be able to bear crawl. He says this dude is flying while he's bear crawling. Like, he's bear crawling faster than the subscriber would be able to sprint, you know, and he's just sitting there like, what is happening? Is this like some weird half-human, half-wolf hybrid? And at that point, he decides he's had enough. He just witnessed this dude going 30 miles per hour mid-bear crawl and is like trying to realize that he's living next to Superman, so he decides to go back to his house and get some sleep. The entire time he's walking back into his house, he's like, dude, I have to be hallucinating. Like, there's no way that was real. I just witnessed my neighbor doing some weird ritual around a fire with a wolf head on, and then he dropped onto all floors and took off with the speed and fuel efficiency of a Volkswagen Jetta. Like, that's just not something that should happen, you know? So obviously he goes inside, he goes to bed. He's trying to tell himself it's a hallucination, but like the entire time he's telling himself that, he's getting this weird feeling in his body that's like, that was not a hallucination, you know? We may be stupid sometimes, but you can't convince me that that dude bear crawling 30 miles an hour was normal, is what his brain's replying, right? But what really freaked him out is the next day, there's a knock on the door, and he answers it, and his neighbor's standing there in normal clothes and is like, hey, can you talk for a second? And he's like, sure. And the neighbor starts to ask him if he heard any weird howling last night. And obviously, not wanting to give away that he had seen this dude's wolf ritual, he decides to play dumb. And he's like, oh yeah, I heard some howling, but I just figured it was a pack of coyotes or something. You know, I didn't really know what it was. I'm not too familiar with animal noises. Obviously, you know, he's not going to come out and be like, yeah, why were you by the fire doing wolf rituals and then crawling with the speed of a small car? And when he says that he didn't know what it was and he thought it was the coyote, he gets even more concerned because the neighbor's face like relaxes right away, you know? Almost as if he's happy to have heard that, and he's like, oh yeah, that's what I thought too, you know, I just figured I'd come ask because it scared me. I'm not from the city, or I'm not from here, so like, I'm not used to noises like that, so I figured I would come ask you and just see what it was, but you think it was a coyote, so yeah, I figured that's what it is too. And at that point, the subscriber's getting really creeped out, because he's like, what is this dude doing? You know, I'm playing dumb, but so is he. Obviously, it wasn't coyotes, I saw this dude doing it, but like, he was doing the weird howling last night, and now he's knocking on the neighbor's door and double checking that they didn't hear anything weird, and he's saying that he knew it was coyotes too. Did he like think he had seen me in the woods or something? He's just starting to get really creeped out, because imagine this, bro. You see your neighbor doing some weird stuff late at night. The next day they're knocking on the door like, did you see anything weird? Huh? I'm just asking. Anyways, they talk back and forth for a bit, and then finally the neighbor, like, just, I guess his suspicions are destroyed, or like, you know, he doesn't think that there's anything weird going on, so he decides to leave. But from the second the guy leaves, the subscriber's like, all right, I've got a weird feeling that we're not necessarily done with this yet, you know? You know when you're like walking away from something and you've just got a feeling that it's gonna come back at some point? That's the feeling he got when he closed the door and the neighbor went away, which, to be fair, probably should have been obvious. I mean, let's be honest here. Your neighbor thinks he's a werewolf, he's doing rituals in his backyard, then he's knocking on the door and acting like nothing weird happened. I mean, you know, I'm not saying you deserved anything weird to happen or that he's not weird, but it's pretty obvious that the situation had to have gotten more bizarre. You know, I think a guy thinking he's a werewolf is already weird enough. It's not like anything from this point can really be a surprise. You know, like once somebody has punched grandma in the face, everything's off limits. You never know when someone's throwing a plastic chair at the barbecue. Someone already punched grandma, there's no such thing as something being off limits. Anyways, for about a month after that weird conversation, there's no issues. And then sure enough, one night, about a month later, he starts hearing that howling again. He knows it's not a coyote, and, you know, he knows that he probably shouldn't go make sure that it's his neighbor being a crazy person, but he can't help himself. So he works up the courage to go out and see what the howling's from, and he's really hoping that he gets over there and it's not his neighbor, you know, that he just gets over there and his brain will finally be like, see, you idiot, look, it was a wolf the entire time. You were just hallucinating. Anyways, he's going to investigate, and he sneaks through the wood, and he sees the same thing, bro. The guy's doing his ritual around the fire, wolf hat on, the whole shebang, you know, howling, the whole nine. And the only thing that freaks him out right away is the guy's looking his direction this time, and he looks directly at him and then looks away. And for some reason, he's like, he saw me, you know? The guy goes back to his dancing and stuff, but he just gets this really weird feeling that the dude has seen him. So he kind of like grows back into the tree line a little bit to try to conceal him. And regardless, the neighbor's doing his thing, jumping around the fire. And then all of a sudden he stops and he does that thing where he drops onto all fours. Except this time, instead of going the opposite direction, he starts bear crawling as fast as he can, which is surprisingly fast towards the subscriber who's thought he was hidden in the tree line. And at that point, he's looking at it for a second and he realizes, oh, he's coming at me. Like, he's not just coming this direction, he is coming to me. So at that point, he drops everything, turns around, and starts running, literally about to crap himself, which, I mean, who can blame him, dude? Imagine being in this situation. You hear howling, you're outside hiding behind some trees. There's a grown man in a loincloth bear crawling at you with the speed of a car. And then, like, you know, you just don't know what's about to happen. Of course you'd be scared about to crap yourself. Anybody would in that situation. I don't care who you are. You could be the toughest person on the planet. If somebody just starts bear crawling at you unhumanly fast, you're freaking out. Anyways, he starts running back to his house, you know, but his surprise is that instead of hearing like nothing behind him, he hears something gaining on him. And so he's kind of like, there's no way that this guy is literally bear crawling fast enough to catch up with me as I'm running. The number one rule if you're running away from something though, you don't turn back and look. The only thing it's gonna do is slow you down or freak you out if they're really close to you. You know, anyways, they break the rule and they look back to see what's gaining on them. And all they see is like the top of the wolf head crawling right behind them and gaining on them. So they turn around and start trying to run even faster, but the only problem is, like, at that point, by turning around, you can't run as fast, you know? They're freaking out, they're even more scared because they realize that this person's bear crawling and going to catch up to them. And so, like, even with all their might, with that boost of fear, it's just not enough to keep him from catching up to him, and he feels the wolfman grab him on his shoulder, and instead of tackling him and, like, taking a chunk out of his arm with the first bite, he just spins him around, and now they're probably like 6 inches from each other's face. They're practically kissing, and they like just start screaming because they're both scared, right? It was almost as if the wolfman didn't think that he was actually going to be able to catch him, and so he grabbed him and turned him around, like not really thinking about it. And obviously, you just got turned around by the wolfman, so they're just screaming, ah, like both freaking out, you know? I don't know why the wolfman was surprised you did chase him down. Like that entire time you're bear crawling after him and grabbing him, like what did you think he was gonna do? Like, did you think he was gonna turn around and be like, oh, this is a perfectly normal situation. I've been kidnapped by werewolves multiple times in my life. Obviously, he's going to be screaming. And why are you screaming? Like, you know, it's just, I just don't understand. Regardless, they're just kind of screaming in each other's faces. And finally, the werewolf guy kind of realizes that he's like not trying to fight back. He just has his hand on his shoulder and he's like, wait, you're not trying to hunt me? And obviously, the subscriber's like, what? Hunt you? Like, what are you talking about? Why would I be trying to hunt you? Like, I'm not crazy. I understand that you're a man dressed up like a wolf. You know, like, I don't think I'm gonna hunt you. And obviously, the guy kind of looks at him weird and he goes, I'm not dressed like a wolf. I'll have you know that I am a werewolf. This is part of my transformation. And the reason that I thought you were hunting me is because that everyone wants to hunt a werewolf. And immediately, he's like, oh, my neighbor thinks that he's a werewolf. He's wearing this wolf hat once a month and, like, he thinks that he's a werewolf and people want to hunt him. Anyways, he tries to be like, dude, I don't really believe in werewolves, so you don't have to worry about that. I'm not going to be hunting you because, I just don't believe in werewolves. And he thinks that's probably the best way out of this is to just, he's not saying you suck for thinking you're a werewolf. He's just saying, I personally don't do the whole werewolf thing. But somehow the neighbor thinks that him doubling down on werewolves not existing is the weird part of this, even though he's literally dressed like a wolf howling at the full moon. And so he kind of like does a spin in a circle and he goes, if you really think werewolves aren't real, then what would you call me? You know, as if that was supposed to make the guy be like, oh yeah, you're right. Now that I'm seeing you do a 360, werewolves do exist. My goodness, you're not just my weird neighbor in a loincloth screaming at the moon in the backyard. Nope, no way, that's not what's happening. Like honestly, if you weren't right in front of me and just shown that you had the ability to bear crawl faster than a car, I would call you crazy, somebody that thinks they're a werewolf and is like actually chanting at the full moon and thinking they're transforming into an animal. I would call you nuts. You know, that being said, it's probably not a good idea to look at somebody that thinks they're a werewolf and transform into a creature on the full moon and go, I think that you are nuts. And even, you know, let's pretend werewolves do exist for a second, right? You know, like let's pretend that they are real. Even if you do exist and you are a werewolf, right? Why would he be hunting you? Like, I just don't understand why your neighbor who hasn't been hunting you so far would magically just want to be hunting you if he didn't even know what your howl was the last time. Anyways, the subscriber's just kind of standing there hearing him listen to this, and he's realizing that this guy's nuts, so he probably shouldn't go around telling him that, like, he's not a werewolf, you're crazy. So he just decides to roll with it, and he goes, oh, okay, I guess that's fair enough, you know. That's fair. If werewolves aren't real, then how would I explain you? Because obviously, when somebody's just like this crazy thinking they're a werewolf, bro, it's probably easier to just roll with it. I mean, I'm not saying that it's normal to think you're a werewolf, but if somebody's like, I'm a vampire, you know, and it's not your family member and you're just kind of dealing with them at the grocery store, it's probably easier to smile and nod and go, yeah, you are. You know, you don't want to be the person to tell him he's crazy. We all are in agreement here, but that's not your responsibility, because in this situation, you're screwed either way. You either do live next door to a werewolf, which who would want to live next door to a werewolf, or you live next to a dude who thinks he's a werewolf. And both of those are not exactly super fun, and neither of those sound like the type of person who you want to be on the bad side of, you know? If he is an actual werewolf, it's not like you want him thinking of you next full moon, and if he's just a crazy dude, you just want him to kind of forget you exist. Let's just, you know, drop off the radar, call Lester, remove our wanted level from the werewolf real quick, you know, it's just that simple. And so obviously he's trying to twist it now and convince him that he's not a werewolf hunter. And he goes, oh, yo, remember last time we talked, I told you that I didn't recognize the howling. So when I heard it this time, I just came to investigate. I don't want to hurt you. You know, I'm not a hunter at all. And the neighbor looks very relieved as he's saying this because he's letting his guard down. He's like, oh, okay, bet he's not a werewolf hunter, which, you know, I didn't realize was actually still a job. Call me crazy, you know, I'm not browsing Indeed.com quite often, but I didn't realize that werewolf hunting was still a booming career profession. Maybe it's on the way out, you know? None of my friends went to a school that had a werewolf hunting program that you could get a degree in, or would it be more of like just a very specific type of exterminator? You know, there's the type of guy that deals with rats like Ratatouille, you know, maybe a guy deals with some other vermin, some raccoons, some possums, something like that. But every now and then, if you've got a really bad problem, Wallace and Gromit in the case of the were-rabbit, you just call in the vampire werewolf hunter and he takes care of that. It's a experimental extermination trade you guys can go into. Regardless, at that point, it's almost like the neighbor trusts him and he can reveal his, you know, werewolf secret. So he starts talking about how he's a werewolf and people in his last town were starting to hunt him, so he had to move here, and that's why he moved in such a hurry. And the entire time, the sub's just smiling and nodding, pretending that all of this makes sense, because once again, you just don't want to be the dude to tell crazy werewolf guy that he is a crazy werewolf dude, you know? Especially now if he's talking about how people are out to hunt him, it's definitely not worth it. And after a while, he finally gets the venting out about how hard it is to be a werewolf, and he looks at his neighbor and he shakes his hand and he goes, man, thank you for being cool about this, you know, usually people aren't very understanding about it. And he's like, oh, what do you mean people aren't understanding about you being a werewolf usually? And he's like, well, usually when I tell people that I'm a werewolf and I have the ability to shapeshift and every full moon I become a wolf, they get intimidated by my power and pull away. But I can tell that you have a true warrior spirit and understand the werewolf heart. I can, you know, understand that you are not intimidated by my power. And listen, dude, I don't think they're pulling away because they're afraid of your werewolf power. They're afraid of sentences where people say that, like, if you do not have a warrior heart, you cannot understand the power of a werewolf. You know, it just kind of makes people maybe feel a little unsafe. Like, if I thought you were just friendly neighbor Hank, you know, you were over here fixing my fridge, and then you start telling me about how people are hunting you and you're a werewolf, I might just avoid avoid going outside if you're outside in the future. Nothing personal, you know, I'm just afraid of werewolves. It's a phobia of mine, it's a really bad phobia of dogs. So werewolves, basically the same thing, I just can't be around it. You know, no offense, Hank, thanks for fixing the fridge, but I'm not gonna take the chances of getting turned into a werewolf myself. Even better, dude, if you don't want to be around your neighbor and he's saying he's a werewolf, this is your perfect chance to just tell him you're allergic to dogs, you know? Because then he can't come around you. You're not calling him crazy, you're not saying you don't believe that he's a werewolf, because, you know, you don't want to be the person to do that, that's someone else's problem. That being said, you are giving him a reason that he can't come hang out with you that, like, he'll understand. Oh, fair enough, you're allergic to dogs? Yeah, you can't be around werewolf hair, that makes sense. Okay, does it really? No, but he thinks he's a werewolf, all right? We gotta work with what we got. Regardless, anyways, the neighbor finishes talking, and instead of just walking back to his property, no, that's not what a werewolf would do. He drops on all fours and goes back to his fire, and just kind of leaves this dude standing there more confused than he's been in his entire life. You know, very few things I think are more confusing than the first time you meet an IRL werewolf, okay? Very intimidating, but he does have a warrior's heart, don't forget that. Regardless, he's just kind of standing there, goes inside, and is thinking about it, and he's like, alright, obviously the dude might be a little bit out there, but I'm just gonna avoid crossing that neighbor and just avoid interacting with him in general. And he didn't go around telling people because he figured nobody would believe him. I mean, honestly, imagine going and being like, hey, you know the dude that just moved in? He thinks he's a werewolf, especially because what was really confusing, the dude acted normal every other time. Like, it wasn't like he told anyone else he's a werewolf. It wasn't like he was being weird other than when it was a full moon, you know, and then he's a werewolf. Like, seriously, dude was at H&R Block filing taxes at 4 p.m. and then howling at the moon at midnight type of vibe. You know, a real werewolf professional. Each month without failure, though, on the full moon, he would, like, be out there howling, which, you know, is something that you never really think in the modern times you're going to be hyper aware of. Maybe some people are super into the moon. I just feel like I would never really know if it's a full moon or not. But because of this dude's neighbor just out there doing his little wolf ritual thing, this subscriber has to, like, keep track of the moon just to make sure he's not accidentally out in the backyard on a full moon. You know, you got to know when the phases are coming, just so that way you get your waning gibbous on, or whatever, waxing, I can't think of the other one. Regardless, there's moon phases and stuffs, but you don't want to be out there if your neighbor's a werewolf on a full moon. No, thank you. That's how you end up going missing and being a dog toy. Imagine somehow in all of this that he's, like, actually a werewolf and we look crazy for just making fun of it and assuming he's just a little bit off the rocker, you know? Like, next time he actually transforms into a werewolf and, like, throws a car at his neighbor's house with his newfound strength. I don't really know what werewolves get when they transform other than being a werewolf. Like, I don't know if that comes with super strength or not, but it should. Like, if you're gonna be cursed to turning into a monster once a month, you might as well be able to throw a car while you're the monster. Because I feel like now that I'm thinking about actually being a werewolf, it would suck. There's really not many benefits to this if it's real. Obviously, it's not. He's not a werewolf. But think about it, dude. You just are, like, stuck inside for the full moon no matter what, you know? You're just going to lose control of your body once a month and turn into an uncontrollable killing machine giant dog thing, you know? Like, maybe this guy's not. He seems like a peaceful werewolf. Maybe the movies got it wrong. I just feel like there's really no benefits to being a werewolf. You know, vampire immortality, not for me, but I could understand why people could want it. I'm not getting the whole werewolf vibe. Regardless, I just kind of figured you guys would enjoy that story because it involves a crazy neighbor and it's a bit different from the other stuff we've been talking about lately. So, you know, if you did enjoy it, I would appreciate you taking a second to press the like button and comment werewolf down below. If you made it this far, it just helps the video do better. I'd appreciate it. And, you know, since you're down there commenting, you might as well subscribe and turn on those notifications so you never miss another one. Okay, give me credit, it was smooth. Other than that, if you want to give a listen to the intro song, I'll put a link in the description. It's by my friend Poncho. Feel free to go check it out. Also, in the description, you'll find a link to my podcast, The Scuffed Cast, or, of course, you could use code Scrubby at the G Fuel checkout to get a discount on G Fuel. Help me out at the same time. Other than that, something else you can do to help me out, I do go ahead and post these story times on Spotify, so if you want to do me a favor, the top link in the description is a link to that Spotify show. If you want to listen without gameplay,
gameplay offline, whatever floats your boat. And of course, the last link's gonna be a link to the merch store. If you want to get yourself the coolest merch to ever exist in the history of the planet, you can do that. As you can tell, it's beautiful. And yeah, on that note, guys, that'll do it. Don't get anyone pregnant. If you do, make sure they're hot, and hopefully I will see each and every single one of you guys next time in another video. I'm out. Peace.
What's going on, guys? It's your boy Scrubby here, back again with another video. Hope you guys are having a fantastic day. I know I am, and if you are, be sure to press the like button. Otherwise, no joke, no scam. Every time you try to drink water, it's gonna turn into Drano. Yeah, that's right, not very fun, so press the like button to assure your safety. It's very key. Anyways, guys, what's going on? It's your boy Scrub. Hope you guys are having a good day. As you can tell from the title and thumbnail, today I have a story where I caught one of my friends doing something really bizarre, okay? I really don't have an explanation at all, still, to this day, as to why he did this, but sadly, I caught him doing it, and I had to deal with the awkwardness that came after the fact. Regardless, though, it's a funny story, and I know you guys are going to enjoy it, so that's what we're going to be talking about today, and without further ado, let's get into it. But before we do, just a quick little smooth little merch plug. Get the merch. Oh, it's so fly. I guarantee you, your friend won't do weird stuff if you're wearing it. That's not true. I can't promise that. Maybe your friend will still be weird, but at least you'll look cool. I think we can all agree that making new friends is kind of hard, all right? And when I was in high school, I went through this phase where, like, I thought I was changing, you know, I thought I was matured and that I needed new friends. So I started talking to this group of kids that I had a couple classes with, and they were like, yo, you should come hang out with us. We have this other dude that we hang out with named Martin, and he's super chill. We think you guys would get along super well. And I'm like, all right, dope. So we hang out in a group, and Martin is there, and he's a bit off, but he's entertaining. You ever know somebody where you can just tell their brain is wired differently, but it's super entertaining? Like, maybe everything they say is funny, but you can tell they're a little bit crazy. That's how I would describe Martin. You could just tell that this kid would do basically anything if he thought that it would get a laugh out of people, you know? The only problem is, at first it comes off as very, very cool, but the longer you're around him, the less stable he becomes, and the more you kind of realize that this, like, he'll do anything to make anybody laugh thing isn't really that much of a blessing. It's kind of more of a curse because the kid just doesn't know when to stop. You know, just the type of person where you can just tell that they just don't know when to stop doing anything. And I figured this out about Martin because, like I said, I was hanging out with them, and he decided that he wanted to have a Nerf war, and we were all kind of like, hey man, we're a little old for that. And so he decided to make it funnier that he was gonna put thumbtacks in his Nerf darts and shoot it at people. And I'm not gonna lie, it was pretty funny. I didn't get hit, but it was at that moment that I realized, oh, he's willing to shoot thumbtacks into his friends for humor. So this kid is willing to do some pretty cringe stuff. So I didn't really get along with Martin super well. He wasn't a bad guy, like we did not get along. I could just tell that the dude was crazy, and I just kind of have this weird thing in my life where if I can tell that someone's nuts and that being around them probably isn't the best for my safety, I'll just avoid being around them, which is what smart people do, you know? Sometimes people will be like, oh, why do you avoid people when you think they're crazy? I'm like, yeah, because that's really the only way to do it, you know? You got to avoid people. But regardless, I ended up getting pretty involved in a club at my school at the time, and this club would travel. They would go to compete and go to, like, tournaments to compete with this club in the event. And I don't want to say what club it was because it's kind of embarrassing, but we would travel with the school to compete in these events. And Martin happened to be in this club, and so the first time that we traveled to go to one of these tournaments, he was like, instantly thought we were best friends because we've hung out before. And like I said, I didn't necessarily think he was a bad guy. I just didn't want to be super close with him. Martin wasn't the type of person that I wanted to be all buddy-buddy with. But of course, he walks up to me on the bus, he sits next to me, he's like, man, we're going to be best friends, especially now that we got this club together. Everything's going to be great, everything's going to be awesome. And for a little bit, things are normal, nothing's that weird. And then he starts to get weirder. He starts, like, trying to make me laugh by just doing weird stuff. Like, he would be like, dude, I can fit my fist in my mouth. And I'm like, yeah, that's cool. And next thing I know, this man has his fist in the mouth on the bus, pulls it out, his fist is covered in spit, and he's like, dude, I don't know where to wipe my hand. And I'm like, wow, that was just kind of gross. You're kind of going a little bit far. And then he just started, like, trying to be funny by just screaming XD so random stuff out loud. Like, you know, someone would be talking to him and he'd be like, narwhal bacon. Like, this kid just really wanted to be funny, and he just wasn't. But it wasn't in, like, it was pretty cringe, but I didn't want to tell him because I could tell that, like, he was just trying to be funny. He just wanted people to like him. He just didn't have a very good way of doing it. But whatever. The bus that we're on says, hey, we're going to stop for lunch at this McDonald's. So if any of you are hungry, if any of you want anything, you know, get off and go get it. So we stop in this McDonald's parking lot and I go in and Martin follows me. And obviously, you know, I'm trying to be nice. I'm not a mean person. I knew the kid was weird, but I'm trying to be like, oh, you know, it's super cool that you're in this club. Like, how did you get involved? And he's like, dude, I bet you I can make everyone in the McDonald's laugh. And I'm like, yo, you know, man, I bet you could. You're a real funny guy, but let's not cause a scene. Let's not try to make the entire McDonald's laugh, you know? Because I could just tell that whatever he thought was going to make the entire McDonald's laugh was probably just going to be cringy and get people to get, you know, that just... Oh, you know when it hurts to watch someone do something, it's so cringy? I could just tell that whatever he thought in his head was going to be hilarious was going to be one of those things that people would just cringe at. It wasn't going to be funny. So I'm kind of trying to keep him in check, but I had to go to the bathroom. And I don't like Martin enough to bring him to the bathroom with me, okay? As much as I was trying to prevent this kid from embarrassing himself on a level that would make the entire universe cringe, I didn't want him coming with me to pee because he would be the type of guy that would like shove you while you're at the urinal so like you pee all over yourself. Ha ha, gotcha, man, nice joke. You're like, that's just not funny, man. Like, now I'm covered in pee. This is not a good practical joke. So I go to the bathroom and I'm in the bathroom and I hear people kind of like making noise outside, but it's not laughter. It's more of just like a, please stop. Like a, like, you know, when someone does something and you can tell they want to be funny, but it's not funny, but it's easier to just pretend that what they did was funny than it is to like make this uncomfortable situation where you just have to look at them and go, wow, you're a very awkward person. This has made everybody in your presence very uncomfortable. So whatever. I don't really think much of it, but I go outside and sure enough, what do I see but Martin laying on the floor of this McDonald's in front of the cash register with his shirt pulled over his head so that way like his belly is showing and his head is all rounded, you know, like when you have the back of your shirt over your head so you think you look really silly, and he's laying on the ground throwing his legs and arms in and out so like he's curling into a C and then expanding to lay straight like a human again, and he's just screaming like, pickles, 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 trying to be funny. And everyone in the McDonald's, which A, is mostly our school, but B, you know, just people trying to get lunch on the workday, are looking at this kid like he's on crack. Because he's laying on the ground of a McDonald's screaming something about pickles while thinking he's RAR XD being hilarious. And I'm standing there just cringing because this kid thinks this is funny. So no one's laughing at him. And after about 30 seconds of no laughter, he gets up and says, tough crowd, it's okay. Pickles will help you. And he still has his shirt over his head. And he's looking around like waiting for people to laugh, and everyone is just staring at him uncomfortably. And he looks at me and he goes, was it kind of funny? And I just shake my head no. And what happens next is apparently we had upset him. And he's like, man, I try so hard to be funny and nobody appreciates my sense of humor. I don't like any of you guys. Like, you're all so shallow to not understand what true comedy is. You guys think these dark jokes and like TikToks are funny, but that's not funny. Pickles is funny because it's supposed to bring out your inner child. And everybody's just kind of standing there, and like the manager of the McDonald's is standing there and she's like, sir, can you please stop yelling? And he's like, only after you guys admit that it was funny. And nobody is admitting that it's funny because it was not funny. Like, listen, I don't mean to be cringe. Like I said, I told him not to do it. I really did not want the kid to embarrass himself that bad. But laying on the ground with your shirt over your head in a McDonald's screaming pickles is just cringe, dude. Like, the only reason anyone was laughing was at the absurdity of the fact that this kid thought that this is what, like, teenagers think is funny. You know, anyone over the age of 7 didn't think that pickles was funny with you spazzing on the ground. Like, it just, other than it just being cringe. And Martin decided at that point that maybe our friendship wasn't that great. And he wouldn't even look at me when we got back on the bus because I didn't like stand up to him. I didn't even tell him that pickles wasn't funny. It's just when he like asked me if it was funny, I just kind of avoided answering because it just wasn't funny. And apparently that really hurt his feelings because, you know, come to find out from the people that I was hanging out with who were really close with him, he wanted to be a stand-up comedian when he grows up. And sometimes, kids, you're gonna have a dream. And it's just not realistic, all right? Like, yeah, as cool as it would be to be an NBA player, I'm not athletic enough to do it. That's all right. That's okay with me. And if you lay on the floor of McDonald's screaming pickles and think that you're going to be the next, you know, giant stand-up comedian Kevin Hart dude who's going to be world famous, I've got bad news for you, man. You can't even make people at McDonald's laugh. And those people would do anything to make their day better, because working at McDonald's is basically the worst punishment you could receive outside of, you know, like having to serve a giant goat man forever. Now, you know, that's just life sometimes. Sometimes you're gonna be cringe. Martin, if you're watching this, dude, I hope you got funnier, okay? Random XD lol funny isn't funny. It's not 2012 anymore. But on that note, guys, that's gonna do it for the video. Hopefully you enjoyed. If you did, be sure to press the like button. Let me know in the comment section down below what you thought. Turn on those notifications if you're new. And, you know, if you do turn on those notifications and send a screenshot to my Instagram at Scrubby, I give somebody a shout out every day. Today's notification shout out goes to Savage SMG0613. Big thank you for having on notifications. Like I said, turn them on, send a screenshot to my Instagram, I shout somebody out. And yeah, on that note, don't get anyone pregnant. If you do, make sure they're hot. I'm gonna go to a McDonald's and be raw XD funny now. I'm out. Peace.